Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of the old world. Hope you guys are all doing well, and welcome back to our May 2021 Faction War. So it should be quite a bit of fun. Here is our list of champions. So we have some new faces, some returning faces. Of course, we've seen previous champions and new challengers. So hope you guys are all doing well. On the High Elves, we have Biblington, Kala Harmon on the Wood Elves, Ezekiel Abaddon, the War Master of the Black Legion in Chaos there. On the Lizardmen, Regis 69 there on the old Vampire Counts. Davina Q on the Tomb Kings, Ulrich Rahl on Bretonnia, Ice Power Total War, once again representing the Dark Elves. I'm sure we'll see some wrathy double Manscore action at some point there. Felcon is going to be our sub-faction of the day. He is going to be representing the Knights of Caledor. And up on the top side, we do have Papa Palpatine on the Beastmen, Pug No Bone on Norsca, Bengaloo here on the Forces of the Dark Gods. Grombrindle, of course, has been in the faction war many times as the Proud Dowie, a very, very valiant champion indeed. Anticity, the Kraken King, going to be on Vampire Coast, multi-time champion here in the faction war, coming back to defend his strap. We got Kafka, a newcomer here on the Sons of Sigmar. Really excited to see how he does. We have Hadries as well on Skaven, multi-time faction war winner as well. And Vicious Satsuma, one of the best greenskin players in the community, is here to bring it home. And I have a feeling that he will be using some Skarsnik action, some sorts of sneaky schemes, just because it's how he is. And yeah, great stuff. Really fun to see him in action. So taking a look at the bracket for today, you can see from the top to the bottom, might be a little bit hard to read because there are a lot of players, but our first match of the day is going to be Vampire Coast facing off against Caledor. So it's going to be a battle between two powerhouses here in the first round, as we have Felcon face off against Anticity. Followed up by Wood Elves versus Chaos, Dwarves versus Vampire Counts, Lizardmen versus Greenskins, Bretonnia versus Skaven, Beastmen versus Norsca, Dark Elves versus Empire, and the High Elves versus the Tomb Kings. Yes, yes. So there it is. How y'all doing? Welcome to the stream. Very excited to be here today. I think this is going to be a great round of games. And yeah, that's it. The Kraken King cannot be defeated. Yeah, he's certainly a fearsome foe. Anticity's Vampire Coast lately has seemed pretty unstoppable for sure. So start when ready. Letting the players know they can start. And as soon as we do load into the battlefield, which is going to be on the Bloodpine Woods, we will be going from there. So yeah, what are your predictions? Who do you guys think is going to win? Is this going to be the day that the dreaded Beastmen finally make it to the Grand Finals and claim victory? Although Beastmen actually did make it to the Grand Finals in the very first faction war we ever had. They made it to the Grand Finals, and I believe they lost to the Empire. I'm pretty sure Tlaxlan Soothsayer defeated the Beastmen in the Grand Finals with the Sons of Sigmar. The Empire actually won the first one, but they haven't won any faction war since then. But they did win the first one against the Beastmen. Yes, this is live, so if you guys have any questions about the current state of things, I can certainly do it to it. Another thing, for future reference, for anyone who's watching this back, maybe wasn't here for the initial stream or wasn't in the Discord, we have a very fun event running for this called Match Madness. Very much a play on March Madness and college basketball, but basically what we do is, within the Discord, players are given a bracket they can fill out. So they can make predictions on how they think the event is going to go, and the individuals who make the most correct predictions end up winning a cash prize or a Steam gift card on top of all that good stuff. So it's quite a bit of fun. So we do that. So if you guys want to participate in the future, it's too late now because you have to have your submissions in before 9 a.m. But just take note, if you want to do this in the future, our mods in chat here will drop a link to Discord and you guys can get involved. Also, for the faction war itself, for this event, it is an open qualifier system. So anyone can attempt to qualify, right? You can get in there and join the qualifier event. And if you do the best with your respective factions, so let's say you're the highest ranked Vampire Coast, or the highest ranked High Elves, for example, you qualify for the faction war with said faction, which I think is quite a bit of fun. How early is it for me? It's about 9 a.m. Yeah, so 9 a.m. in the morning. Certainly not my happiest hour of the day, but we're going strong. The war moves. Yeah, Hadries here rooting for the Beastmen, even though he's playing Skaven. Love it. Love it, love it. Yeah, it's going to be good, though. We got some solid matchups across the board. You can see them all here. I'm curious to see if anybody will get, I think the best we ever had for predictions in all the faction wars from the Match Madnesses we've had, I think somebody once got 14 out of 16 correct matches, which was pretty damn good. They only missed 2. So that's, that's pretty solid. Pretty damn good. So Malcolm, we do the faction wars once a month. It's a once a month format. The qualifiers will happen as well. So we have both those events. The qualifiers once a month as well as the faction wars once a month. Well, as far as the previous ones, we can take a look at previous champions. So kind of jumping back here, we can go take a look at the champions for today and look at previous winners. So I'm going to go to the Hall of Fame real quick. So we have a Hall of Fame that kind of dictates all the previous champions. So going to the Faction War Hall of Fame in my Discord, The very first one was won by Talaxlan Soothsayer on the Empire, followed up by the Lizardmen with Felcon. Next up was Hadri's with the Skaven. Then we had Anticity claiming his first Vampire Coast crown there with the 4th faction war. After that was Wood Elves with Felcon. Again, Skaven with Hadri's after that. In October 2020, Vampire Coast won once again in the very spooky edition of the faction war. Let me see here who was after that. And then we had Skaven with Hadri's again, Vampire Coast with Anticity. And then most recently, of course, with the current Greenskin power level, we had the Greenskins win with Void Laws. So the most winning factions, probably Skaven and Vampire Coast, but the Skaven haven't been able to win one, I believe, after their recent nerf. They haven't been able to get back to the top there. The nerf it hit them pretty hard. It really changed the dynamic of the faction. Skaven are still a top tier faction, in my opinion, but it did change things quite a bit. But yeah, should be good. Those are the previous champions. So let's go ahead and get this party started. Looks like Anticity is ready to go. I would load into the lobby, but I accidentally clicked on one of their names, so it is showing their build, so we're just going to hang tight here for a minute until we get going. It's really funny to see all the predictions. Like, you see people rooting against their own factions and stuff like that, just to get the accurate choices. Yeah, it's pretty great. Oh, is the bracket out of date right now? For some reason, sometimes it doesn't always update on the thumbnail, but yeah, don't worry, guys, it will. Tomb Kings do, in my opinion, have a good matchup versus... who are they playing today? I think they're playing High Elves. I think Tomb Kings can do just fine there. But again, depends on the player. Depends on the player indeed. Yeah, it's a good lineup. Going to be tough for sure. Think about faction wars. You can't give everyone, the perfect matchup that they want. Sometimes you just gotta, people are going to get forced into bad situations. But again, the whole idea with faction wars, I mean, eventually you're going to be facing a bad matchup. So, I mean, if you can't beat your bad matchups, then you're not going to win the faction war, generally speaking. You can get kind of lucky if the stars align and you only face, good matchups. But yeah, it's tricky. Do you think Fey Enchantress could use a cost increase? Yeah, I think that would be a reasonable change. I think if you nerf the Fey Enchantress and slightly buffed a couple other Bretonnian units, I think that would be nice. Like very slight buffs. Because, the faction... The Bretonnia has a very strong win rate. In the Warhammer World Championship, I think Bretonnia had something like a 56-57% win rate. Now, if you took the Fey Enchantress off the roster, I think their win rate would go down to 50 to 48. It would be a pretty significant hit, right? I think that she really is the glue that kind of holds together competitive Bretonnia. But even without her, they'd still be fine because Lewin is quite strong. But yeah, I think she could probably use a slight cost increase. She's very, very good. All right, so we are going to be loading into the first match of the day, which is going to be the Dark Lord Felcon facing off against Anticity. We have the Clash of the Titans here, like I said, in the very first match of the day. So let's get this party started and take a look here at the builds for both players. So here, for the forces of the Vampire Coast, it is going to be 2 bombers in the front line. Bombers are pretty good against rushes, obviously. If you're facing off against rangers, spearmen, anything like that, they can certainly do some work. The backfield here is going to be standard deckhand mobs with a couple halberds supporting. And it looks like, wow, this is very strange. Usually you see Anticity go for a gunbat build, but I think he knows it's probably a little bit risky against High Elves who have a very good air force. So it's going to be bombers backed up by deckhand mobs here. He's got standard fellbats, quite a few actually. I wonder if the fellbats are just kind of a distraction to target phoenixes and flying characters and just kind of be annoying in that sense. We do also have a gunnery wight, as well as a vampire fleet admiral and double Krabos. Yeah, so we do have the double rotting Promethean gunnery mob. And it looks like, yeah, it's going to be the shotgun variant. So these are the ones that have armor-piercing shots. So yeah, very much a defensive box here. No mortars, no artillery. My only concern is that, aside from fellbats, this army may struggle to actually kill things like bolt throwers and archers, which over the course of a long battle could generate some good, really, really good value against a number of these models here. But again, the rush could be quite strong. The bombers could break through the Heil front line and get into the archers quickly with the crabs and Scab's Grace as well being extremely, extremely powerful against the forces of ye old High Elves. So if we take a look here at the High Elves here for Felcon, the Knights of Caledor, he's going to be our sub-faction champion today, which means he can bring Imric as his only legendary lord choice. And aside from that, he can bring, Archmages and basic lords. But he does have Reavers hiding in the forest, Reavers in the flanks. He does have Warlions of Krace. What the hell is this? What planet are we on? He's got Warlions. Felcon, of course, memeing a little bit here. He's got like a nice balance of memes via the Frostheart Phoenix and the Lions, but also good units with like Bolt Throwers and an Archmage of Fire. Archmage of Fire for Burning Head is quite good. So yeah, it's going to be archers and bolt throwers, and Anticity is going to be rushing this very, very quickly. So Felcon's going to have to react fast. He doesn't really have a front line at all, right? He's got archers, he's got a couple of Reavers ready to kind of run in and serve as a front line, but yeah. Of course, if anybody's going to be able to react quickly to this, it will be the Dark Lord Felcon. But yeah, Fellbats are coming in. There's going to need to be something to deal with them because this isn't a very exposed archer line here. And the bolt throwers are going into what appears to be the gunnery wights or maybe the lampreys eventually. Okay, it looks like they're going after lampreys. Now there's going to be some flank pressure coming in. So something that's very important here for the forces of the High Elves is to run some interference and basically keep Anticity's crabs from getting close to the bolt throwers. You want those bolt throwers to saturate, really generate a lot of firepower, and keep that battle line from moving forward. But so far, Anticity's undeterred here, moving in very aggressively, probably readying up some scab scrapes for those archers. And here comes the Fellbats. The War Lions can take out the Fellbats very quickly, so too can Reavers. But there's a lot of Fellbat pressure here, and those Reavers are going to be quite busy. But we have 1-2 Reavers here. Each of those should be able to dismantle a Fellbat. And I kind of like this position for the High Elves over here. The fact that they can kind of pull back with these archers, maybe abandon that bolt thrower, and suddenly Coast is kind of pushing towards a big, empty, open void. Archers shooting in. It looks like they're going after the Deckhand mobs right now, and the Vampire Coast Lord is getting taken down a little bit. But the War Lions getting in there with their anti-infantry bonus. Fellbats are infantry size, so those Narnia Lions should be able to tear apart the Fellbats very, very quickly. And you can see right now the Fellbats are already down to a pretty low amount of HP, but you got to watch out for Scab Scrape here. That's probably what Anticity is looking for. Yep. God, that is such a good item. Look at that. It just shreks the archers. It beats up the Reavers. 2 Fellbats do go, but at the end of the day, that Scab Scrape did make up for a lot of lost value. Now, the High Elves are going to be pulling back at this point. Archers generating good value here. And now that the mobility is gone, I have to say it's very strange to see an Anticity game where there are no Scurvy Dogs. Usually his Scurvy Dog play and control is just next level, right? But in this case, we're not seeing it. Now, this is very smart by Falcon, running with the Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, sending in the Reavers as a bit of a distraction, allowing the Bolt Thrower crews to potentially come back in the late game. And now Anticity is having to kind of change direction. You can see his army is moving up this way, going towards the other 2 stationary Bolt Thrower positions. The Archers still shooting quite happily. Reavers in the backfield working on what appears to be the Bombers. And yeah, it's a very, very close game so far. Nobody's really gotten a huge advantage. Granted, these Rotting Prometheans here are being swarmed by the Narnia Lions, and have we seen a Burning Head yet? I would imagine Falcon's maybe waiting for him to get a little bit more stationary. Burning Head would just 100% be used on Bombers most likely, but I guess the Bombers don't have too many good targets here. Hard to say. Invocation going down from Anticity, healing up the Rotting Promethean gunnery mobs. Now crabs are bouncing out in every which direction. You can see the Vampire Coast army is being slightly, not pulled apart, but it's moving in a couple different directions. It is durable by Vampire Coast standards, so it should be relatively okay in this sense. But right now, the Rotting Prometheans here are going to be focused down. Here comes the Archmage of Fire and Frostheart Phoenix. Frostheart Phoenix has good armor-piercing values. It can certainly wear down those Crabos. But yeah, it's looking good. I mean, Anticity here does kind of break this position. Archers and some of the Reavers do get pushed back, but High Elves still have a very comfortable position here. And the Bolt Thrower crews are able to get away. So if the game does devolve into a very late game kind of, all over the map type fight, they could come back and generate some really, really good value there. So Archers still teeing off here. Man, oh man, those High Elf Archers are really emptying their payloads. Falcon's single entity core in good shape. He doesn't have healing, obviously, so those Gunnery Wights and other crab units certainly can do some good DPS. Burning Head there ended up taking a decent little arc of fire, but yeah, it really just looks like right now the High Elves are trying to pick apart all the infantry and then from there go in for the single entity kill later. Maybe keeping the Archmage of Fire back a little bit would be smart, just using Fireball spam from a distance, but going after the Gunnery Wights here also isn't necessarily a bad idea if he can get away quickly. I mean, there's a lot of crabs there, and those crabs are quite angry. Yeah, he gets that Gunnery Wight down pretty low, though I would imagine Anticity is sitting quite happily on top of Invocations and things like that. Frostheart Phoenixes are, tanky. They don't have the Rebirth, so compared to, like, the Fire Phoenixes, it depends. I mean, overall, they might not be as tanky considering they don't have the Rebirth, but yeah, they can do some work for sure. But yeah, Falcon seems to be a little bit behind on the balance of power, ever so slightly. The Vampire Coast characters with the extra powder are really good at replenishing value over the course of a long battle. But, the Vampire Coast is quickly running out of chaff units, right? They have a couple halberds left. It looks like one halberd mob here, one here. Those archers are running a little bit low on ammo as well. So what it's probably going to come down to is a big kind of surround and cycle charging situation from the Reavers in the late game against the Crabs, with the support of the Frostheart Phoenix kind of poking in there and doing some work. But a very, very close scrap here. It's certainly quite fun to see. Narnia Lions going in, perhaps going to be chasing. A ton of powder here for Anticity. The Bolt Thrower in the distance, still pretty good on ammo. The crew is here, and I think there's another crew hiding over here. No, it looks like those are just Reavers, so yeah, it would appear that the crews are indeed offline. The players are saying good luck, have fun. Been a great match. This is a really, really good one to kind of kick off the event. Frostheart Phoenix just kind of chilling in the backfield, hanging out, waiting for the other units in the High Elf roster to unleash all their payloads here. Killing the halberds would be huge. I think that's one of the big steps, because with the halberds being dead, the Reavers can swarm in, and, Crabs pack some punch, but they're not the best at crowd clearing. But the one thing you got to watch out for is the Scab Scrape. Scab's Wraith is just so foul, right? It can do so much work against pretty much everything in this army. Not going to be great against the Frostheart Phoenix, but I think Falcon probably will sit back with the Archmage of Fire using the Armor of the Stars. Pretty cool. Stock and Unspottable right now, and probably just shooting fireballs into the Vampire Ghost Lord. Because without that Lord, I think the High Elves could maybe surround and just win it. So right now, 1600 HP. Fireball does get blocked by a tree. Oh, that's so unfortunate for Falcon. So he shot a fireball, and this one lone tree here actually blocked it. So a little bit of a terrain play there, as Vampire Ghost does have some light cover. And those two Gunnery White Crabs, man, those things are so nasty. But right now, that Frostheart Phoenix might just fly back there and go after the Vampire Fleet Admiral Polearms. Here it comes, flying overhead, and a 1 and a 2. Nope, thinking about it, but disengaging there as soon as you see the Lamprey's Revenge make their way over. So right now, the Crab Rush is holding the line. They are quite durable here, absorbing a lot of the ammunition, and you can see as the ammunition is expended, the bounce of power is kind of creeping back. Falcon certainly on the back foot here, about 7 or 8 minutes in the game, but you know, that's what happens when you bring a Frostheart Phoenix and Warlions and other stuff like that. But aside from that, I certainly like the rest of the build. It's doing a good job picking apart the chaff units, but dealing with those crabs and the double Gunnery Whites, man, they're very, very strong. Good fighters in melee, very tough to kill with 120 armor, especially with Invocation. Man, they just become such raid bosses. Now, will the other Bolt Thrower crew be able to get back online? That's probably one way that I think the High Elves could do very well for themselves here. This Bolt Thrower crew is about out of ammunition. It looks like they only have 2 volleys left. And here comes another fireball. What is it going to go after? It's a little bit hard to tell, going after the Lord, and it does hit the Lord. Certainly butters him up a little bit. Frostheart Phoenix probably going to go in for an aggressive dive, but the Phoenix does not have access to any rebirths or anything like that. So right now, it's certainly going to be the High Elves here on the back foot. And it's a tough first opponent, especially for a sub-faction, but, you know, it's still making for a great fight here. I think High Elves have some tools to defeat the forces of the coast, and oftentimes High Elves use Archmages in this matchup anyways, so it's not really, I guess, that big of a deficit here. So Archmage of Fire pulling back, 34 leadership right now. A lot of focus fire coming in from the Archers, which are going to be forced into melee soon. And it's, yeah, basically just going to be the Archers forced into melee with cycle charging from the the Frostheart Phoenix, which unfortunately has no healing based on the build. But Falcon basically delaying the main engagement, and in doing so, he is just buying more time to use fireballs and get that Lord lower. The Vampire Fleet Admiral is quite low, and, you know, I've seen Crabs lose to full surrounds, but man, oh man, there are a lot of Prometheans, guys. I don't know if Falcon has the stopping power to deal with them anymore, unless Warlines are surprisingly effective. Here comes another fireball, hits the Lord, puts him down to about 1,000. Archers here in the back shooting the last of their volleys. Now Falcon's going to be coming in for a big surround. Is he going to be able to get a Bolt Thrower crew online, though? It looks like these Bolt Thrower crews, maybe they can find kind of an idle piece. That would potentially be a big late game situation that would be very strong. So Archers moving into deck end mobs, Falcon coming in for the full surround. I would imagine the Phoenix as well will try and goon out the Lord, which is a very, very smart choice. Probably keeping the Archmage of Fire up in the sky would be a prudent choice. Looks like, ooh, a Flaming Sword of Ruin, perhaps? Yeah, Flaming Sword of Ruin going in. That's a lot of fire damage. And the birds go in, and the Vampire Fleet Admiral is quite low. Zombie deckhand mobs getting beat up, but look at the Frostheart Phoenix. Van Horseman Speculum lowering its combat stats, and if this was a Fire Phoenix, it could, like, you know, get a rebirth and change the dynamic of the battle, right? But with the Frostheart Phoenix not being able to come back and just being kind of a meme unit, I don't see Falcon getting this one. And game 1 is going to go to the Kraken King in a very scrappy 9-minute match. Very well played to both players. It was a cool build. I think maybe, yeah, I'm trying to think what Falcon's build would be better against. Maybe he was expecting a gunline from Anticity and not a Crab Rush. But, you know, he still brought some pretty heavy meme units via the Warlines as well as the Frostheart Phoenix. But at the end of the day, the Crab Rush was durable. The Scab's Grace were insanely valuable. 2,100 value, 1,800 here. On top of that, the 2 Crabs just so tanky. And I guess there was only 2 Bolt Throwers. For some reason, I thought there were 3, but how'd the Warlines do? Warlines almost paid for themselves, and they were full health there at the end, for sure. It was a good battle. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. GG, well played to both of those fine champions. I'm sure we'll be seeing them both back. And let's go ahead and go to the bracket here. So we'll jump on over. Use the power of technology to advance the Vampire Coast to the second round. GG, well played. The Crabs, definitely quite brutal. It was a good match, though. Falcon played a very tight game, obviously. He always does. And yeah, we'll be seeing him back in future qualifiers. Of course, he attempted to qualify with the sub-faction, which usually is pretty memey, but nonetheless, sub-factions can win. They're not, you know, they got chances, man. So next up, we have Wood Elves versus Chaos. So we're going to be loading into the next match and go from there. So Wood Elves versus Chaos. Where art thou? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah, they have a different password. Clever girl. It's probably the classic. Yeah, that was a fun one. Gunnery Whites are really strong, yeah. Gunnery White Scab's Graith is like is obscenely powerful. Very, very good. All right, so next up, guys, we have the Wood Elves facing off against the Warriors of Chaos. And let me just get their names up here. Cool. So we'll load into this match in a second. Start when ready. Let's do it to it, man. Let's do it to it. So what are your predictions for this one? We have Carl Harmon of ODM representing the Wood Elves, facing off against Bengaloo here, a newcomer, qualifying with the Warriors of Chaos, getting very far in the qualifier tournament. I think he got to the round of 8 and was eliminated, but nonetheless, still quite a solid performance. And we are now loading in to Chaos versus Wood Elves. And thank you for the donation from Melody Wallace. Really appreciate that. Been running sets with my friend in Total War recently. Feeling up to taking my Talents of the World in a prep game for Game 3. Sign me up for all events. Hell yeah. Well, hope to see you in the qualifiers and ECLs and all that other sort of good stuff. Thank you so much for that donation. Sorry I missed it during the heat of battle. Yes, yes. Your money is on the Wood Elves. Okay, well, let us know. Where is your allegiance? Did they pick the same map? Oh, man, maybe I forgot to give them different maps for everyone. Oh, well, anyways, it's fine. We can play on this map. Not a problem. So, going over here. Oh my god, there's some crazy motorcycle outside. And loading into the game. Oh, got to fix the nameplates. Looks like Carl Harmon's name is a little bit too powerful, both of them, compared to the other players. I need to get a little bit more of an efficient nameplate system so I don't have to do this every time. Same old stuff. So they did pick the wrong map, but if both players agree to play on it, I really don't mind, honestly. But yeah, no biggie. No biggie. Let us know your predictions. Is it going to be the Wood Elves or the Warriors of Chaos? Carl Harmon, of course, has gotten to the grand finals of Faction War before, if I'm not mistaken, with the Lizardmen. Playing his Wood Elves today. I played a best of 5 against Carl Harmon before, and he's a very, very good Wood Elf and Lizardman player in general. So we're going to be seeing him with these factions quite often, I would imagine. Yeah. You did this matchup like 20 times yesterday. Yeah, it's a fun one. Chaos has a couple ways of playing it. Typically, I think just going with Infantry Rush, Warp Chicken, Marauder Horsemen, and a shit ton of Hounds is usually the way to play it. But they're surprising. Sometimes you could bring in like a Hell Cannon, try and catch people off guard. That's very risky though, but typically Arrows of Kurnus hard countered that, so you got to be a little bit careful. Wesley, doing some gardening outside, and I got your stream going. Thanks for the quality content. Hey, thank you, Wesley. Hope the garden is going well. And yeah, we'll see you in the stream. Thank you so much. Wood Elves win today is a prediction coming in from some folks in chat. Very, very interesting, but you know, people have underestimated Chaos before, and the Dark Gods cackle in their face, and as they do very well. So for the Warriors of Chaos, are going to be played by Bengaloo here. He does have Chaos Warriors, Mirror Guard, which I like. They're very durable in the front line, trade very well in the infantry fight. Got 4 Marauders to flank and just kind of put some pressure on things. Double Chaos Knights with Lances. Heavy Cavalry, of course, have always been pretty good against Wood Elves because their cavalry struggle to fight Heavy Cav. We have Marauder Horsemen at 4 in total with 3 Hounds. And yeah, this is like a very old school, straight up the pipe style of play against Wood Elves. I think it should be quite fine indeed. But double Chaos Knights, baby! That's what I'm talking about. Talk dirty. Aside from that, we have Durthu, Optimus Pine here with the Sword of Daith. We do have Wildwood Rangers and Wardens of Sithril backed up by some Treekin. So each of these elite Wood Elf infantry units is going to be backed up by like a Treekin and or Durthu. In the backfield, double Waywatcher to pick down high-value targets. We have some Glade Riders as well, some Glade Rider Archers there, and a couple basic Eternal Guard with War Dancers. War Dancers trade okay against like the cheaper stuff like Marauders, but typically I find they struggle against like Chaos Warriors and all that sort of good stuff. So, Chaos Tonya, sort of, yes. Double Chaos Knights for the Warp Chicken. He's got Plague of Rust. An interesting choice, but Plague of Rust here actually is going to be useful against Durthu and or the Treekin and Searing Doom. So not going for the very, you know, kind of one-dimensional Final Transmutation nuke, rather going for Plague of Rust long-term sustainability. And Plague of Rust isn't, you know, terrible against, like, I think Wildwood Rangers have 40 armor, so if you really want to make them super squishy, you can actually just Plague of Rust to Wildwood Ranger basic cast, and it still is cost-effective, right? The Mirror Guard and Chaos Warriors will really benefit from that particular engagement. Heavy Metal Horses, I know. It's going to be interesting. So the winner of this match will face the Kraken King, Anticity, in the next battle round. I think as far as the matchups go, I think that the Wood Elves probably have a little bit of a better time there. It's harder for Vampire Coast to cheese the Wood Elves, whereas against Chaos, they can go double Gunnery White Crab with a million gun bats, and it's really obnoxious to face off against, right? But, I mean, Chaos can also beat Vampire Coast. I've seen the high-level Chaos players beat high-level Vampire Coast players in tournaments in various situations. I think that Chaos needs to adapt to the double Gunbat meta, though, or double Gunnery White, and maybe bring some more air pressure via Exalted Heroes on Man's Cores and things like that. I think they need to adjust, because the old way isn't working. It is not working. So, players can start when ready. Good luck, have fun. No need to wait for me. We can go. Oh, this map is fine. This map is fine as long as you're both happy. I don't mind. This map's good. This is a great map. This is actually the quest battle map for the Empire. It's a really good one. Hadries was telling me about it. We were playing a couple games the other night, little practice matches, and he mentioned this map being very good for tournaments, and I actually agree. I think it's quite cool. Seems like a better Tower of Hoeth with less abusable terrain, some nice forest to kind of chill in on the flanks if you want to do some ambushes and do your thing. Welcome to the stream. Yes, it is time, baby. Let's do it to it and have some fun. So the battle is underway. Way Watchers immediately opening up for Call Harmon, going into the Marauder Horsemen. Oh my god, look at that damage. Holy shit. Those Marauder Horsemen got nuked down to 40% HP and instantly break. Now, it's not really that big of a deal. They'll come back. They still have 41 of 45 models fighting. But what will the Way Watchers target now? It looks like going after the Chaos Knights. What Bengaloo should do is hold back the Chaos Knights until his infantry presses the Wood Elves a little bit more into the corner of the map. Chaos Knights are very expensive, and you don't want to be taking those type of shots from Way Watchers. Yeah, and that's good. He pulls back, still taking a little bit of damage here, but not too much. He's kind of at their maximum range, and is forcing the Way Watchers to kind of shoot at awkward angles. And now the Chaos Warriors and Hounds are going to be swarming up from all directions as the Mirror Guard of Sigvald advance in, looking to press onto the Way Watchers, but Zerthu and the Wood Elf Infantry are going to be moving backwards, which is very normal. Typically, you want to delay the mainline fighting with Chaos as long as possible. The Warriors of Chaos will typically have very favorable engagements against Wood Elf Infantry. Not always. You know, things like Wildwood Rangers will trade pretty well against Chaos Warriors, but, you know, even still, they're very squishy, so you got to be a little bit cautious with that. So Chaos Knights coming up now, Warp Chicken as well, and it looks like Way Watchers continuing to unleash volleys here onto the Chaos Knights. And we have more Chaos Marauder Infantry moving up here. Marauder Horsemen coming around the flanks with some basic Marauders looking to push around the weak side as well. But Chaos Knights taking far too much damage at this point. You got to keep them back. Taking this kind of firepower is going to give the Wood Elves a huge advantage early on. Now the Mirror Guard have slammed into the Wildwood Rangers, but Big Papa Zerthu's here, so we need the Warp Chicken to get involved right now. He's a little bit far back, taking it a little bit too careful. Warp Chicken should be the one diving in, chasing Way Watchers, putting himself in relatively bad situations. A nice attempt here in the middle here by Bengaloo to get through and try and get on the Way Watchers. And oh, look at this. Okay. This is a great grab. Here the Way Watchers do get on top of the Hounds get on top of the Way Watchers, which is quite strong. And Chaos Knights with Lances are able to kind of circumvent the flanks and are now pushing into a very pinned position of Way Watchers. So that was quite strong. I think the Chaos Knights need to move and just keep hammering the Way Watchers down. We get Marauder Horsemen in the backfield pushing onto the Way Watchers, while in the front line the Mirror Guard got absolutely destroyed. No surprises there though. Wildwood Rangers, Zerthu, there's a lot of stopping power there, and honestly the Wood Elves are just dominating so many of the infantry fights actually. Probably because Warp Chicken's sitting back, Chaos Knights are a little bit more busy in the backfield, which of course is no surprise. One Way Watcher unit is pretty much on the way out here, kind of pulling the balance of power back. The initial volleys onto the very expensive Chaos Knights did set them back a little bit, but this Way Watcher unit should be breaking here. Warp Chicken and some Hounds have now gotten onto the other Way Watcher unit. So yeah, the Wood Elves are going to be losing a couple of very expensive archer units here early on against the Hounds and the Warp Chicken. And yeah, that might give Chaos a kind of a way back into this match here, but they do sacrifice quite a bit in the beginning, with the Marauder Horsemen getting very badly beaten up here. And again, all the Chaos Infantry is struggling a little bit because of Zerthu and, you know, that frontline presence and the expensive units, the Chaos Knights being used in the back line. So where will these Chaos Knights go? Probably just ignore this one Way Watcher. I think they've taken enough damage that they're not really going to be a threat. I think this is the correct play here by Mr. Bengaloo, moving in the Chaos Knights to hammer into the Way Watchers here, pushing in to, yeah, both units. So there go the Way Watchers as well as potentially the Wildwood Rangers. Very nice grab for the Warriors of Chaos, which does potentially pull the game back. I think one unit of Chaos Knights has been sent to the Warp already. Looks like they're on their way back in. Yeah, so they could still do some good shock damage. Chaos Knights bouncing back and forth with their lances, hammering into the Way Watchers. Got to be really careful about the Wardens of Sithril, though. Those guys will give you some huge problems, and they're going to be very good at killing the Chaos Knights, so they probably need to withdraw very, very quickly here. Marauder still fighting. Marauder Horsemen making their way back in. Balance of power here went from being very Wood Elf favored to pretty much not dead even, still slightly Wood Elf favored, but it looks like now that the Wood Elves have had their Way Watcher lines kind of compromised, the Chaos Knights are now having more of a field day without the range pressure. Here comes another beautiful charge. Chaos Knights hunting down the Glade Riders with Hagbane tips. As a matter of fact, Marauder Horsemen could sandwich here, and that would be just a brutal play, but it looks like Chaos Knights still get the engagement they want and should be able to break those particular units. War Dancers here being worn down, Chaos Warriors moving forward, and Warp Chicken taking a little bit of fire, but he's all good. He should be able to get away. He's unbreakable. And yeah, the Chaos Knights once again hammering into the Wood Elf Skirmishers, seem to be doing some really, really good damage. And the Wood Elf Infantry is very squishy, so what you can actually do is just use your Marauder Horsemen to kind of poke them down, cycle charging with Chaos Knights. Warp Chicken trying to drop a Searing Doom on top of the Wardens, but the Wardens do get a regrowth, very, very strong. Wardens have silver shields, but if you're able to kind of throw at the back here and wear them down with the missiles from the Marauder Horseman Corps, I think that would be a very, very good way of going about it. This is also a very strong play. Warp Chicken going after the caster here is very, very potent. If you could chase that caster off, make sure your Chaos Knights don't get caught in combat with all these spears here. this could be a disaster for Chaos. If they stay too long, they're going to give the bounce of power back to the Wood Elves. These Chaos Knights need to pull back right now, chase down this caster, chase down all the archers and those different various units here, and it looks like he does pull those Chaos Knights back, so well played there. In the meantime, you know, you just send in Marauders and Chaos Warriors, and it looks like another Plague of Rust going down on the Treekin, so maybe he's going to get all the Horsemen to start focusing down the Treekin there. Pretty nice play for sure, puts them down to 30 armor, makes them much squishier. And yeah, Chaos Warriors aren't immune to Psychology, so they could Terror out off to Durthu. The Hounds need to be a little bit careful here as well, and it looks like they do run away. Hounds have a lot of things they can chase down. You know, the Skirmishers, the Way Watchers back there. Chaos Knights could easily destroy these Wildwood Rangers. Warp Chicken and the boys are actually going and doing some good work here against the Treekin. Certainly a very nice match so far. Marauders being hunted by Durthu. I'm sure they're enjoying that. And the Chaos Knights now looking to get into the cookie jar here. Although Chaos Knight charge, now that Durthu is away from this position, you could actually take your Chaos Knights and charge into the back of the Wardens in these various units, and that would do some devastating damage for sure. But understandably, taking out the Way Watchers is a very smart play as well. Durthu, of course, hanging out in the trees in his natural habitat here. Here comes the Chaos Knights hammering into the back of the Skirmishers. Going to take out a couple of those Blade Riders with the Hagbane's Hips. And yeah, you could honestly charge into them. A little bit risky with the Treekin here. If there was another Plague of Rust, that would actually be a really strong charge. Those Treekin would get melted by the Chaos Knights with Plague of Rust. But in another life, man, we will see. So the Chaos Knights moving in. They do hammer into the Treekin. Treekin are... Ooh, they were at 0 leadership for a second. Here comes the Chicken as well. Chicken might actually break them. Yeah, he does. Very, very powerful. A good Sword of Daith going down from Durthu, though. Chaos looks to have broken more or less the entire Wood Elf army. It's just going to be Durthu versus the world. But Durthu, if anyone has to fight the world, it's him. Although, oh, the tree can actually hold. That's really, really big. Because now the Chaos Knights break. So I think there was a glimmer of hope there for Chaos, right? If you were able to break the Treekin and the Wardens here, and just have your entire army versus Durthu in the 4th quarter, I think with a surround and proper cycle charging, maybe you could actually win it. In the meantime, Chaos Warhounds with Poison over here. Definitely need to get involved. The Warp Chicken is running away, while Plague of Rust is used on Big Durthu here. We get the Chaos Marauders moving in to fight the Treekin once again. Pretty much going to be wet noodles in that particular situation. But yeah, Eternal Guard should get crumped by the big KFC man. Yeah, looking like Wood Elves are taking this game over. It's a this ended up being a very close match though, man. It looks like Chaos was at such a deficit in the beginning, you know, but that often happens with the Way Watchers. They just do a ton of burst damage, and then the balance of power fluctuates really rapidly, and then they get caught and it changes back. But in this case, you know, Chaos I did feel was truly behind in the beginning, but they were able to scrap back, bring the bounce power back. But I don't know if it's going to be enough. A nice little Searing Doom there does take out a couple Eternal Guard. Wardens of Sithral very low. Warp Chicken just kind of cleaning up the scraps wherever he can. And do we get the Chaos Knights back? It looks like there are a couple Chaos Knights back here. We have 4 of them and some Marauders trying their best to scrap. But I just don't think anything can take down Durthu at this point. I mean, there is quite a surround, but the thing is Durthu is going to be able to terror out many of these different units here, right? So the Marauder Horsemen and the Poison Hounds, all those different units are just going to get terror routed by Durthu. A nice little pressure by Chaos onto the Eternal Guard. I think you got to wait for the Chicken before you go for an Alpha Strike. Also, maybe if Chaos had been able to chase down that caster, because there was a really nice point where the caster was broken, and I think the Chaos Knights could have chased it off the battlefield, which would have gotten rid of healing for Durthu, but now Durthu's getting fully erect regrowths, which I think probably is going to be enough to seal the deal here. I think the regrowths are too strong. Durthu's Vigor is now fresh, so he's not going to be taking any kind of Vigor penalties, and he is going to be very tough to kill. Sartorial's okay in combat, you know, but not against a 110 armor tree. That is not going to be good for him. So Marauders pushing in. Looks like they might be able to finish off these units. Warp Chicken probably going to go and try and break them here. Nice Hound play. Hounds do break down the Glade Riders. I love the fact that Bengaloo here is scrapping to the bitter end, you know, fighting for every little chance he has. And the Wardens of Sithral look to be breaking here. Chaos coming in with a nice surround. Hounds pushing in as well. Warp Chicken moving. Maybe they can snipe the caster. Looks like the Wood Elf army might just break here. And, you know, it's just going to be Durthu versus the world. Yep, looks like the entire Wood Elf core is more or less broken. Plague of Rust going down onto Durthu, putting his armor down to 80, which is going to make the Marauders and whatever else is fighting him a little bit more respectable. And the Spellsinger of Life is shaken, terror routed. But, man, Durthu is just so strong. Could there be a surprise comeback here? I mean, maybe with some really lucky RNG. I just don't see it happening. I think Durthu is just too much of a raid boss. The Spellsinger of Life does get punted and is naturally broken. And now comes the cycle charging from the Chicken. Basically, you just want to get the Warhounds. Yeah, okay, here he comes. Sartorial dropping some bows here. Just get the Hounds to chase down the Spellsinger of Life. Get the Horsemen to cycle charge any units that are trying to rally, and just charge with the Warp Chicken and hope that your Marauder Horsemen can hold, man. Okay, this is becoming very interesting. Durthu's leadership is steady. Here comes the Hounds pushing on the Spellsinger of Life. But you got to be careful. You can't let that Chicken take those beatings there. And Marauder Horsemen bouncing out to take out the Wardens of Sithral. A very good choice. You want to eliminate all of Durthu's support before you have to go in there for the final fight. Wardens of Sithral, man, freaking 4 models right there. Still just going. And it looks like the caster is officially shattered, and Chaos preparing for its final invasion here against the Woodland Realm. 0 leadership, -1. Wardens of Sithril are shattered, and now the die is cast. This is it, man. This is the final battle, baby. Let's go. Here comes the Chaos Marauders moving in. Going after Durthu. Durthu, of course, very tanky against this Warp Chicken, though. Needs to take advantage of his cunning Tzeentch tactics and flank and hammer and make sure he doesn't get hit with army losses. An Overcasted Plague of Rust, a little bit of a risky gamble because it does really lower the armor of the chicken. And here comes the poison. If they can break Durthu's leadership, but Durthu's got pretty insane leadership for sure. And you can see terror routes are becoming a factor, right? Those hounds are just going to keep getting terror routed. The horsemen are going to get terror routed as well because, of course, they're just basic horsemen. And here comes Sarthoriel with a rear charge. 5,500. What an epic game between these two mighty champions. Bengaloo doing an excellent job as a newcomer to the tournament, representing the Warriors of Chaos against one of the best players in the entire event. And in the end, it does come down to the Lord duel as we have Sarthoriel, Big Bird, just dropping his Tzeentch staff, trying to do what he can as Marauder Horsemen do charge in. I mean, is there any way that Durthu's leadership could get broken? Maybe with some crazy good RNG. I mean, if Warp Chicken just keeps connecting, ooh, man, yeah, those guys just break. And Sarthoriel takes a moment with the Marauder Horsemen fighting to cycle charge in and try and hit Durthu in the back, and he does succeed. Definitely gets in there. Here it comes, Marauder Horsemen and Hounds. The poison quite good against Durthu. As soon as the poison does apply, it will lower his stats quite a bit, but it looks like it hasn't applied yet. Warp Chicken's hitting at about 1,000 HP, and the Hounds do shatter, and now it's just KFC facing off against Durthu here. So Durthu's just going to march him down, and that probably will potentially be it. Man, oh man, what a match. Quite epic indeed. I love it when it comes down to this. Searing Doom, just for some flavor. You know, adding a little bit of spice, but, you know, Durthu is, he's fought Chaos for a millennia, and he is ready to finish this Greater Demon of Tzeentch with his mighty Optimus Pine Sword, and that will be GG. Apparently the tree is more powerful than the chicken. It has been settled here. And there's the branch slap. Is Durthu getting low? He's at 4,053 HP here. Did I just see him heal? I could have sworn he was at 53 and then he went up to 56 HP. Oh, and the big old slap from Durthu does finish off the chicken. So it is going to be Wood Elves. Unfortunately for Anticity, he has to face Wood Elves. And it's a fine matchup, but it's harder than Warriors of Chaos for them. And he also has to face his clanmate, which is inevitable. ODM has many strong players, so they're going to end up playing each other. You know, it's just how it works. That was really cool. Well played, man. Well played. 3,000 value here. Chaos Knight's got only 300 and 1,800, so one Chaos Knight certainly didn't pay for itself, but he played a great game. I mean, that's one of the best players in the community, top tier player, and Bengaloo showed that he deserves a spot among them. He played very, very well, so big props to him, man. That was a great match. So next up, let us go ahead and switch on over to Ye Old Bracket, and we can send the Wood Elves to the next round to face off against the Vampire Coast. And now we have Dwarves versus Vampire Counts, a matchup that we run into quite a bit, but I think it's a very fun one. You get to see some cool stuff. Yeah, did not see that. GG, very well played. Yeah, that was a great match. That was a great match. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's see here. Next up, we have... Got to make sure I'm joining the right match. Where art thou? We have Dwarves versus... For some reason, I'm not seeing the lobby, so let me go ahead and message them. Let's pop Palpatine. We have that one. We have this one. And maybe I need to turn this on as well. Yes, good, Anakin, good. Let me go ahead and message the lads in Discord, and we can make sure their lobby is up. All right. Perfect. So, for those of you guys who are participating in the Match Madness, what are your current scores? Is anybody 2-0? You guys 0-2? What is it looking like over the course of the tournament? Once we do finish games and whatnot, I'd be very curious to see what your match predictions are looking like for today's event. So, checking in on the players. Vampire Counts appear to have made the lobby. And let's go ahead and see if I can find it here. So, that is none of them. I'm not seeing Grombrindle here. Okay. All right, so we're going to have them add me on Steam real quick. It is the nature of the beast here. Good old Steam. And there we go. Perfect. So he'll get me added, and we'll be getting into the next game in just a second. For anyone just joining, if you want to take a look at the champions for today, these are all the players who are playing so far. We have had 2 of our mighty champions eliminated, but we have many more games to be played here. So we'll go from there and have some good old fun, man. Have some good old fun. Let's see what everyone's predictions are looking like. Insane is 0-2. Okay, we got a couple people that are 2-0. A very nice start. That's a good way to go, real human being. Real good way. Yeah, that's great, man. And let's see if he can get me added. And cool. Looks like Regis should be adding me in a second, which should make the lobby visible. So sometimes if there's a host who's in like a different region, for example, you know, and they host the lobby, you can't see it. Like if he was in the United States, I'm pretty sure I would see it, but it's such a clunky system for sure. Yeah, it's just very, very strange. All right. Cool. So let's go back here real quick. Check the incoming friend requests. Okay, perfect. So we got him on there. No problem. And now we should be able to see the lobby. Be all good to party. Okay, jumping in. Let's do it to it. All right. So the next match of the day is upon us. It's going to be Dwarves facing off against Vampire Counts. So this is going to be Nameless, is the name he's playing under today, but he's actually Regis, playing against Grombrindle. So Grombrindle, of course, always cool to see him representing the Dwarves because, you know, his name is very indicative of who he's playing. Start when ready. And he's playing under the name Chad Thorgrim today. So that is going to be the name for this fine gentleman as we load into our third battle of the day. Let's get those predictions going, man. You guys rooting for Vampire Counts or Dwarves? Dwarves have made it to the grand finals. They almost won a faction war, led by Umai's, the Mountain King. He came in and had a 2-1 series against Hadri's with his Skaven. A very, very unfortunate fate for the Dwarves in the finals to have to face Skaven, but it made for a very good series. I know there's some very proud Dwarves in chat. I think the Dwarves are probably one of the most passionate communities. Certainly quite cool. Mike says, hey, Turin, been a while. Sorry I missed so much. Work has been crazy. Glad to see you're keeping the beacon and torches lit. We are, man. Always. They're staying that way. We're not going anywhere. All right, so let's go ahead here. Load in to the battle. Looks like the nameplates fit more or less fine. And let's do it to it. Who knows, Andrew? Perhaps could be the case. So we are on the Estalian Tomb here, a map that I really like. I think it has a nice combination of terrain. And, you know, it's not too big either. It's that nice sweet spot. I'm really excited to see what the maps look like for Game 3, potentially, because I would hope that CA is making new maps for Domination Mode. Like, you're going to be seeing just a whole new batch of maps, because I don't know if capture points would work super well on many of the existing maps. I think they would on some. I think you could co-op some of them, but generally, I hope we're getting some new maps here, but yeah. We will see, my friends. So here we are, players loading in. What faction would have the best cuisine? Probably, halflings for sure, probably. I mean, Bretonnia probably has good food if you're a knight, if you're not a peasant. I'm sure Bretonnia, you know, the Bretonnian food culture is good. Empire probably has some decent food. I would imagine that Dwarves also have very hearty food, but it's not going to be for everyone type thing. You know, it's going to be very much like potatoes and meat and, you know, that type of thing. That would just be my wager. Yeah. Yeah, but Bretonnia overall, I mean, the food probably sucks for most people. Whereas, like, the average Empire citizen probably eats exponentially better than the average Bretonnian citizen. Dwarves, if I were to choose which culture I would want to eat with, it would for sure be Dwarves, because I love that kind of food. Just give me a big old stein of beer, Dwarvish Bugman's brew, and then just give me, like, you know, some meat and potatoes, and I'm good to go. Yeah. That would be my 2 cents there. So if we take a look at the forces of Grombrindle, going to be our champion of the Dwarves, playing under the name Chad Thorgrim today. He is part of the clan called SOTM, which is called Sons of the Mountain. So that is a dwarf main clan. That is for people who main dwarves, and they take it very seriously. They don't mess around, man. They're coming to satisfy the grudge. So we got Peak Guard, Ironbreakers, Hammerers, Ironbreakers, and Longbeards. So pretty much an entire elite dwarven army box. Thorgrim in the center. Thorgrim is actually pretty damn good with box builds because he can actually use the Great Book of Grudges here to give +9 melee attack. And if you look at his box, every single unit here is going to be getting 9 melee attack, which is really substantial, actually. I mean, that is a big buff. On top of that, we have 2 Iron Drakes with Trollhammer Torpedoes to shoot down the monsters, and basically Thorgrim just protects them from the monsters, and that is how you do it. Pretty cool stuff for sure. Looking here at the forces of the Vampire Counts, we have a newcomer to the tournament, Nameless, aka Regis. It's going to be zombies, Graveguard Great Weapons, very, very standard, Fellbats, double Cairn Wraith, which I do like. If dwarves don't have prepared magic damage for them, they can be kind of annoying. But here you can see PK card do magic damage, as does Thorgrim. So there are answers for the Cairn Wraiths. Up in the sky, we got Vargeist, actually. So Vargeist They're a bit of a glass cannon, but with proper micro, and since there are no Slayers here on the battlefield, a good Vargai cycle charging could actually be very devastating. And last but not least, we have what appears to be a Neckarch Vampire Lord with Spirit Leech, Invocation, and Raise Dead. And of course he does have, I always forget that, is it? It's not Lightning Fast Reflexes, is it? It's Dark Protection, which is pretty good. If you slip up and let the Dwarf Lord get some shots on you, you can pop that. And looks like there's a Corpse Cart with the Unholy Lodestone. Now, a little bit different here. We're not seeing black coaches. Normally you do see black coaches in this matchup to cycle charge Dwarves, but nonetheless, it's a good vampire build. Claire Farron, thank you very much for the 20 bucks. Hey, Turin, love your streams and the atmosphere you provide. Sending some love to you and Lady Turin. Stay healthy, you too, and keep rocking. I will. Thank you so much, Claire. Appreciate the support. Hopefully you're enjoying this battle, and let's do it to it. And yes, this dwarf build is somewhat standard against vampires. Usually like elite dwarven infantry to hold with Trollhammer torpedoes to kill the monsters is pretty standard, more or less. There's a couple different ways to play about it. We've seen Yumais bring some really cool builds where he uses a ton of Rangers and Bugman's Rangers and just kind of has volume of fire in that way and just kind of tries to win with a wider dwarven build. There's several ways you can play it, honestly, which is quite cool. Samuel Christensen, here's hoping the Skaven can do it for a 5th time. Yeah. There was a unit of Slayers. Ah, there is. Okay, I did miss them. Sorry. So the Dragonback Slayers are indeed here. Perhaps he hadn't deployed them yet when I was looking. So Dragonback Slayers will be very, very good at dealing with like Vargeist and diving pressure like that and really doing their business. So here comes the Fellbats flying overhead, going to be absorbing some of that Trollhammer torpedo fire. But basically what you do, you park the Fellbats over the Dwarven army. Once anything that the Trollhammer torpedoes can threaten wants to get in range, you target them with Fellbats and or zombie summons the entire game. That's really the way to do it. However, if you can isolate one of the Trollhammers, you can actually get pretty good pressure with Vargeist. Vargeist can tear them apart very quickly. So the Dwarven Hammer team's going to be charging in. Good play here. Ooh, Breath Attack coming in. Nice Breath Attack, but the Dwarves did partially dodge it. But even still, that is big value here for the Vampires. So very, very strong start here by Nameless, as he is able to get a beautiful Breath Attack there on those units. Blasting charges from Grombrindle being manually aimed over the top and nailing those Graveguard with great weapons. Man, look how much damage that did. Oh man, another volley. Those Graveguard are already down so low. Ironbreakers proving that they really don't mess around. Now in the backfield, there is a bit of a tar pit. We have zombies, we have Fellbats. Here we have Ironbreakers fighting back the Feasters in the dusk, which I'm not sure why the Feasters were committed against Ironbreakers. Probably should have kept them like to try and sneak through, or a little bit more of a careful engagement with them, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. So here comes the Vargeist. Holy shit, those Vargeist got popped in the face too. Look at their health. Damn, those Iron Drakes are doing work. And oh, look at this, guys. The Neckarch Vampire Lord is slowed. Oath of Vengeance is on him, and those Trollhammer torpedoes are ripping into his back. Those dwarves showing no mercy as they unleash a salvo of hellish fire here into the Neckarch Vampire Lord. In the meantime, Grombrindle holding firm with his Dragonback Slayers. It looks like he was able to secure his battle lines. Here are the Ironbreakers holding back zombies. The Peak Gate Guard are the ones that are in a little bit of trouble, but they are backed up by the High King Thorgrim. So Thorgrim here is just crushing many of these foul Graveguard and fighting shoulder to shoulder with the Peak Gate Guard, despite their HP being a little bit lower. Nonetheless, another Spirit Leech going down. Spirit Leech pretty good against lead infantry, even with the 25% mitigation. Oh, big Breath Attack coming in from the Neckarch Vampire Lord. Although, oh, that kind of sucked. Not by his fault, but it ended up going into the Graveguard more so. And the Hammerers are like, okay, thanks, Vampire Lord. Now they're just going to bounce over and re-secure the front line. And I think there's too many things going in the favor of the Dowie here. I feel like they're holding well. The Neckarch Vampire Lord's getting popped in the face pretty good by those Trollhammer torpedoes. And here comes another charge from the old Vargeist. So Vargeist getting a nice one into the back of the Iron Drakes here. But another salvo of blasting charges. Look how metal that shit is. Thorgrim just sitting among the flames, just bashing these foul Graveguards. Such a cool looking cinematic there. Thorgrim's such a cool character. But yeah, looking around, Vampire counts, what stopping power do they have left? They have the Neckarch Vampire Lord. They have a Corpse Guard here, but pretty much all the Graveguard are crumbling or are on death's bed, really. Cairn Race will potentially eventually beat Longbeards, but I mean, I don't think they're going to be able to get through them anytime soon. That would probably take another 5 minutes of combat. And the Dwarves still have both Iron Drakes online, 8 with this model and 21 here. That is a shit ton of stopping power. And it looks like those Iron Drakes are going to be positioning right now in guard mode and probably ripping some shots here into the Neckarch Vampire Lord. Yeah, here comes some volleys. Several of those torpedoes do hit. Balance of power is rapidly approaching army losses here. And yeah, something that I would really articulate as the solid play from the Dwarves was the blasting charge play. A lot of Dwarf players actually just let the blasting charges go automatically. They don't manually aim. And a little pro tip if you're playing Dwarves, if you have Iron Drakes or Miners with blasting charges in combat, you can put them in guard mode, give them an attack order at something else behind the target you're fighting, and they'll actually, most of them will throw their blasting charges. So you can actually attack things while also holding things in place with the blasting charges, and I think that was the big deciding factor. Many of the what's it called, of the Graveguard got brought down to like half health before the mainline, fighting even started for them, which is pretty disastrous for sure. And of course, in chat we have our resident Skaven champion, Hadries, excitedly rubbing his rat paws together at the prospect of the Dwarves making it further in another round, because obviously Skaven don't want to fight Vampire Counts, but they're more than happy to fight Dwarves. So pretty funny for sure. GG, well played. Grombrindle and the Dowie will be advancing on, and Thorgrim Grudgebearer smashing the corpse cart with his rune axe of Grimnir, and that is going to be it. GG, well played. GG, well played. Yeah, too many torpedoes too. You got to be really careful with the torpedoes. I think more conservative play from the Vampire Lord could have also been a little bit better. Granted, some of the breath attack angles were good in theory, but they ended up just being a little bit inefficient. As far as value accrued, I mean, yeah, pretty much all the elite Dwarven infantry did good except for one hammer team. Trollhammers got like almost 2,000 on some of them. And yeah, I mean, this build was good. I think a Black Coach can also be very strong for disrupting these type of formations. But there you have it, Dwarves. Thorgrim has advanced on. Let's go on over to the bracket. The Dwarves will be advancing to face the winner of the Greenskins or the Lizardmen. Now, for the sake of the Dwarves, they probably really want the Lizardmen to win, because Lizardmen is a much easier matchup for them than Greenskins, in my opinion. So there you go. Next round is up soon. Lizardmen versus Greenskins. Let's do it to it. GG, well played. Oh, it looks like both these players are Polish. They're speaking Polish together here in chat. Dobrze, dobrze. All right, here we go. Let's do it to it. Laughs in Grimnir. That's pretty funny. Yeah, always good for a cackle there. All right, so next match is going to be Vicious Satsuma on the Greenskins facing off against Ezekiel Abaddon, a newcomer here to this event with his Lizards. A matchup that some Greenskin players might say is actually favored for Lizards, although I think it's even. I actually think Greenskins have a decent matchup here. And yeah, so looking at our Hall of Champions again while we prepare this, we have Vicious Satsuma and Greenskins facing off against Ezekiel Abaddon, the War Master of Chaos, in charge of the Black Legion, kind of doing his jams. And start when ready. So this one is going to be on the Bone Zone, Pillar of Bone, a very, very fun map. So for short, we're just going to put his name as Abaddon. I think Abaddon has 1B. Abaddon versus Vicious Satsuma. All right. Very good. They're just kind of talking about the matchup, and it looks like we're good to go. Yeah, Satsuma is definitely one of the best Greenskin players out there. You guys think there's going to be a dreaded rule break? Well, this is a good map for rule breaks. There's plenty of ways to do it on this map. So, yeah, should be fun, man. Should be fun. Holy shit, can you guys imagine what Faction War is going to be like once we get to Game 3? And we have, what, 7 new factions at launch? Holy shit, this event's going to go to like a 5 or 6 hour event. But it doesn't matter. We're doing it. We're just going to start earlier. Would you consider High Elves a top 5 faction? Michael Peterson, no, I would not. I think High Elves are like a kind of a C tier faction, maybe a B tier faction. Definitely on the weaker end of the spectrum. Not that they're terrible. They're just like, yeah, they're not inherently as strong as some other factions. All right, so let's adjust the nameplates here. Get this going. Abaddon. And cool. Let's do it to it, man. What do you hope to see in the next batch of trailers, Slanesh or Tzeentch? Well, firstly, I would like to see a full, because we've kind of had our pickles tickled a little bit with Khorne. We've seen some cool units like the Bloodthirster, but I want to see the full Khorne roster really badly, actually. But after that, I want to see Nurgle. Nurgle is my favorite of the Chaos Gods factions, so I really want to see Nurgle. Nurgle and Khorne are probably my 2 favorite. I play both in tabletop. I have a Nurgle Death Guard army, and I also have a couple Nurgle demons. Not very many, but mainly the Death Guard. And then I also have a Khorne army in 40k, a smaller one. It's a World Eaters army, so I have like 20 Khorne Berserkers. I have a couple Rhinos. I have like some Lords and Raptors, and so I really do like Khorne and Nurgle's playstyle the most. Yeah, pretty fun. All right, so here we are for the Lizards. It's going to be triple Temple Guard box. Interesting. Backed up by Croxagors, a lot of armor piercing. Feral Stegodon, a massive force of Pterodons. We have a Mage of Light, so yeah, it looks like he's going for the OG, one of the builds that Felcon introduced me to a long time ago. Was using Barona's Time Warp on Temple Guard to just make them raid bosses. Yeah, it's a cool build. And for the forces of lizards, we got, not lizards, but greenskins, we got a lot of skirmishers, a nice brain buster going down there on the flank against the skinks, goblins, stone trolls, savage orc biggins, and no black orcs, so not going to be a ton of armor piercing to deal temple guard. That could actually be potentially a bit of a risk factor here. Those temple guard might be very, very tough to kill. Granted, savage orc biggins are such lawnmowers that they can really get in there and do some huge work against anything, but temple guard, you know, are pretty meaty for sure. Good melee defense, decent armor, they are no joke. And the Goblin Great Shaman is the other really competitive pick. If it's not Grom the Paunch, it's going to be a Goblin Great Shaman. And he arguably probably is better against lizards anyways, because of his anti-large, his armor piercing, all that sort of good stuff. So Barona's Time Warp going to be going down here. This will be buffing the melee attack of the Kroxigors, as well as the Temple Guard. And Temple Guard have a pretty happy little situation here. They have Kroxigors supporting them, and they also have anti-large against the Stone Trolls. We'll see what kind of impact they can have. In the meantime, Abaddon using his Pterodon Riders to chase down the very skirmishers on the edge. Though it looks like the Greenskin skirmishers are getting a slight edge in that engagement. Here the goblins are getting broken. Phos protection going down as well. This is actually really powerful. This Lizardman army getting so many nice stacking defensive buffs with Shield of the Old Ones as well. And many of the Savage Orc biggins are starting to be worn down here a little bit. Skink cohorts in the backfield unleashing their javelins into loose kind of threats here. Banishment from the Slann on the Savage Orc biggins appears to do some okay damage, but yeah, where's the big spider? It looks like the spider has engaged. It perhaps is going after either the Kroxigors and or the Feral Stegodon, and now it looks like Vicious Satsuma is going to be pulling back his Stone Trolls as the front line of Savage Orc biggins does start to get run over by the Temple Guard as well as the Kroxigors. Of course, Savage Orc biggins do, like I said, lack the armor piercing, and you know, oftentimes you will see Black Orcs in this matchup too to really dominate the infantry fight, but in this case, the Savage Orc biggins do end up losing that frontline fight. Granted, I think the Savage Orc biggins would have done a lot better if not for the support of the Slann, right? The Phos Protection Overcast, the Barona's Time Warp, those are all pretty big important factors. So Satsuma here going for a bit of a snipe, which is smart, going after the weaker point of the Lizard army. There is an isolated Feral Stegodon, which is getting attacked by the anti-large Goblin Great Shaman, as well as the River Troll Hag with her sack of meat. So a lot of good stuff going on there. Now, Trolls are broken. Sneaky Stabbin' was cast on them, but they'll probably come back no problem. Greenskin Skirmishers still kind of poking and being annoying around the battlefield, chasing down the Pterodon Riders. And the Slann's still rolling dirty, man. He's got his mobility scooter, and it looks like Don't Even Try It, used on him by the Goblin Great Shaman. Phos Protection overcasted once again. It looks like he was trying to hit the Feral Stegodon. And the Stegodon might be salvageable here with some Temple Guard moving in. They might be able to actually push back and salvage the terror-causing monster, but I have to say, the Temple Guard this game, very, very impressive performance. They've been able to really hold their own against the onslaught of very powerful Lizardmen infantry, but Satsuma's getting his nice isolations, and his skirmisher elements are doing pretty good for the most part. Now, really good play here by Abaddon. He's able to get the Skink Chief and chase down the Stone Trolls here. So the Stone Trolls are getting hunted. It looks like they do lose a model there, but really good usage of the Skink Chief. He's very cheap, right? Skink Chief character costs almost nothing. Thank you for the donation, Jorgen. My apologies if I mangled your name. I'll make sure to read it as soon as this game is over, my friend. So now Satsuma going for the counterpunch. You know, in many ways, Satsuma taking some blows this game, but going after the Slann and or the Big Dino and establishing dominance with the Goblin Great Shaman in the monster game certainly isn't bad. But look at this, a big flank of Kroxigors coming in. This could be a pin. The Kroxigors could actually potentially pin in the giant River Troll Hag if she's not careful. Although it looks like the Hag and the Spider are committing to go after the Kroxigors. This is a very, very even game. Greenskins do have a lot of skirmishers left. Their Spider is still pretty healthy. Savage Orc biggins here are cutting through. And as far as Temple Guard go, we have 54 Temple Guard here, 16 Temple Guard there, and it looks like in the distance we have another 43. The build proving to be very, very strong at this point. So both players saying good luck, have fun, good sportsmanship all around. Solid Shield of the Old Ones, man, giving a nice leadership buff to these units, while the Giant River Troll Hag, again, taking some nice anti-large attacks here from the Temple Guard. Kroxigors with their spanking paddles, providing some AP, though they're not great against monsters with their very low melee attack. They still can connect with a Goblin Great Shaman who only has 30 melee defense, and of course they're going to be pretty good at paddling down any number of threats. So the biggest thing for the Lizards at this point is consolidating your army. They need to get everything together. They need to get their Slann Mage, they need to get the Feral Stegodon in there with like a Cold Blood and keep them all together. That is the most important thing, but ooh, look at this, the big rout. The Greenskins able to finally break the Temple Guard position, and it looks like the Temple Guard here are shaken, and now they're back as they're swarmed by Goblin Wolf Riders. Should be able to hold them off. And the Feral Stegodon's being isolated. Vicious Satsuma showing some serious tenacity in a game in which he was fairly behind at many points. He's been able to kind of claw his way back with good engagements and isolations, and from there he does actually break the Feral Stegodon. So very, very strong stuff. Kroxigor's also broken, being chased off the battlefield by Greenskin Skirmishers. That's got to feel pretty good, and the little Skink Chief is now on his way back after having finished off the Stone Trolls. So I would imagine that the Skink Chief will lend his firepower against the Goblin Great Shaman, but I think at this point the game is probably over. I do think that the Salon is going to get killed here by the Goblin Great Shaman and or the Giant River Troll Hag. The Temple Guard did finally eventually break just due to pure attrition. And the Night Goblins, of course, probably were able to use some Fanatics on them, and that's a big, big playmaker. Got some Temple Guard and cohorts coming back, but that is going to be GG. It's just Salon does get crumped. What an excellent match, though. Very well played to Abaddon. You know, it's his first appearance in a faction war facing one of the best Greenskin players in the world. And he, had that game at several points. He was doing very well, but Satsuma is so scrappy. Even though losing the frontline engagement, his isolations and his getting the dinosaurs spread apart was very, very strong. So GG, well played. Is there a prize for this? Yes, there is. There is a prize for Faction War. It is usually pretty decent. Usually pretty decent, as it is today. So there you have it. Lizards are eliminated here in the beginning. Not a surprise. Greenskins are a very, very strong faction. But there's not too much fight here left in the Lizards, as they are going to be afflicted by army losses here in a hot second. The Wa continues on. The Goblin Great Shaman marching on his spider, chasing down the Blueberry Toad. Somebody's looking for a blueberry smoothie today, and this Goblin Great Shaman's going to have it. Although maybe the Salon will just teleport back to his Star Chamber and do his thing. King Chief is broken. Army losses. GG, well played. Vicious Satsuma advances on to face the Dwarves. So we have the Dwarves versus the Greenskins, the classic grudge match. I am very excited to see Grom Brindle, one of the best Dwarf players in the community, facing off against one of the best Greenskins. That is going to be very, very fun. Super hyped for that. Now, I really liked Abaddon's build. Look at the value on Temple Guard. They did great. 1,200, 1,200, only 600 on this one, but that's pretty good considering it's Greenskins. And the Croc scores didn't quite carry their weight, but aside from that, yeah, it was a good game. Satsuma's build, I actually thought he might be in trouble with the, look at the value mitigation on the Savage Orc Biggins. I mean, some of them did okay, despite not having good targets, but yeah, man, they, despite the front line not doing well, Temple Guard really performed, and yeah, he was able to really, really push it there. Mr. Hied in chat, 5-0 with his predictions. Can you go over rule breaks? There are no rule breaks today, Malcolm, so far, but as we get ready for the next game, I will indeed talk about them for you. Jorgen, thank you for the donation. Hello. I've been getting into quick play, and I play Dwarves, and I've been struggling versus Skaven. Any tips? So, the thing is, Jorgen, Skaven is hands down your hardest counter. Until there's some changes to the Dwarven roster, you're probably going to consistently lose that matchup without some serious innovation and kind of extreme tactics. Really, it's just such a bad matchup. Honestly, I would avoid it as best you can. Because Dwarfs don't really have that many bad matchups. Skaven and High Elves are probably their worst ones. Everything else are more than capable of winning, but those two are just so bad, man. So I would just avoid them, but because I really haven't found a good solution. One way I've gone about it is going with 5 gyrocopters. So I have like a Dwarven box in the back corner, and I use my gyros to overwhelm their guns and just use blasting charges to kill their death runners. But it's still very tricky. Brad, thanks for becoming a member. Really appreciate it. Welcome to the Dukes of Haggard, my friend. And now we will update the bracket. So let's go ahead and do it to it. And get ye old Greenskins to face the Dwarves. A grudge match of grudge matches. All right, perfect. So next up we have Bretonnia versus Skaven. 5 correct predictions in 4 games is pretty good. Yes, it is. It is. Sounds a little OP. All right, cool. So the players discussing the matchup. Well played, Abaddon. All right. I'm a big fan of the Abaddon as well. I like his story and the Aaron Dembski-Bowden books. So now we have the Skaven. We have a returning champion. Hadri's coming to defend his rat throne. Whatever rats sit on. Kaiser Wilhelm, add some of this to the prize pool. I will. Faction War is definitely your favorite format. Thank you so much, Kaiser, for the donation. And I will certainly add some of that to the prize pool. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the 50. And Faction War is going to be here until the sun and stars die out. As long as you guys keep watching, we'll keep doing it. And yeah, should be good, man. Let's go ahead and get this party started. So on the left side, we do have Hadri's on the Skaven. Hadri's and I got a couple practice games in the other night. And he was facing off against Ulrich Rahl. So let's go ahead and do this. Load into the lobby here. Update the nameplates and make them a little bit more powerful. Cool. No, well, loading in anyways. Doesn't matter if the build was apparent there for a second. Turin, do you think CA will actually add new units to Bretonnia via DLC? No, I don't. Because Bretonnia actually has their full roster from Tabletop. And on top of that, they have units that they didn't have in Tabletop. So Bretonnia is like one of the few factions that is actually fully complete from Tabletop. So I don't think they'll get new stuff. I mean, maybe like a free LC Lord or something. I don't know. I feel like they won't. Because Bretonnia has their full roster. I mean, maybe they could add some new stuff. I don't know. All right, guys. So if we take a look here at the forces of Bretonnia, it's going to be an artillery duel. We have double field trebuchet, Enchantress double paladin. So clearly Ulrich Rahl is here to win. He's got men-at-arms, spearmen-at-arms. He's got Knights of the Realm on the flanks, 1, 2, and Knights Errant as well. Wardens of Montfort and mounted yeoman archers. So certainly a very cool army. Yes, yes. How does one join the faction wars, asks Ricky. Well, Ricky, to answer your question, you just have to join my Discord. And when I have a sign up, there's qualifiers for this. So if you do the best with, let's say, Bretonnia in the qualifier, you qualify for the faction war. That's how it works. Tobias, thank you for the donation. Hey, Turin, I was thinking about an upkeep limit for campaign armies to prevent the inevitable doom stacks. Yeah, that's not a, you know, I'm not as experienced in campaign. I usually play more well-rounded armies, not always, but yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a bad idea. I think it encourages, but also there's something fun about like doom stacking and just doing that because, you know, you can just play either way you want, but yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I'm not really sure how I feel about that. They can get new stuff in the old world. Yeah, that's true. So for the Skaven champion here, it's going to be ya boy Hadries. He's got the double Warp Lightning Cannons, a Gracier Plague, and Mortar teams, and he has double Stormvermin Halberd backed up by a Chieftain. Double Chieftain on Bonebreaker. Wow, look at this. Very, very cool stuff. I definitely dig this. Pretty cool build. Now, the one thing that's a little bit scary for him is the Bretonnian Trebuchets can hide behind this tree line and shoot over, and the Warp Lightning Cannons will struggle to return fire. In my experience, Trebuchets actually outtrade many different artillery pieces, which is pretty hilarious. But, you know, again, we'll see how this goes here. Another question, someone had some mentions of rule breaks and what they can be. So there's a couple rule breaks that can happen, of course. Probably one of the most common ones is army limits. So we do have community guidelines put in place with the banner rules that limit the amount of certain types of units you can bring. So for example, in campaign, you can have 19 Royal Hippogriff Knights in your Bretonnian army. Here you can only have so many, right? You can only have one Necrofex Colossus in multiplayer, whereas campaign you can have 20. So there's limitations on certain types of units which can happen. On top of that, rule breaks would also constitute draw kiting. So for example, if you're losing the battle, but you don't want to lose the game, you just run in circles with a faster unit and your opponent can't catch you. That's a very common one. Another rule break is white line camping. So having your army deployed too close to the white line can be very unfair because against factions with low leadership, they just route right off the edge of the map and don't have room to rally. So there's a couple different ways that can happen. Henry, thank you for the donation. My homie told me to add $10 to the prize pool right now. We're really out here gaming to win money. All right, man. Sounds good. Thank you. Appreciate that. I will add it for you. And Dylan Lockwood, let's go, rats. I'm stuck working on a Saturday and struggling to stay awake. Then I see Turn streaming. Keep up the great content. I look forward to the Warhammer 3 hype. Me too. Man, the train is rolling. Thank you guys so much for your support. Sorry, guys. Got to move this. So let us know your predictions in chat. You pulling for the rats and Hadries. Hadries, of course, multi-time champion. Ulrich Rahl has made several appearances in the faction war, but hasn't won one yet. But Bretonnia is certainly a very strong faction for that. So what I can tell you from the Skaven is that Hadries is going to move forward with the Gracier, and he's going to try and use the dreaded 13th spell on top of the Field Trebuchet. Now, that will instantly kill it. So Hadries moving forward. He did this to me the other night when we were practicing. I was using Empire with cannons, and he advanced his Gracier just like this, and then he basically used the dreaded 13th spell to nuke my artillery, giving himself artillery superiority. So pretty cool for sure. Okay, we got a lot of fans of the rats here in chat. Looks like it's going both ways. Paladins and the Enchantress hiding in the trees, but you can see Hadries is coming for that, dude. He is coming for that juicy, dreaded 13th spell, I think. And it will instantly pretty much shatter that. Now, can the great... Yep, there it is. Here it comes, guys. Check this out. Oh, it's so cool. I love it. And the dreaded 13th spell is here. And the Field Trebuchet loses one of its models, and the Storm Vermin are easily going to be able to kill that crew. So yeah, one Trebuchet gone for one spell. That's very worth it. That's like, what, 600 gold instant killed with one spell? I mean, that's Bread City, man. So strong. So strong indeed. Gallahan, there are limits on that stuff already, yeah, when it comes to, like, you know, Greenskins and all that good stuff. So the Warp Lightning Cannon here is being attacked by the other Trebuchet, and it would appear it's taking some damage, but that's one less Field Trebuchet to worry about. You can see the Field Trebuchet here is shattered, and Hadries, the Dark Master of Skaven, is now falling back. Although, I'm not sure what the Storm Vermin Halberds are doing over here. They're standing a little bit isolated. Okay, it looks like Hadries is now moving them back in. The double Chieftains, I mean, certainly very capable. Chieftain head-to-head probably will beat down the Paladins. They have 1,000 more HP, better weapon strength, and are fairly armored as well. So Chieftain's a pretty good answer against the double Paladins. I really like that tech there from Hadries. In the meantime, in the backfield, Stormvermin Halberds are trying to fend off the Mounted Yeomen. It looks like one of the Warp Lightning Cannon crews for the Skaven has run. Hadri's, though, certainly has the tools to guard it. If he just moves the Council Guard after them, he should be able to rally that situation. In the meantime, Bretonnian Cavalry staying really far apart. You can actually see how the Knights of the Realm are chilling in the shadows here, really far away, out of range of the Warp Lightning Cannons. Very, very common stuff. So the Unholy Clamor is activated, giving the entire Skaven army leadership, and Hadri's does actually rally his other Warp Lightning Cannon and is going to be bringing that bad boy back. Mortar Fire doing some okay damage. It's mostly against like cheap men-at-arms and haggard units like that, but you can see it's still wearing down the infantry, which does force the Cav to fight the Halberds. A little bit unsupported for sure. Oh, an Awakening of the Wood going down, it looks like. Yeah, not too much damage. Dwellers below would have been much more devastating, but still does some work and, is able to pick off a couple rats here and there. So Bretonnia is still just getting a little bit of a surround. Good use of the Mounted Yeoman Archers. The Yeomen can actually pick off the artillery crews, and it looks like there is going to be a commitment of cavalry here. Surprising to see not a single Rat Ogre here, but yeah, man, look at the Knights of the Realm just getting last samurai as they charge in, and he takes back the commitment. He retreats, losing a ton of models there. Trebuchet is still shooting, but for the Skaven, this is looking quite good. They still have many of their artillery pieces back online. Chalice of Potions coming in. The rats, look at the rats pushing it. They're like, oh, get out of here, run, run. The rats are pushing the Warp Lightning Cannon away from the Fey Enchantress bombardment. Beautiful play there by Hadri's. That would have been far more devastating if he hadn't done that. Now, having both Warp Lightning Cannons online here is very strong for the Skaven. Many of the Bretonnian Cavalry are getting shreked pretty good. The Fey Enchantress and the two Paladins being very cautious, a little bit afraid to engage into the double Chieftain, as well as the Stormvermin Halberds. Looks like Skaven slaves here able to fight the Wardens of Montfort. And now finally one Warp Lightning Cannon is probably broken and may not come back. They got nuked pretty good. The Bretonnian Field Trebuchet, of course, continuing to blast in this entire time. Warp Lightning Cannons, though, have generated good value. And we have a donation coming in from Elkira. Here is some more money for the prize pool. I can't wait for Kislev, Ice Magic, and the Arctic Aesthetic are my favorite in any games that I offer, or that they offer. What faction gameplay mechanic are you most looking forward to? I really want to see Nurgle. Like, I really, really want to see Nurgle. Holy shit. Thank you so much for the 100 Canadian bucks. Appreciate that. And I'm most excited to see Nurgle. And I'll explain why as soon as the match is over. Thank you so much for that donation. Super generous. So is the other Warp Lightning Cannon crew going to be coming back online? I don't think so. I think that Hadri's is doing a really good job escorting his crews, though. As they get broken, he comes back and salvages them. Also, a little bit scary for the forces of Bretonnia is the fact that the mortar teams have been able to shoot almost their full payload here. Looks like a little bit of lag. Hopefully that will pass in just a moment as the Stormvermin Halberds continue to chase down the Fey Enchantress and, do some work there. So it's going, man. It's going. Come on. No disconnects. This has been such a good game so far. It looks like... looks like Ulrich Rahl yelling for the lady. Warp Lightning Cannon blasting into a couple of the Knights Errant, or Knights of the Realm, looking to kind of get into the Skaven cookie jar. But this Warp Lightning Cannon, somewhat healthy. Trebuchet crews are, of course, still blasting into it. What Ulrich is trying to do is basically kill all the Skaven ranged assets and then force the Skaven to move forward. It won't be too bad for the Skaven, though. They could honestly just do a slow march towards the Trebuchet, and I think that would be more or less fine. They're getting a lot of damage on this army here, so... yeah, a lot of beatings for sure, but you can never underestimate the Fey Enchantress. A lot of the battle will probably come down to the usage of the Chieftains. The Chieftains probably will be able to kind of, again, counterplay the Paladins, but Fey Enchantress has healing, and the Grey Seer is not going to be as impactful in combat. Hadri's 100% is going to be banking the Grey Seer Plague. Yeah, or excuse me, the what's it called? The Final Transmutation or Final Rat Summon. What the hell is that thing called? The dreaded 13th spell. How could I forget? It's like one of my favorite names ever. Narmi, thank you for the donation. Appreciate that. And a prayer for the Ogre Kingdoms as a pre-order faction. That would be really cool. I would certainly enjoy that quite a bit if we got them as a pre-order faction. Council Guard Stormvermin are now the prime target. It looks like the Warp Lightning Cannon crew is broken. And Hadri's, his rat blob has kind of moved out, realizing that they can't sit here any longer. There's no point in defending those Warp Lightning Cannons. Ulrich Rahl able to use his Mounted Yeoman plus his Trebuchets to pretty good effect. On top of that, the magic from the Fey Enchantress, very, very good. And yeah, I mean, that's a lot of elite Stormvermin to break, right? We have 112 here. We have 116, 120 Stormvermin there. That is a lot of stuff to break. Now, the main thing for Hadri's is he has to make sure his army doesn't get pulled apart. I know it's easy to do when you're being kind of swarmed and attacked from very wide angles like this. You want to chase things, you want to catch them. But keeping the Stormvermin box together, protecting them with the Chieftains, and just kind of slow pushing the Bretonnians until they are forced to commit to a big fight is 100% going to be the bread-winning strategy. In the back here, we do have Skaven slaves, and it looks like some Warp Lightning Cannon crews have come back, which is quite funny. You know, honestly, if you just leave those Warp Lightning Cannon crews in the corner, just kind of inconspicuous, they could come back to the late game if Bretonnia doesn't notice them. That could be something. the Chieftains here beat down the Men-at-Arms. Looks like Enchantress thinking about coming in here. She better be careful, though. I mean, those Chieftains should just 100% turn around and just give her a good old punch here. So Faye moves in there. I actually think that's a big mistake here. But Hadri's hasn't noticed it yet, I don't think. Yeah, but now the Chieftains have turned around. Enchantress is in a little bit of trouble. She better run. Chieftains have high weapon strength, 448, and it looks like she does take one shot. So yeah, pretty decent little trade for the Rats. Here, the Council Guard do brace for the charge of the Wardens of Montfort, and it looks like the two Chieftains going into the Enchantress. She overextends again, getting punched, but there needs to be some support here. If the two Paladins are able to isolate this one Chieftain, that's going to be a little bit of a disaster. So probably one of the first misplays from Hadri's this game is letting this Chieftain get 3v1'd here, but it looks like he will be able to get away, and I think the damage he did kind of net here on the Enchantress probably outweighs the damage that the little Chieftain took. So now they should probably turn around, fight the Paladins, honestly. If the Paladins want to overextend into Stormvermin Halberd positions, that's going to be a pretty good one. Daniel, thank you for the donation. Appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. And the Chieftains are now here, getting into fight. Let's go fisticuffs. The Stormvermin Halberds are supporting the Unholy Clamor, also active. And it looks like there's going to be an Earthblood going down from the Enchantress. But look at the Paladin taking a bit of a beating here. Chalice of Potion's going to be going down on those poor rats. That is going to do a lot of damage. They're very tightly packed right here. It looks like 119. That will probably take them down to around 100 models and do some big HP damage. We'll see. Oh, it was kind of offset. Didn't quite hit the center mass of that unit. And look at the two Chieftains, man. Just like we talked about, the two Chieftains just going apeshit on the Paladins. God damn, look at that. God damn, Joe Rogan. Yeah, those Paladins getting beat up by the Skaven Chieftains. Man, the armor piercing, the mass, they're really able to push back. And now, for the first time in the game, the Skaven actually do take the lead on the balance. Now, if they can actually kill a Paladin here, I think that's going to be a pretty big deal. Oh, the Paladin shatters. That is so big. And then Ulrich commits even more. He sends the Enchantress back in. This Paladin is surrounded by Stormvermin Halberds. And the Chieftains are going to be taking this Paladin to Poundland for sure. Pound Stretcher if you're in the UK. Whatever the best reference is for you there. Man, oh man. That Paladin getting the dirty from those Chieftains. And the Cavalry are charging in, trying to support the Enchantress Mortis Engine, of course, doing some work. But the Grey Seer continues to drop Clan Rat summons. Really nice Clan Rats, because that's going to surround the Bretonnia Knights and pin them into the Halberds, which is going to be a death sentence for them. I think Bretonnia needs to get a little bit more active with its infantry. Looks like Hadri's using the Bound Scorch ability. Actually gets some okay damage. And an Awakening of the Wood, trying to free up the Knights in the back. But the Council Guard Stormvermin are now piling in. The Chieftain here just taking down this Paladin. So much damage. One Chieftain is a little bit beat up, but ultimately that trade is super good for the Skaven. Super good. The elite Skaven army, the Stormvermin Halberd army. If there is a place for it to work, it would appear it's against Bretonnia. Hadri showing that he truly is a Skaven innovator, coming up with these awesome builds. And Bretonnia withdraws from the game. And the Skaven advance with the Stormvermin double Chieftain build. Yeah, man. Well played. Holy shit, man. That was an awesome game. I thought Ulrich Rahl was in good shape, but a couple little misplays with the Paladins gave the game to the Skaven for sure. Because the Skaven were actually a little bit behind when they were forced to advance, but the dreaded 13 spell in the beginning was super big too. Breaking the field trebuchet there was huge. If that second treb had been shooting, the Council Guard would have taken way more damage. Yeah, great game, man. Great game. That was a very exciting one. So now we can go on over to the bracket. And the Skaven will be advancing to face the winner of the Beastmen and Norsca. All right. Certainly some trying matchups for the Skaven, but we'll see who they end up facing here. All right, all right. Aetherian in chat, 5 for 5 on predictions. Oh, man. Look at that. Stormvermin OP. Yeah, I know. I guess they need some nerfs, huh? The Chieftains were really the MVPs there, though. That was so good. All right. So next up, we have Papa Palpatine on the Beastmen. Of course, he qualified as Chaos last time, but he switched to Beastmen this time. And Pug Nabone. Of course, we've seen in countless events, Pug Nabone, a very solid player, is going to be playing the forces of the Beastmen. So Palpatine and Pug Nabone. Pug Nabone. All right. So start when ready. Very good. Well played. Hadri says the rats chew on your bracket. Yes, yes. I love it. So to answer your question in chat, Elkira, regarding the mechanic I'm most excited to see, I am really excited to see what the meta is going to be looking like for, not meta, but what the campaign mechanic will be for Nurgle. I'm curious about like the corruption, like the plagues, like all that kind of thing. I think that's going to be really fun and thematic. Also, I think Tzeentch is going to have some super cool mechanics probably in campaign. So will Khorne. Khorne will probably just have like a blood tithe where like the more stuff you kill, like the more powerful campaign effects you get. Nurgle, though, is the one I'm probably most excited for, just because I really do enjoy Nurgle. Yeah. The new tech I bring is double Rat Ogre Chiefs, out DPS Paladins by a lot. Yeah, Hadries, we saw that. That was a really cool tech. We were actually commenting on that during the game. Yeah. So yeah, what somebody in chat asked what the current prize pool is. I'm not sure yet. I'm obviously putting in some cash out of my own pocket, but from there I have to go through the donations and see which ones were allocated to the prize pools. Then I have to take out taxes, because when I get those donations, I still have to pay taxes on them. So, you know, from there I have to do a little bit of math, but it's probably, you know, around $150, $200 in that range, I would imagine. All right, so loading into the battle, my friends. Let's go ahead and do it. We got Papa Palpatine. Oh my God, is it Khazrak the One-Eye? Oh God, it's Khazrak the One-Eye. Oh, why Palpatine? If he wins with Khazrak, holy shit. That's going to be some magic. Do you believe in miracles? Wookiee is a Nurgle legendary lord? Yes, we will see. Captain Grimblelocke, sad moves for the sad moo god. All right, guys, let us know in chat. Who are you rooting for? Is it the Beastmen? Let us get your most powerful moves in chat. Or is it going to be Norsca? You could just yell Norsca in all caps. I think that really fits their theme anyways. Yeah, so it's going to be Norsca versus the Beastmen. For the forces of the Beast People, it's going to be Ungor Spearman herds backed up by Gore herds. We do also have Chaos Spawn here, Khazrak the One-Eye, as well as a Bray Shaman of Beasts. Hey, Elkira, you're very welcome, and thank you so much for the generous donation. My only concern is Mammoth killing. I'm trying to think what's good against Mammoth here. I guess Ungor Raiders, basic Centaurs. Like, there's not much in this army that's actually good against the Mammoth, especially Khazrak. Khazrak's just terrible. We got Sons of Goros, a couple Raiders in the back certainly could do some work there, and a Bray Shaman of Manticore summoning. That is going to be it. Always with the Khazrak with this guy. I know, he always does it. Marauder Horsemen into the sunset. We do have Marauder Berserkers as well as basic Marauders. Quad Condom Wolf, very standard. Skin Wolves out-trade Centaurs pretty effectively. They're a little bit slower, but they regenerate and they have anti-large. Pretty much good against most of the Beastmen roster. And yeah, the build looking very strong from Pug na Bone, honestly. A much more standard build from Pug na Bone. Bringing Khazrak is obviously a meme in this matchup. He's not good. He is not good. No duel between Khazrak and Surtha Ek is a little bit disappointing, admittedly so. You know, we can't have everything in life. Sometimes you just have to pay the price. The Spawn are okay. Chaos Spawn can definitely drag down a Mammoth. The Mammoth only has 70 armor, and Spawn do hit pretty hard. The Beastmen Spawn don't hit quite as hard as the Chaos Undivided Spawn. Or the Khorne Spawn, which we saw in the preview battle, which have 190 weapon strength. That's some serious shit. All right. Yeah, pretty meta build for Norsca for sure. For the Beastmen, it has some meta elements, but of course, as soon as you bring Khazrak, the whole concept of meta goes out the window. I think he alone disqualifies you from that. But, you know, I hope to see Khazrak do well this game, or at least put up a fight, you know, on his way down. If he is going to get trash canned by Wulfric, at least let him do it valiantly. He does have a charge bonus of 113, which is certainly no joke. I mean, him against Marauders isn't bad. He can definitely charge into the Marauders and get some decent damage there. And right now, the Norsca army, actually the one playing the skirmish. Very strange to see Norskins running away from the Beastmen, but yeah, Marauder Berserkers trade super well. They can cut through Spawn, they can cut through Gore herds, pretty much the entire Beastmen army. And honestly, even if you go Bestigors, I find that Marauders do okay against them, because the Bestigors only have like 22 melee defense or something like that. So they can get chopped up pretty good. Definitely a little bit of a dicey situation. Let me have a sip of water here real quick, guys. Who is worse, Tretch or Khazrak? I would say Tretch. Yeah, probably Tretch. At least Khazrak has mobility, you know, and it's a chariot, so chariots are good in a number of situations. Like, Tretch is never good, is the problem. Seth, thank you for the donation. Turin, I want to get better at multiplayer with the Empire. Best advice? Love your appreciation of cool factor and competitive builds with your commentary. Hey, appreciate that. I'm actually putting out a guide to the Empire sometime this week with builds for every single matchup and give you some basic tips on how to play them, so that will be coming up this week. Thank you so much, Seth, and hopefully that video will be helpful for you. I already recorded all the audio, so I just need to kind of edit it together and do all that stuff. So the Beastmen just pressing in. Norsca very much on the defensive here, just pulling back, trying to maximize value from their skirmishers, but the Beastmen will now be engaging the front line. Marauders, of course, will defeat Ungor Spearmen, but with Spawn supporting, it's a little bit of a different picture. And here we have Spawn stacked on top of Ungors, and they are now starting to punch through some of the Marauder Berserkers. We'll see how that fight goes. Here comes the old Sea Fang. Oh, what a Sea Fang! Holy shit! Going down the Ungor Spearmen as well as the Gore herds. And here Khazrak One-Eye looking like he's going to be dying in the very beginning of the game here, as he gets attacked by Wulfric with Hunter of Champions. He pops Apocalyptic Visions, but he's surrounded by anti-large and is just taking an absolute beating. So, oh, will Kazarak escape here? Maybe. Kazarak's on the run, baby. He's still going. It looks like a Burning Head popped as well. Immediately, Norsca pulls ahead of the Balance of Power. Pugnabone not messing around at all. Does not want to lose this game to Kazarak One Eye, so clearly going for the kill very early. I would imagine some Centaurs should be committed here for Papa Palpatine. Maybe send them in against the Skin Wolves and get the charge. With Kazarak supporting, maybe they can actually do some work. And man, look at the damage on those Skin Wolves. Pretty nice little turnaround. In the meantime, Beastmen do overload this flank here. Take out 1 unit of Skin Wolves outright. Marauders and Berserkers here in the middle are being worn down, but not before taking a ton of damage. Man, oh man. Manticore Summon being used to snipe the Shaman Sorcerer of Fire, which is always a pretty good tactic. And now the Centaurs probably need to pull back and cycle charge a little bit, but Kazarak One Eye and company, man. The Skin Wolves are losing heavily due to the fact that they got charged. And Kazarak the One Eye, he's got his whip out, man. Hadri's in chat saying to ready your sad cow noises. Not yet, says the Beastmen, as they continue fighting and pull the Balance of Power back. Looks like a Burning Head attempt, but a nice dodge by Papa Palpatine. He's able to pull back before things get too ugly. And is once again using Centaurs to kill all the Skin Wolves. And yeah, one scattered and shattered Skin Wolves. The other ones here, 13 models, could potentially be chased down. We'll see what Palpatine decides to do. And Ungor Raiders are now shooting into Old Wulfric. Certainly not a bad choice as Kazarak moves in once again to hammer into the Berserker units. And if he is going to be good at something, it's going to be running into the infantry on his chariot with his huge charge bonus of 113. Seafang coming in. Seafang should be quite good here against the bunched up Raiders. Takes them down to about half health. And now the Horde of Centaurs just still, collapsing here and really getting some good value. Centaurs here hammering into the Berserkers in the front. Second Manticore Summon is active. I would imagine that Manticore Summon will be used to go after the Shaman Sorcerer and try and take out the Castra. While Kazarak the One Eye, I think this is the longest that Kazarak has ever survived in a battle. And he's still going strong. Hunter of Champions used. You better watch out, Kazarak. Don't get too close to Wulfric. Ooh, 2,100 HP. He needs to turn that pig chariot around and run. Thank you for the donation. Don't know how to read your name, my apologies, but really appreciate it. He says, just wait till they add Kazarak and AOS. Beastmen definitely just making sad cow noises in pretty much every game they play. But guys, Kazarak the One Eye seems to be taking over this battle. More so because of the beautiful Centaur play. Like, the Centaurs are dominating the mobile game. They chase down all the Skin Wolves. Now they're hammering into the Marauder Skirmishers to keep Wulfric from getting supported. And Wulfric gets taken down by Kazarak the One Eye. Look at this. With the Ungor Raiders shooting as well, and the Sons of Goros with the Manticore Summon. So the Manticore Summon, Sons of Goros, the Brave Shaman, and Kazarak just all teaming up on Wulfric. And that is going to be a victory for Kazarak the One Eye. The sad moo curse is over. Let those happy cow noises go. Release them. You are grazing in open pastures once again. Yes. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Guys, the happy moo noises are upon us. Kazarak getting a whopping 947 value. That's got to be a record for him. And yeah, honestly though, the thing that won the game was the Centaurs. Like, they outplayed the Skin Wolves super hard. Head up, I'm pretty sure Skin Wolves win, but several of the Skin Wolves did not get the charge. So then there's a huge charge bonus. They don't get it. They take the brunt of that damage, and then they get out-traded. So I think that was a big factor there. Man. That was, yeah, the Skin Wolves getting charged was probably one of the big deciding factors for sure. So going over to the bracket, we can update this. The Beastmen advance on, so it's going to be Beastmen versus Skaven. So we have the two Beastmen factions fighting each other. Skaven and Beastmen, so yeah. One Eye, baby. I know. It's happening. Hail Hydra. A great Death Guard tutorial from Lady Turin. Hope you do some more. Yeah, Lady Turin is going to do a Khorne Berserker next for our tutorials on the painting. So she's going to be working on a kit-bashed Khorne Berserker for my World Eaters army, which is painted as Black Legion, but yeah. Thank you so much for the donation, Hydra. Appreciate that one. So now we have Dark Elves versus Empire. This should be a fun matchup. It's one that we have quite often. GG, well played. And let's get this next game started. All right, all right. It looks pretty bad for the Beastmen in the beginning. With Kazarak almost getting caught and killed, I was like, ooh, this is going to be rough. How does one play in the tournaments? Michael, you just need to join my Discord and you can just sign up. I have public signups in my Discord for all these tournaments. So that's that, and just follow the instructions there, my friend. So next up, we have Kafka of Clan RTK facing off against XMT Ice Power Total War. Kafka, of course, our champion of Sigmar, and then Ice Power, our champion of the Dark Elf. So it originally was going to be Alfredino of ODM, but he couldn't play today. He had to cancel last minute due to some IRL stuff. So Kafka was the second Empire qualifier and will be coming in to defend Sigmar's throne here. All right, ready? Good luck, have fun. So the players are about ready. Let's do it to it, and let's party, man. Ice Power Total War. So we're most likely going to be seeing Manticores and Marathi. It is ice power after all. Turin, you were talking about starting competitive again now that your hand... yeah. Are you talking about me playing in tournaments? It's kind of tricky because I like to host them. But yeah, I play competitive matches on my own time. I don't play in too many tournaments because usually I'm hosting them or organizing them. But yeah, I have to get hand surgery again actually on June to fix, because I had the same problem in both hands, but one of them wasn't as bad. But it's getting worse, so I have to get it on my other hand. But it's going to be a much easier surgery this time. It's only 2 procedures as opposed to 4. All right, so we got a question from Mike. Mike says, Turin, quick question about your name. I always presumed it was you were named after the Polish city of Turin. No. So my middle name it correlates to my Italian ancestry. It's not from Lord of the Rings, actually. My dad's middle name is Turin. My grandpa's middle name was Turin. It's just it's a family name going back, and it comes from my Italian roots. Melody Wallace, Lady Turin, I'd love if you hosted speed painting competitions or some kind of hobby event for the hobby channel. I might stand a chance. Yeah, you know what? We could do that. I think that's a great idea, Melody. I think we could definitely do something like that. So we'll do something in that vein. Yes. All right, so let's load in. I've been talking. There was a couple times where I was going to do a video with me, Italian Spartacus, and Lady Turin, and do a speed painting competition with the 3 of us. But I think having a public one would be pretty good. If everyone submits like a 1 hour long speed painting competition, and they can basically, they just need to film it or record it with like OBS or something as like proof. I'm trying to think how we would do that, but it's something we can organize. Yeah. Hey, Turin, if we pray and devote our lives to the mullet, what favors will you grant us? Ooh, that's a tricky one. Well, you'll forever be blessed with glorious 80s hair metal. That's one thing. And sometime in your future, perhaps you'll come across a vintage muscle car. There's many great blessings that the mullet god provides. Yeah. I always thought it was due to the Shroud of Turin. No. A lot of people think it's because of Lord of the Rings, but it's actually my name, so... Here we are, guys. Sons of Sigmar facing off against the Dark Elves. Let us know your predictions. Who are you rooting for? For the Sons of Sigmar, it's going to be Kafka here with Volkmar the Grim, Flagellant, Sigmar Sun front line, no surprises. Huntsman and Silver Bullet, combination missile core, triple halberds in the back, a great cannon, as well as Empire Knights in the hill. So a very defensive build with halberd box and all sorts of good stuff. Now for the forces of Ice Power Total War, hands down one of the best Dark Elf players here in the community. An amazing player in general as well, having qualified for the ECL Grand Finals already. Scourge Runner Chariots, backed up by Dark Riders into the Sunset, Marathi and double Manticore, and then a bunch of Bleak Swords and Dread Spears with some Coldwood Knights. Very, very standard Ice Power. We actually saw Ice Power in the last Faction War. I believe he defeated... It was either the Faction War or the Qualifier, but he defeated Alfredino using this exact same build. And Alfredino, of course, was in the Grand Finals of the World Championship, so clearly this build for Ice Power Total War is very strong. Yeah. It's great stuff, man. It's great stuff. So let us know. Who do you think's going to win? Dark Elves or the Sons of Sigmar? So the Druki are advancing. The handgunners stand at the ready, as do the halberds. One big thing is going to make sure that you don't get caught into the big old juicy Soul Stealer blobs. Ice Power Total War is very, very good at that. He typically will find a way to force you to overcommit to something, and then from there he will punish you with a big Soul Stealer from Marathi, which can be devastating. Oftentimes you see Marathi get crazy good value over the course of games. Marathi taking some shots from the handgunners here. Looks like Silver Bullets ripping some juicy ones, and it is going to force them back, and immediately Marathi will be using the Wand of Crydon here on top of the Silver Bullets, and the Huntsman moving forward as well, shooting into some of the Bleak Swords, it would appear. But Volkmar the Grim going to be dropping a Soulfire Bombardment, which should nuke a couple units. Man, look at that wand damage. Holy shit, I never knew how to use that correctly, but that's actually really strong. But Volkmar gets some nice damage in the front line, and now the Flagellants have gone out to meet the Bleak Swords in combat. Flagellants and Sigmar Sons should trade okay here in the front. As Volkmar falls back, a little bit of an off timing there on that banishment. Should have been a little bit tighter, but in the end, the banishment is going to be a whiff. But you can't get them all. Taylor, thank you for the donation. I will make sure to check it out as soon as the game's over. Silver Bullets here ripping some good shots, but Ice Power Total War does potentially break through with the Scourge Runners, although it looks like they partially get caught. The double Manticore is going to be landing here, and I would imagine the Halberds of Sigmar will be advancing to try and meet those Manticores and get those Rampages. And Soul Stealer coming in here, not going to be that devastating. It's only going to hit Halberds and one Huntsman unit, and in the front line, Volkmar and the Flagellants and Sigmar Sons have broken through, but the back line is also being pressured pretty heavily. But there's a lot of Halberds in defensive units. Light Wizard here also being attacked by the Manticore. Dark Elves very good with double Manticore at sniping down Light Wizards and characters and casters of the Empire. But it looks like the Sons of Sigmar have actually pulled ahead very early on in this game, collapsing this Dark Elf flank. Empire Knights couching their lances and charging, just a thunderous charge here into the Dark Riders. should be able to break them down. And Volkmar the Grim seems to be in very good shape. So far, the Soul Stealers haven't been too devastating. Granted, that can change in an instant, right? If a big Soul Stealer kind of goes here and drops a blow here on the Feral Manticore, excuse me, on the Manticore, but where the Manticore is fighting, it would hit double halberds, it'd hit the Sigmar Sons, and I think a big Soul Stealer here would immediately pull the Bounce Power back. Now, very strong here for Kafka. He does have his artillery back, still shooting, which is great. Usually at this point in the game for the Empire, the artillery can potentially be compromised, but now the Dark Elves are starting to pull the Bounce Power back, as Volkmar the Grim is isolated by anti-large cavalry as well as Marathi. He might not be able to escape this easily. He might actually have to use a banishment, Soulfire Bombardment, or call in some reinforcements from some of the knightly orders to get some help there. Also, maybe turning the Great Cannon down here to shoot into the Volkmar blob would be very strong. So nets of Amachok going down. It looks like trying to free up Volkmar. He's still taking a lot of damage here. A very, very close match. Silver Bullet's able to rip a couple shots from the back, but Ice Power Total War reacts very quickly and does get these Scourge Runner Chariots on top of these units, and that is going to be the Troll Toll paid there. And the Great Cannon's offline also, so Ice Power Total War really coming into his own here in the fourth quarter of the game, starting to kind of pull ahead. There still are a shitload of Sigmarite infantry, which are going to be tough to kill, but that's nothing that a good Soul Stealer can't handle. So we got Halberds moving in. Volkmar being hunted once again by Marathi. She's coming for that mustache. And, ooh, nice Soulfire there, though. Does hit a lot of the Cold One Knights and also some of the infantry. Spearmen piling into cavalry. Flagellants, of course, will trade pretty well versus a number of units. Honestly, probably won't do terrible versus Manticores also. And it looks like the caster for the Empire is broken. He does have Shem's Burning Gaze, as well as Nets of Amachok. Very, very close battle, honestly. This one could still go either way. I think Ice Power has a slight advantage due to the fact that he shut down the cannon. The handgunners are offline here, and if Ice Power especially can follow up and finish off that caster, I think that might give him the game. Volkmar is certainly very tough to kill. It looks like one Manticore is pretty much out of the picture with negative 26 leadership. Probably not going to shatter there, but isn't going to be too much of a factor. And the Sigmarite infantry really showing that they can carry this game. They're more or less unbreakable, but man, that Soul Stealer is so good. Oh, it hits the Flagellant, Sigmar Sons, Halberds, everything. Man, so gross. So Volkmar coming in to try and encourage the troops. Obviously a pretty good idea at this point, as the Dark Elves do run a little bit rampant around the battlefields. And, you know, the fight does continue to rage on. Here comes Flagellants piling in to the back of the Dreadspears, who did have their backs turned to these mighty fanatics of Sigmar. Certainly a bit of a dangerous gambit here, but the Dreadspears should eventually lose that fight. The good thing, though, for the Dark Elves is that Volkmar is not going to be great against Marathi. The one thing that could help against Marathi, of course, is spears and halberds and things like that. Cold Knights moving in after the Grim one, but the halberds do form ranks and might be able to drag down a couple Cold Ones on the entry there. But it looks like Ice Power is going to be going for the low-hanging fruit here. Basically just, at this point, you know, you have the mobile advantage. Go for anything that's free before committing to the final fight. And if you do that, then, you know, there's going to be much less you have to deal with. It gives you more time to get your Winds of Magic going for another Soul Stealer. There's many pertinent reasons as to why you would want to do that. So this one Manticore is pretty healthy, too. The Sigmarite army advancing. 2 Scourge Runners going to be pretty nasty. Granted, much of the Empire army is unbreakable, but Scourge Runner rear charges into these halberds could be very strong. And a Banishment attempt actually coming in. Oh, I don't know if Ice Power sees this. Here comes Banishment. Ooh, okay, it does a little bit of damage. Definitely tickles the pickle of those knights there. And now it looks like the big charge is coming in. Volkmar should pop the Grand Shield of Faith here as Flagellants do charge in. And this is the fight. This is the fight for their lives, man. Here comes the Flagellants. There needs to be some buffs from Volkmar if he has them off cooldown. Dark Elves coming for the big surround. Here comes Scourge Runners, all sorts of units here. I love this matchup. I think Dark Elves vs. Empire is one of my favorite matchups to watch. Soulfire Bombardment, quite juicy. Hits the Cold One Knights. A lot of breaks going in, but the Soul Stealer probably going to carry this game. Because anything that's not unbreakable here is going to get terrified and just broken back. Of course, the Feral Manticore does cause terror. And it looks like Ice Power Total War probably going to get this one. I don't know, though. Those unbreakable troops are quite a pain. So Volkmar does bounce out. Sigmar Sons, Flagellants still fighting the good fight. Some basic Spearmen have rallied as well. The Manticore is back up in the sky. I would imagine we'll be diving in on Volkmar here in a hot second. How are the Spearmen doing? Just continuing to fight the Dark Riders. Not a lot of DPS for the Empire. Decent sustainability still left here, but not a lot of stopping power to take out something like a Feral Manticore. Did I just see an artillery piece shoot in? No, I don't know. I think that was the other Scourge Runner still blasting. Terror Rout's coming in for the Druki, though. We have 33 Flagellants, 16 here. Could this be one of those wild-ass games where, like, just the unbreakable Empire troops just kind of hold the line and win it? Man, that's pretty wild. We'll find out here. Volkmar the Grim getting attacked by the Feral Manticore. Certainly a grim situation for him. Flagellants breaking the last of these troops, but Marathi's, she's coming for her prey. And when she gets her eyes on this man here, she's gonna claim her prize. How many Sigmar Sons left? We've got 7, 23, and 13 respectively for the Empire Infantry. Certainly not a lot left, but the Dark Elves don't really have a whole lot either. I mean, just a couple Scourge Runners. Volkmar with the Grand Hammer of Sigmar would be quite nice right now to buff up these poor Flagellants, let them fight a little bit better. Terror Route probably going to go down to the Dark Riders here any moment. but I just don't think there's anything to stop Marathi. She's just too angry. And the Soul Stealers, again, were what carried the Dark Elves. I think without Soul Stealers, the Dark Elves would be in a pretty rough place for sure. It's very, very good. Sigmar tried to hold. It was a good fight. Kafka did an excellent job there. But in the end, Volkmar the Grim will be going down, and the Flagellants and other state troopers will fight to the last man. A very, very scrappy match, honestly. That one went about 8 minutes, and the Dark Elves were behind early on, but getting the cannon offline and some of those nice rear charges on the handgunners and those different things was very, very strong for sure. ODM Loopy in chat, 7 of 7 on predictions. Beautiful stuff indeed. Thank you to Taylor. He says, this is to go buy Lady Turn something nice. Don't buy Giamniak for breakfast with this. Buy only brownie points. Moo. Thank you so much for the donation, man. Hopefully I said that word right. I have no idea. And Bodvar, does anyone know any battle hymns to cheer the men? Definitely go listen to the Dwarven Misty Mountains chant from the Hobbit movies. That one grows like hair on your face instantly. Yeah. All right. Melody saying, well-fought mortals, but ancient evil prevails once again. Marathi certainly getting in there. Getting in there. Quite an impressive victory indeed. Well played to those two fine champions. And with that, the Dark Elves advance to face the winner of the High Elves and Tomb Kings. Either way, Tomb Kings High Elves is fair, or Tomb Kings Dark Elves, and I think there's a bunch of good matchups here on the bottom side. But loading back in here real quick, looking at the value, Volkmar was, of course, not bad, 1,800. Cannon, able to get about 500 handgunners. Yeah, the Halberds actually did pretty good. I mean, several of them paid for themselves. The Unbreakable troops were really, really solid, though. Like, Flagellants with over 1,000 value, but Marathi, 2,400 on those Soul Stealers. And, of course, both Manticores quite impactful indeed. Loading back here to the primary screen. We'll be getting into the next match of the day, which is going to be the last match of our round of 16 before we move on to the next kind of tier of things. Yeah, Soul Stealers, also quite good. Ah, Taylor meets Potato. Very good. Very good indeed. So, next match, let's go ahead and find it. It's going to be Davina Q, a newcomer, facing off against another newcomer here to the Faction War, and Biblington. So let's go ahead and get this match going. Tomb Kings versus High Elves should be quite a bit of fun. I always enjoy this matchup. Turin, I don't know if I asked this, but when do you think we'll get some DLC news? I have no idea. Hopefully soon. Hopefully like July or August or something. Yeah, soon. We need some action, you know. So Biblington. Okay. Got to get his name right. Facing off against Davina Q. Very good. All right. Ricardo, thank you for the 20. Hey, Turin, Nickelback, classic motorbikes, Palpatine, Poundland memes. You're truly a brother from another mother. Shout out from the UK. If you ever visit London, first pint is on me. Sounds good, man. Ricardo, appreciate that. I've never been to London, actually. I've been to England 2 or 3 times. Twice, I think. Yeah, twice. But we landed at Gatwick Airport, and then we went straight to Horsham. So I've only really seen small town England, and I had a great time. I actually really loved the culture there, and everyone was really nice. And yeah, I had a great time, man. I love the architecture. Like there's a lot of buildings in Horsham that were very like old, you know, from the olden days, and it was super cool to see them. And like the tile roads were really cool. Yeah, cheers, man. Ricardo, appreciate that. We'll have to potentially take you up on that someday. All right. Look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh as we load into the battle. Let's go ahead and do it. Looks like the names are fitting more or less okay here. Hold on. Oh, there we go. All set. We have Davina Q facing off against Biblington, the High Elf qualifier, against the Tomb Kings. And let's do it to it. Hank is 4 of 8 on predictions. Is that what you're saying? Is that how many matches have we had? Oh, okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see how you do on this one. This would be the first of the round of 8 for you. Should be fun. I really did like the English breakfasts. I mean, we obviously, my first experience, I say this on every stream, but my first experience in England was Wetherspoons. But the next couple days, we told the people at Creative Assembly, we're like, yeah, you know, we ate at Wetherspoons and they felt bad for us. So they took us out to really good breakfasts throughout the rest of the week when we were visiting. So we only had to eat at Spoons the first day. But from there, we got some good, proper English breakfast, which I really like. Yeah. Oh, perfect. Just stretching out a little bit. So, for the forces here, Biblington, we have an Archmage of Fire. Of course, can't go into a Tomb Kings matchup without bringing Burning Head. We have an Arcane Phoenix, Fireborn, a Ranger Battle Line. Rangers trade pretty well against Skeletons. They do lose to Tomb Guard, but Tomb Guard lose to Burning Head, so it's kind of like a rock, paper, scissors. We got Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, double Phoenix Guard, as well as Silver and Guard on the flanks. Pretty cool little Hile farm. Yeah, very tight, very compact, pretty efficient. Pretty efficient for sure. And now if we take a look at the forces of the Tomb Kings, we have Davina Q playing under the name of Lindsay Carrick today. It is going to be Skeleton Warriors into the Sunset, backed up here by Skeleton Horse Archers. We do also have a Tomb Prince, a Necrotect, and Cetra the Imperishable in the Chariot. I love it. Cetra is always fun to see in action. Can definitely do well against High Elf Infantry. And Skeleton Horseman Archers, Ushabti, Tomb Scorpion, and the Eyes of the Desert. So a pretty dynamic force here for the Tomb Kings. A little bit of everything. Only one Ushabti. Eyes of the Desert can certainly do well against cavalry and monsters. And the Tomb Scorpion helps deal with and get terror routes against the infantry. Yes. This is fun watching Turin, Anticity, and Ice Power streams. Oh yeah, everyone's streaming. That's so cool. Yeah, so Anticity, I believe, is streaming his attempt on this. And I think Ice Power Total Wars as well. Hang on a sec. One moment here. All right, so Contende, I just made you a moderator in chat. If you want a link to any of their streams, please feel free to do that. If anybody wants to watch the perspective of the players as well, you can do both. You can have them both open side by side, whatever you prefer, and go from there. Yeah, looks good, man. What are your predictions? Tomb Kings or High Elves? We've never had the High Elves get terribly far in this event, nor have the Tomb Kings. Tomb Kings always kind of get karate chopped in the earlier rounds. I think the furthest they've gotten is round 2. So it'd be really cool to see either of these factions progress past the second round. But again, the winner of this match is going to have to face a very, very tough opponent via the Ice Powers Dark Elves, right? High Elves versus Dark Elves, I think, is an even matchup. I think Dark Elves versus Tomb Kings is a fine matchup too. People used to think it was Tomb King favored until they just realized they can just bring Burning Head and just, then it's like, then it's a little bit of a tricky pickle for sure. So I don't know if the players are waiting for me. Let me go and double check. Start whenever. You need to visit Yorkshire. We carry the rest of England as... that's a bold statement. Some fighting words in chat. Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I always love going to Poland too. Especially, we go to Warsaw, usually where we stay. And we go stay in the old town of Warsaw. And it's so cool. I love it. Especially during the holidays with like the snow and just the old world feel. It's very magical for sure. It's very magical. So, Tomb Kings are advancing up, so too are the High Elves. It looks like the Rangers are kind of getting the high ground up on this little like slope right here. In the meantime, Davina getting the Skeleton Horseman Archers to skirmish and start shooting here. I would imagine, though, positioning these Skeleton Horseman Archers like right here in this opening and just shooting at the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower crew would be very, very strong for sure. So here on the flank, we do have Tomb Scorpions as well as Eyes of the Desert moving around, Tomb Princes, Necrotect, and Cetra the Imperishable. And see how this big overload goes. Probably going to try and force a fight with the Fireborn here. I would imagine that'd be pretty aggressive, but here comes a Fireball from the Archmage of Fire. Probably going to be going after Cetra. Might get a multi-value shot here, but it looks like it hits Cetra and does some okay topical damage. Good play here by Biblington, though, basically moving out the Silver and Guard to help buffer this situation. So the Silver and Guard can press into the Sepulchral Stalkers, while the Fireborn can take a head-on charge into Cetra with the support of Phoenix Guard. So suddenly it looks like some of the Tomb King's forces might be a little bit overextended, might want to rethink this engagement here, although they do get a nice isolation here on Silver and Guard. Might be able to get some decent kills. Here we do have a dive coming in. It looks like the Carrion do move in, but Phoenix Guard are there to fight them, and the Phoenix Guard will take apart Carrion very quickly. Even though Carrion are not infant or large, and the bonus versus large isn't there, Phoenix Guard still have 46 melee attack and will be able to do some very, very good work for that. Silver and Guard generating big value, holding back 2 Tomb King's characters. Here the Eyes of the Desert are at a very low amount of HP, and we do get a Tomb Scorpion moving in to fight the Fireborn. Supported by some Skeleton Warriors, but ultimately I think this is a big favored engagement here for the High Elves, as the Tomb Scorpion probably going to be crumped by these single entities and characters. And that Burning Head, oh my god, look at the angle of that Burning Head. It almost like looped all the way around and got these other skeletons. But the Rangers dominate the front line. Rangers very good against light infantry, especially skeletons, zombies, like chaff units like that. The Bolt Throwers both still online. It looks like the Phoenix Guard able to do their own. I think Davina falling a little bit behind here in this game, though some good openings for sure. Davina could take the skeletons and take out the Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers most likely, since they're a little bit undefended here. But losing one Tomb Scorpion that early to the Arcane... Oh, it's an Arcane Phoenix. Yeah, Arcane Phoenixes are world beaters for sure. Fireborn are pretty healthy. Arcane Phoenix pretty healthy. Phoenix Guard here pushing back many of the Tomb King's characters. And here you can see the Tomb King's characters are Carrion large, are you sure? Are they? I thought they were infantry sized. I could be wrong. Well, anyways, we'll take a look in another life. We'll find out. So Cetra the Imperishable and the Tomb Prince moving about, looking for some better engagements. So far, the Tomb Kings have been taking some heavy losses. Eyes of the Desert still online, though. Still could drop some really big shots, but I feel like they're going to be corralled and chased. I don't feel like there's enough support for them. Both bolt throwers might be taken offline here, but, you know, the fact that they are taking them offline temporarily at the cost of their own lives here, as the Phoenix Guard are quickly grinding through them. The Halberd's doing excellent damage against the anti-large, and now the Thunderous Charge of the Fireborn is coming in. Oh, that's going to be brutal. They got their lances couched. Oh, but why blue ball us? Oh, it looks like they got partially caught on the other one. I hate when that happens, man. We had such a good cinematic lined up, too. So Setcha the Imperishable being dominated by this Arcane Phoenix. He doesn't have any sort of resistances against it, and on top of that, fire damage does extra against Setcha. So you can add 22% to the 440 weapon strength, and then Setcha is just getting absolutely beaten on here. We do also have a Tomb Prince and the Necrotector lurking in the shadows. And the Ushabti Summon, I believe, is going to be wearing out in a moment, and that's only going to further the advantage here for the High Elves as the Arcane Phoenix continues to just beat on Setcha like a drum. Archmage of Fire probably sitting on some Burning Heads too, or not Burning Heads, but Fireballs, and yeah, basically Biblington has a very easy choice here. Just using the Arcane Phoenix to just chase Setcha for the rest of the game probably is honestly just a win condition. On top of that, Biblington does also have both Eagle Claw bolt throwers online and can easily just shoot downtown and start buttering up, you know, any of these like chariot characters and things like that. And the Ushabti Summon is going to be gone in just a hot second. So Archmage shoots a Fireball, Setcha the Imperishable, showing that he does indeed have an expiration date, and it is about 55-35 here in the last moments of the game as Setcha does. Oh man, we nailed that. We nailed that prediction. And the Spears and the Arcane Phoenix will be cleaning up the rest of the Tomb King's army. GG, well played. The High Elves will be advancing on with a very solid victory. Well played to both players. The Tomb Kings are going to be eliminated here in the first round. The Scorpion getting crumped early by the Phoenix, certainly a tough one. GG, well played. Hope to see Davina back in the event, qualifying once again. Biblington will be taking the High Elves to glory with a very efficient build. His build felt pretty tight, pretty well thought out, and was very, very strong. So GG, well played. So now we can go ahead and update the old bracket. So let's go over to the Faction War bracket. We have our round of 8. So as we approach round of 8, how is everyone doing? What are your predictions so far? Not your predictions per se, but what is your score on the predictions? Does anybody have a perfect score? I'd be really curious, but if you are playing Match Madness here with today's Faction War, do let me know your scores. So the remaining factions, we have Vampire Coast versus Wood Elves, Dwarfs versus Greenskins, Skaven versus Beastmen, and Dark Elves versus High Elves in the bracket. And that is the round of 8. So let's go ahead and go here. Do it to it. A solid win for the High Elves. And now we have Call Harmon versus Anticity. It always sucks when clanmates have to fight each other in tournaments, but it is inevitable when there's so many good players in ODM qualifying for events. Good luck, have fun. Start when ready. So now the Dark King Anticity prepares to battle good old Call Harmon, the bald man. Not messing around with that name. Call Harmon has done very well in a ton of my tournaments. And Anticity. Very good. No, hold on here. Call Harmon. Looks good. So we got some folks. 6 out of 8 there for Vengay. And then we got 8 of 8 on someone. Oh, all right. Whoa, no way you got none right. You're 0 for 8? Oh, brutal. Brutal stuff. It's pretty fun. It is Civil War time, I know. Only one can advance. Now the brackets get tricky, I know. The first rounds are a little bit easier to predict because they're, you know, since we do have a qualifier system with the earlier Faction Wars, typically in the earlier Faction Wars, the players' like skill levels were probably more even because it was an invitational. It was just like a showcase format. So I would just invite people who I thought were, you know, equal matches. But now that there's a qualifier system, sometimes you get people qualifying by reaching the finals or the top 8. And sometimes you have people qualify who are only reaching the second round or first round because they were like the only one to play their faction. I still think the qualifier format's way better, and it creates really interesting stories and lets new people get involved, and I think it's way better, and it's going to always be that way, but it does come with that double-edged sword as well. Yeah. Who was foolish enough to root for Beastmen? Well, whoever rooted for Beastmen got... A lot of people probably got the Beastmen one wrong in the beginning, you know? Michael is 6 for 8. We got Groot is 5 for 8. Fried Lobster Special apparently is 10 for 8. I don't know how that's possible. Sebastian 7 for 8. I did not foresee the Beastmen win. Yeah, see, that's what I suspect as well. A lot of people probably slept on the Beastmen, and then Papa Palpatine comes in with Kazrak one eye. Just goes apeshit. Yeah, man, what a game. All right, so let's load in here. Let's do it to it. The clanmates are going to be dueling. Certainly 2 favorites, right? Oh yeah, qualifiers are a way better format. It's way more fun, because I 100% agree. Pretty much all my events have switched to that. In the early days, when I was streaming, you know, I didn't know as many people in the community. So I used to just do mostly invitationals. But now that we have like a Discord and really active community and just a great admin culture, I think, yeah, it's way better to just do invitationals. Not invitationals, excuse me, qualifiers. All right, guys, let's take a look. Here we go. For the forces of the Kraken King, multi-time champion of the faction war. He's coming in with double gunnery whites, backed up by Celestra. Celestra, pretty good here. Definitely helps against the Wood Elf Rush. She's going to be good against Dryads. She can summon the Damned Knights Errant in the back line. And as far as spells, Tide Call isn't bad either. So we got 4 Scurvy Dogs, 4 Fell Bats, double Bomber, Halberds, double gunnery white with Scab's Grace, of course, just super powerful and the extra powder on themselves. Yeah. Pretty awesome for sure. Turin, it's an extra stream. It is. It is. It's really fun. It's really fun indeed. And now for the forces of Call Harmon, the mighty bald man. He's got a Dryad front line backed up by Glade Guard spam. Going to be pretty good. Very tough to protect, though. I mean, this many archers against Anticity's Hounds and like 4 Hounds and 4 Fellbats. Call Harmon's going to have to go apeshit with his defenses. And he does have a lot, though. And he probably knows how his clanmate plays, which is really funny. So he more or less probably knows what Anticity's going to bring. I bet you they both know what the other guy's bringing. 2 Wild Riders, triple Glade Guard, or Glade Rider. Like, you really just have to protect these archers. If he's able to protect the archers effectively, could for sure win this game. Now, where's the Lord choice for the Wood Elves? It looks like it is going to be Dryka in the back. All right, we got Dryka. Dryka's pretty cool. The summon's decent for kind of holding back Vampiric Infantry and really getting you some good DPS. And, of course, she's okay in combat, too. Yeah. Here we go. So who do you guys want to win? Are you rooting for the Kraken King or the mighty bald man, Call Harmon? That's what his name means, apparently. That's why I call him that. And also, if you guys are channel members, you should have access to some emojis for your respective factions. So there's a Vampire Coast emoji and a Wood Elf emoji. So you can show your flair with those. So here comes the Dryad Core advancing on. A very aggressive push. Dryka has moved up to engage with the Dryads. Scab's Grace will be quite strong, although the Dryads are a little bit of a loose formation. Scab's Grace will do more damage against, let's say, the Glade Guard. So trying to keep the Glade Guard out of range of that is going to be quite nice. Yep, Dryads falling back. Call Harmon moving forward the Starfire Shafts to start unleashing some big volleys here into the Vampiric forces. Wild Riders of Shields sitting on the flanks. This is good, though. You don't need to pressure this Vampire Coast army with anything aside from your archers. More or less just kind of sit there with your, your various cavalry and just prepare to defend. Here, Dryka is being sniped by the Gunnery Whites. Gunnery Whites getting a little bit of damage in Dryka. She takes a little bit of a poke, but it's not that big of a deal. What's really nice here for Call Harmon is that the forces of the Vampire Coast do not actually have any healing. So any damage he does on the Gunnery Whites or different characters is going to be very strong. Now, Anticity here does actually charge with the Fellbats onto the Glade Riders, and now is going to be swarming with the dogs. Wild Riders here, of course, fighting bats, and it looks like Call Harmon is really just being taxed in his micro, having to deal with all the different Fellbat pressure angles. Dryka and the Dryads moving in. Dryads, of course, will have pretty good engagements across the board. It looks like there is going to be a Kraken's Pull right here, and a Pendulum coming in from Dryka on top of the deckhand mobs. Kraken's Pull will probably be able to punish these archers pretty bad. And over here on the flank, we do have these Scurvy Dogs now swerving in. What a beautiful play by Anticity. Basically, he lured the skirmishers over here, or the cavalry, and now he has a huge opening to just sweep through this army. However, Call Harmon does have Wild Riders here that can potentially defend this whole angle. And it's only a matter of time before the Dryads win pretty much all the frontline engagements. Malevolent Dryads summoned on top of Bombers is a very, very strong play. But now the Damned Knights Errant have been summoned as well. But Anticity's actually in a little bit of trouble with his Gunnery White. His Gunnery White is being focused down by what appears to be 1, 2, 3, 4 of these archers, and there's no healing. Losing that Gunnery White early is something that doesn't happen terribly often to the Kraken King. On the flanks here, we do have Glade Riders coming in to protect, and it seems like these 4 archers should be more or less secure. Anticity's dogs are in okay shape. He's got all 4. But the Fellbats have been shut down. So now there are about 3 Wood Elf cavalry units to defend against 4 Scurvy Dogs, or at least 2 to defend against the 4, which isn't easy. But the Damned Knights aren't pushing in. They're at their first wave of deterioration. They do get a nice charge there. Bounce Fire's pretty even. Looks like the Kraken King will be losing this Gunnery White most likely. It's at negative 24, and it is going to be kind of wearing down here as the Scurvy Dogs do push after the Glade Guard. Very good pursuit. I mean, if you lose a unit against Anticity and his dogs are on the battlefield, you're sure as hell not going to be getting that unit back. The biggest thing here, though, for Call Harmon is to make sure that he can secure a couple archer units. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Glade Guard here. That's really good. For this point in the game, I mean, yeah, having those archers here and online is very strong. This is an extremely close game. If anything, Call Harmon might slightly be ahead, having killed the Gunnery Wight. And but the dogs, man, the dogs are such good pressure pieces. 37, 41 here, 37, it looks like 52. So yeah, still pretty healthy there. And the Damn Knights aren't doing a great job, actually racking up 63 kills. Hot damn. That is a really, really good performance. But here comes the Glade Guard with the Starfire Shafts. Dryka moving in. We will see if Anticity will be able to fight out of this this tough situation. There's still a shit ton of Wood Elf Archers, all of whom have pretty good ammo. Multiple Starfire Shafts in the battlefield, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it looks like at least 2 of those are Starfire Shafts. Actually, 3 of them. So that is a lot of damage against Celestra. As long as he has good ammunition conservation and doesn't like waste it on, you know, like the halberds or other things like that, he should have enough ammo to burn down Celestra. That is a lot. Very, very good game so far. So Celestra juking about, Scab's Grey still online. It looks like these are the Race of the Frozen Heart. Now they actually have Frostbite, so if they can catch Celestra, they can slow her down to speed in the 30s, which would allow Dryka and these other characters to potentially catch them. And now the firepower is coming in. Celestra is going to be going after Dryka, maybe looking to get some Tide Calls probably. I think that's why Celestra is moving up to drop a Tide Call here or a Kraken's Pull. And just like that, just like clockwork, baby, they are going to be getting hit with the Kraken's Pull, and that will do some good damage. They're going to try and move out, but they do also get slowed by that. Scab's Graith going down on the Race of the Frozen Heart, and Anticity actually pulling this game back a little bit. It looks like the balance of power is creeping back for him. A lot of it, again, is going to depend on how well do the Glade Riders do at defending against the Scurvy Dogs. The Scurvy Dogs really need to be dealt with. Otherwise, it's just going to be game blouses. Tide Call going in does slightly miss. The Archer Fire against Celestra really adding up. She's getting worn down heavily. Dryka trying to fight the Gunnery Wight, not really doing too much damage. She doesn't have the best armor-piercing values. And Call Harmon needs to get these Wild Riders to collapse on these Scurvy Dogs. And man, Anticity's Hound Micro is just relentless, right? And there's only so many Wood Elf Cavalry units, so he can't defend all of these angles. But Celestra looks to be going down. She's in a little bit of trouble, and this would be certainly a very, very big win for the Wood Elves here, taking out probably one of their strongest opponents in the entire tournament here. And looks like that is going to be some sort of a pendulum. Ooh, nice pendulum. Yeah, look at that pendulum. Actually goes down on the Scurvy Dogs. Call Harmon playing like a man possessed here as the Wild Riders in the backfield chase off these Scurvy Dogs and these ones as well. Multiple Archer units still online. Dryka having a bit of a tough fight versus that Gunnery Wight right here. But Celestra crumbling is huge. And of course, this Vampiric build does not have access to any healing. Which is, you know, actually we saw Anticity win a faction war doing that. He basically was using like Kraken's Pull and Tide Calls and different things like that to win his faction war. I think he actually won a really big game against Felcon with his Dark Elves by getting a Kraken's Pull and like hitting all of his Dark Riders. Celestra is down, and guys, it looks like the reign of the Kraken King will come to a temporary end. I'm sure he'll be back. He's an amazing player, great caster, and a great person. But he is going to be eliminated here by his clanmate, the Great Bald Man, and the Wood Elves claim victory. GG, well played. So with that, the Wood Elves will be advancing on. Dryka can scream happily in the forests once more. The Glade Guard spam, pretty efficient, and Call Harmon did a good job defending his back line. He did. Really excellent work with his cavalry, despite the amount of pressure Anticity had. An excellent job of protecting his line. So GG, well played. If anybody wants to go over to Anticity's stream and tell him that he's more than welcome to spectate my stream and cast the rest of the tournament, I'm more than happy for him to do that. So if somebody wants to tell him that, go ahead and head on over to his stream. Just because, you know, he's streaming, man. You know, let's keep that party going. So, going over to the bracket, that will be the Wood Elves advancing to face the winner of the Dwarfs and Greenskins. And let's go ahead and get ready for our next match here of the day. GG, well played. I'll tell Anticity right now. Feel free to spec my stream and cast games yourself. Cheers. All right. So just letting Anticity know if he wants to cast, he can. Bald Man showing no mercy today. As we get ready for our next match, the grudge match, the Greenskins versus the Dwarves. Is a Peasant Doomstack viable? I mean, Peasants are pretty good. Yeah. All right. Grombrindle versus Vicious Satsuma. Let's do it to it. It's been a really interesting faction war today. A lot of upsets and back and forth games. And now we have Satsuma here. Let's put Satsuma for short. Versus Grombrindle. Very good. All right. Start when ready. So we have Thorgrim Grudgebearer against Vicious Satsuma. Should be fun. And Ice Phoenix says, gotta say, I learned so much every time I watch one of these tourneys. Right on, man. Glad to hear that. Yeah, these tournaments are great because you're seeing top-level players just go fisticuffs. The predictions go oof now. Yeah, I saw some of the brackets before the event. A lot of people had Anticity winning the tournament. So this is, but you know, Wood Elves can be a tricky matchup for Coast. Coast sometimes does ban Wood Elves. Hey, Anticity, close my stream so I can chill here. No problem. I was going to say, Anticity, if you wanted to, you know, keep your stream going and just, you know, basically open my stream and mute my sound, you're more than welcome to like cast the games in the future. I'm totally fine with people doing that as long as I, you know who they are and give them a little bit of, you know, a nod there. But yeah, if you ever want to do that, man, you know, feel free. All right, Satsuma versus Grombrindle. It's going to be the Greenskins against the Dwarves. The most epic grudge match of all time. I think the Greenskins are probably the most hated foe of the Dwarves. Maybe Skaven. I don't know. Probably goes back and forth. I think Greenskins probably take the #1 spot. Yeah, Anticity played great games today, man. Had a solid win in the first round in a very close game against his clanmate. 2 top-tier players going at it. But I'm sure Anticity will be back to reclaim his sea throne once again in future faction wars. Man, I cannot wait for Game 3. God, why can't we just teleport to the day Game 3 comes out? Just give it to us. Oh. Sounds good, Anticity. But again, yeah, chilling and watching is fun too. Like, I'm the same way. I love watching tournaments. This is going to be fun, dude. This is going to be really fun. Oh, man. Gotta stretch out my old man shoulders. Also, if you guys are enjoying the stream, I hate asking for this, but if you guys don't mind dropping a like, it does help out quite a bit. Lets more people find the faction war after it goes up as a video, and is very helpful. So thank you guys so much. Gotta root for the Dwarves just because I hate the Greenskins in campaign. Yeah, Greenskins in campaign can be quite annoying, but so can the Dwarves. In my Bretonnian campaign, I have a rank 1 Dwarf faction just sending endless stacks of armor at me. It's so annoying. But again, if you're playing against Greenskins and they just like mass confederate the entire Badlands, and like that's annoying too. Yeah. So for the forces of the Dowie, who are going to be led by none other than Grombrindle, playing under the name of Chad Thorgrim today. He is going to be bringing Dwarf Warriors, Miners with Blasting Charges. Dwarf Warriors, a pretty low-tier infantry corps, backed up by Grombrindle, the White Dwarf, double Slayers in the backfield, no Dragonback Slayers, actually, and a Gyrocopter Air Force. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including the Skyhammer. Oh my god. What do I think of Kislev's Rasputin? I think he's going to be awesome. He's going to be like Volkmar, but for Kislev, which is really cool. Yeah, I'm so excited. And here for Grombrindle, yes, he's got Trollhammer Torpedoes as well to help against chariots, but that is a big old, thick Royal Dowie Air Force. And now if we look here at the army of Satsuma, it's going to be a bunch of archers. So he's got Goblin Archers, Night Goblin Archers, as well as Goblin Wolf Riders. Backfield's going to be Orc Boys, and Orc Boys, backed up by double Black Orcs and double Rocklobber with a Hag, and a Night Goblin Warboss, which is super cool. No Tormentor's Sword, though. Interesting choice. Oh, he's on foot, that's why. So yeah, he does have the Fanatics as well as the Fermented Fungi. Oh my god. So Satsuma, you know, trying to win the hearts of the people. He probably knows that people generally don't like watching Greenskins these days, but he brings the Night Goblin Warboss on foot. So yeah, pretty awesome stuff for sure. Triple Rocklobber, pretty good. I played against Grombrindle quite a bit, and I have used Rocklobbers against him in the past, and they've certainly done well. The Grombrindle here with the Royal Dowie Air Force, I honestly don't know if the Greenskins have enough to deal with it. Actually, that's not true. 3 Wolf Rider Archers plus 4 Goblin Archers and Spirit Leech. Yeah, plus Morgrims. Actually, they should be fine. They should be fine, honestly. So, the Gyrocopters taking a Spirit Leech here. Grombrindle getting focused pretty heavily. You can see the Gyrocopters, despite their 100 armor, certainly taking a bit of a pounding. What you want to do with the Gyrocopters is not fight in the middle like this. What you want to do is actually move out to the flanks and attack the weaker side. Because right now, he's playing into the game here of the Greenskins, as there's just so many haggard arrows going up in the sky. And honestly, as much as I hate to say it, Grombrindle might be losing the game here very, very early. If he just lets these Gyrocopters keep getting pounded like this, he's going to have a very, very bad time. So a bit of a disastrous start from the Dwarves. The Gyrocopters here sent in, he probably overestimated their combat prowess, as a million haggard archers are able to just drag them down. So an unfortunate misplay after playing such a strong first game. You know what can happen. So Gyro Bomber going to be dropping a payload here. He does get a nice drop there on the Night Goblin Archers, which are actually Fanatics, mind you. The other Gyrocopters still fighting, but yeah, the Brimstone guns are being focused down by the Daka, and a lot of unfortunate damage. At least the Skyhammer's still going, though. I would imagine going to be trying to drop some payloads here, and the Gyrocopter's still going to be rallied. He didn't actually lose that much in terms of the... Oh, look at the payload there. If this thing can keep going, man, that's going to be strong, but I have a feeling it's just going to get Spirit Leeched, and he's going to pay a bit of a price. But okay, so one Rocklobber's gone. If I were Grombrindle, what I would do is get all my Gyrocopters back and reform ranks and just use them defensively. Because this is a disaster, man. This is like a straight-up disaster. Spirit Leech is going down. Skyhammer is going to be paying the ultimate price. Yeah, that's not good, man. Not good at all. So the Dwarf army is going to be advancing in. You got to get those gyrocopters back. He's got to stop sending them to their doom. I'm not sure. I think he's trying to snipe the hag now, which isn't necessarily a bad idea, but get them back. Wait for your main battle line to arrive, and then re-engage. Now, the gyrocopters still have full firing capacity. We have 3, and well, this one's about to lose some models, it looks like, especially with Spirit Leech. And one of them is going to go offline 100%. But yeah, the gyrocopters are back. Grombrindle needs to be more careful with them 100%. And Dawi, this is fine. No, definitely not fine. He has done some damage. I mean, the hag is a little bit low. I mean, now we'll see how the rest of the Dwarven army fares. I feel like it's not going to be great. There's 2 Black Orcs in the back as well, and there's not too many answers against them. Grombrindle, of course, packs a bit of a punch, but now the gyros need to be used more like archer units and use them behind your battle lines. Yeah, look at that. Gyrocopter going down here. The other gyrocopter is just getting focused. A little bit of sloppy gyro micro, and this is definitely hurting the dwarves pretty bad. Fanatics are loosed. And you can see the Mighty Dwarf Warriors are crumped pretty good. Not too much damage, but, you know, certainly sending a message. And now Blasting Charge is going down on top of the Night Goblin Fanatic Archers. The other Fanatics over there did some huge damage. The Fanatic Archers across the board, look at that! Coming in from Satsuma, just going through all the Dwarven infantry, man. Beautiful, beautiful value. Now, one way the Dwarves could get back in this game is maybe if Grombrindle can, like, karate chop the Goblin, but I don't think there's going to be any such gimmies there. As the Black Orcs are now being called from the back ranks, the heavily armored, just a meat here of the Greenskin army is going to be engaging against Slayers, which is an absolute disaster. Slayers will get massacred by Black Orcs. They just don't have the armor piercing to get through the big HP pool and armor there of the Black Orcs. Now, Blasting Charge is going down. Gyrocopters, the Skyhammer is coming back. The other Gyrocopter is on its way back. But overall, I think it's going to just be a loss for the Dwarves. I don't see too much hope. I would love to be proved wrong here, but there's just too many inefficient engagements. Here, another beautiful Fanatic coming in from the Goblin Fanatics, going through the Dwarven infantry. And though the Orc Boys are breaking down, Grombrindle hasn't really been able to find a home yet. We still have triple Rock Lobbers online, all of whom have used a ton of ammunition. Blasting Charge is still saturating well. In the back, the Trollhammer Torpedoes are compromised by a bunch of Wolf Riders, which is a pretty unfortunate way to go. And how much are we looking at here on the bounce power? It looks like about 60% here for the Greenskins. Pretty early on, too. We're not even at the 5-minute mark. Grombrindle going after the Night Goblin Warboss. Should be able to put up a good fight here. I mean, this is like one way the Dwarves can maybe pull off a miracle. If Grombrindle can take out the Warboss here, and then if he can get the Hag, too. If he can get a 2-for-1 there, that'd be very, very nice. And it looks like Rampage going down on Grombrindle, but I don't think he's low enough for it to actually trigger. And the Greenskin Warlord is, getting grudged pretty good. So at the very least, Grombrindle is going to get some value here against the Night Goblin Warboss. Who's a little bit trapped up here, and yeah, it looks like he's just trying to rout away, but it's not doing much. In the back, we do have Slayers trying to chase, but I mean, Night Goblin Fanatics can probably drag them down. We got Trollhammers offline here, a couple Slayers who've had to fight Black Orcs to the death. And look at how terrible of an engagement this is for the Slayers. They lost all their models, killed 4 Black Orcs, and did like 15% HP damage. That is a pretty nasty one. That's got to be GG there. Ultimately, I do think Grombrindle's build could have won this. I think the Gyrocopter play was just so disastrous that it cost him the game, which is unfortunate. But, everybody has bad games every now and then. It's an easy mistake to make when you're being attacked by artillery. There are skirmishers poking you. And Gyrocopters can be a little bit tricky. So there you have it. I think Greenskin's going to win this one. It looks like claiming victory over their dowie foes. The Dwarfs will be back with a vengeance in the future, I am sure. But here comes Grombrindle, the White Dwarf, fighting here in the pits. The last of his people. Miners with Blasting Charges going to be cut apart by Black Orcs, so too will these ones. Many of the other Dwarven value pieces going to be chased off the battlefield. A couple of Slayers here doing a good job actually getting that Rock Lobber offline, but Fanatics and Orc Boys here should be able to finish them off. There's only 16, so there's not too many. There's not too many, that is for sure. The last of the Slayers, they're getting the end they want. Just a brutal fight here against the Greenskins to the death. And yeah, that's the Slayer Oath being fulfilled, that is for sure, as that Slayer does get taken out in a pretty dramatic fashion here. Grombrindle's still fighting. Not really sure why. I think it's more or less over here. The Black Orcs will easily be able to solo Grombrindle, no problem. He is not going to be able to withstand their armor-piercing punch. 50 weapon strength, 5,000 HP. They start with 8,000 plus, and now he's just going to withdraw and use all of his missiles to focus down Grombrindle, which is certainly a smart play. So we got Hank with 7 out of 11 predictions. We got Elwyn with 6 out of 10. 7 out of 10 there for Real Human Being. Okay. So some solid scores so far. There's been some upsets, though, for sure. There's definitely been some upsets, which I think have probably screwed up a lot of people's brackets. B-Master with 9 out of 10. That's very impressive. I'm curious, B-Master, which one did you get wrong in terms of your predictions? We cannot get out. They have taken the gates in the Great Hall. Yeah, for sure. I think gyrocopter spam can be good against dwarves, but you have to be really on top of your micro. You have to be like juking and really, really doing your thing. Looks like Thorgrim with the sad face there. Satsuma there claiming victory. Spirit Leech on Thorgrim works. But yeah, the White Dwarf, you know, fighting to the bitter end. Fighting to the bitter end. Turin, that Goblin skill, that should be campaign-only skill, destroying... It's pretty good for sure. But it's not the reason why the Dwarves lost. Because if you think about the Fanatics, they really only did like a minor HP damage on like low-tier Dwarven infantry in this fight. Why they lost is because the Dwarves lost like almost 3,000 gold worth of gyrocopters and got nothing in return. That's why this game was lost. There was really no other factors. That was it. If the gyrocopters had been used more carefully, it could have been 100% a different game. 100% a different game. Loopy's 8 out of 10. Or 0's 8 out of 10, but Loopy has the same rest of the bracket. Okay. So you guys could tie. If there is a tie, the Steam gift card or the PayPal donation, whatever you prefer, will be split. So yeah, for anyone participating in Match Madness, there is a prize. It's like, I think it's like 20 bucks or something. So you can get it via Steam gift card if you win, or PayPal direct pay if you want. All right, GG, well played. I believe this is the well-known digesting the lost face. The Greenskins carry on once again. Satsuma, though, you know, not using Grom, using some very cool units. Oh my god, look at the little Goblin War Boss, guys. He only got 69 value. Oh, dude, he knows. He did that on purpose. Satsuma is just nodding his head over there in approval. 69 value on that bad boy. Yeah, little Goblin Archers all did okay. Nothing crazy, but yeah, the Black Orcs, of course, cleaned up, and the Rock Clobbers did their thing. A cool build, but the Gyrocopter play was just really, really off that game, and it did cost him pretty bad. So, now we have the Greenskins versus the Wood Elves to see who'll be making it. And now we have Skaven versus Beastmen, so it's going to be Hadries facing off against ye old Beastmen here. It's a matchup that used to be bad for Skaven, right? And then you had the Skaven get their DLC, then it became an even matchup, then Skaven got nerfed, and then Beastmen got a little bit more in that matchup, but I still think Skaven are totally fine here. All right. A lot of it depends on the map. All right, so we're loading in. Give me just a second. 69 value. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah. All right, so we're on the Sword of Torgald for this one. Beastmen certainly can get some aggressive tactics. Good luck, have fun. And we'll go ahead and update the nameplates, and we'll be good to go. Palpatine versus Hadries. We'll see if there's going to be some evil maniacal cackling. Certainly something that could happen here. Last in Skarsnik, yeah. Always a good time. That is a good time for sure. Yeah, Greenskin Daka is surprisingly good. It's I love the Fanatic tech though that Satsuma brought. It's really cool because they can, like, you know, put some decent firepower out, and also the Fanatics are really good against dwarves. If they bring any quality infantry, it can be kind of tough for them. Is that Hellebron James in the background? Yeah, it is. It's her fighting Larry from the old DLC. So we have the Battle of the Beastmen here, guys. The true Beastmen factions going to war, and we will see which one comes out on top. Aetherian, I gotta go now, but I'm 9. You're 9 out of 10? Shit, man, that's really good. Aetherian coming in with awesome predictions today. Which one did you get wrong, Aetherian? Yeah, well, we'll see. If he brings Khazrak and wins this, I'm gonna be so impressed with Palpatine, man. Oh my god, we have Khazrak the One-Eye. Holy shit, man. Oh, it's happening. Okay, let's look at the Skaven army first. So for Hadries, it's going to be a defensive mortar position, which is pretty standard. So he's got Globadiers, he's got mortars, Wolf Rats to counter the Beastmen, you know, harass. So when Beastmen come in with like Centaurs and different things like that, you can counterpunch them with Wolf Rats. We have Rat Ogres, Council Guard Storm Vermin, Clan Rats, Clan Rats, Clan Rats, and Skaven Slaves. And it looks like it is going to be Gorich! Hadries bringing in Gorich! Gorich versus Khazrak in a high-level competitive game? What planet are we on? A Gracier Plague as well. And the lore choice, I did not quite see it. No, yeah, it's a Gracier Plague and Gorich, and that's pretty much it. Wow. And a Packmaster, too. Packmaster, pretty nice for supporting the Wolf Rats. He does have a nice little buff with his Master Controller with them. So, yeah, cool Skaven army. Very, very neat stuff. Now for the forces of the Beastmen, it's going to be Ungors and Gore Herds, of course. No surprises there. We have double Razor Gore Chariot, probably expecting Storm Vermin, because, again, we've seen that become a little bit more common here in the meta, Storm Vermin being used. So having the big AP chariots against Skaven here, you know, is kind of helpful. Chaos Warhounds with Poison, Centaurs to collapse and do pressure. Khazrak the One-Eye is going to probably be vanguarding somewhere. It looks like Khazrak is here with the Beastcaster, so it is a Manticore Summoner, and Khazrak the One-Eye is ready as well. Holy shit. Let us know your predictions in chat. Are you guys rooting for the Skaven or the Beastmen. So you can either, make whatever sounds a rat makes in chat, or you can let your moves be released once again in the deep. He took my eye. Dude, what if Khazrak wins the entire faction war? He just like comes in and defeats like the Greenskins or Wood Elves in the finals and just like, oh my god, Khazrak. Why with the memes now Skaven? But I mean, I still think Gorich is probably stronger than Khazrak. Gorich causes terror, doesn't he? Yeah, he does. That's all right. So yeah, the Skaven, Gorich, I guess, is brought like as a terror piece because he can rout off many of the Beastmen forces, whereas like, the Grey Seer doesn't have it. Yeah. So, that's kind of nice. Packmaster does, though, so I guess there already is a source of terror here, but we'll see. We will see. Let's go, Skaven. Excited cow noises. I know. All the cows are definitely having a good day so far. Hadries is a very smart deployment. Like, with the Beastmen being what they are, you don't want to deploy close to the forest, because they can Vanguard over here, so Hadries obviously knows this, and is going to be taking a more kind of cautious approach out here. Yeah. No, it's very, very common. Like, you never deploy near this forest as Skaven, ever. Because Beastmen, there's Vanguard areas over here, and against Beastmen, that's just like a death sentence. If you Vanguarded right here, or deployed here with Skaven, you would just get swarmed so quickly. It would be rough. So deploying on the side where Vanguard isn't as much of a threat is really, really smart. 100%. My Beastie Boys about to rock these rats, says Techno Zon. Well, we'll see. Milk for the milk throne. I mean, the poor Beastmen, just getting no love anywhere. The Beastmen are terrible in tabletop. They're lacking content in this game. They haven't gotten a DLC in like, what? How long has it been since the Beastmen DLC came out? Their own launch? Like 4 years? But it's been 4 years. Morker just has like this like decrepit like gray beard. He's like, I was there 3,000 years ago. Well, the two Beastmen factions are now fighting. Skaven reforming, seeing where the Beastmen army is. Khazrak and his Vanguard immediately going to be pushing out of the forest. Khazrak can take his time, though. There's no, no Jezzails to snipe him or anything like that. So the main thing Khazrak has to watch out for is the Packmaster and Gorich, both of which can beat the brakes off Khazrak. But aside from that, he can take his time. Also, the Beastmen don't necessarily have to advance out. Did it freeze? Or are they just not moving at the moment? Okay, a little bit of lag here. Hopefully that'll subside. Let's give it a second. I don't think it's on my end. Seems like the rats are moving again. More like 6 years. It's been 84 years. I know. Okay, seems like it's okay. Seems like it's a-okay. Yep, Skaven army moving again. Beastman army is advancing. Just a tiny bit of lag there. Of course, it's inevitable when you have a caster and 2 players and a bunch of people in the lobbies. Let me make sure there's no one sneaking in the lobbies causing problems. Can happen from time to time. So here comes the chariot. The Razorgore chariot actually attacking the Grey Seer Plague, but Gorich is coming. Man, Gorich is so cool. Look at his pack, like, letting out warp fumes as he, like, hunts down the Razorgores. He's got to be careful, though. Gorich could be surrounded by Centaurs as well as Hounds if Hadries isn't careful here. Oh, Gorich! No, he's overextending. Gorich has got to run, man. If he gets caught by those units, that would be really bad. However, Skaven could also let Gorich get caught, and then they could use their Globeteers and Mortars to really punish that position. So now the Beastmen are coming with more or less a full Vanguard. The Ungors and these different units getting ready to envelop the Skaven force, and Hadries is just kind of bracing for the storm. Mortars haven't done too much damage yet. I mean, they've tickled a little bit of the pickles, but really not that bad. I mean, minimal damage. Some of the Raiders took like 1 volley. Those mortars actually just missed pretty horribly there. So really the mortar teams have not done that much yet, so that's going to be quite nice. Feral Manticore summon. Hadries very much in his defensive posture. Clan Rats waiting to face off against Ungor Spearmen. The Battle of the Haggard Chaff is upon us. And right now, the Wolf Rats are basically just waiting to see where the Centaurs are going to go, or might be used to go after the Feral Manticore. A little bit hard to tell. Ungors into Rat Ogres. We have the Razorgore Chariots of Papa Palpatine hammering in, and it looks like Gorich is also going to be jumping on the Manticore here. But the Skaven front line instantly buckles against the Ungor and Razorgore pressure. The Bray Shaman here, of course, helping. And yeah, this is going to be tricky for the Skaven. They're going to have a lot of pressure into their back line. Definitely need to start dropping some summons with the Grey Seer. And I'm sure Hadries will also have the dreaded 13th spell for the very late game. So now Chariots have gotten in, but the Packmaster responds very well. Scrying Stone pops, and Gorich just kind of hanging out here. Not sure where he wants to go yet. Taking a little bit of Raider fire. In the backfield, we do have the Wolf Rats countercharging the Chaos Warhounds, which is a very, very strong play. Chasing down the mobility will give the Skaven a lot more freedom to reposition without having to worry about their flanks being compromised. However, Mortar team here completely crumped by the Manticore summon and some Centaurs. And now Gorich, as well as the Packmaster, are surrounded, and Kazrak, the One-Eye's getting in there. Look at this. Gorich does have the Shot Caller, which gives him some stopping power, but the Packmaster really probably going to break here. But, oh, it looks like the Dreaded 13 spell is going to come really nice. That just nuked the Beastmen so hard there. That whole Beastmen infantry corps got nuked by the Dreaded 13 spell. And now Kazrak in a little bit of a precarious situation, but aside from that, the Beastmen are really dominating the rest of the battle. The Skaven battle lines just folded like a piece of paper. Here, the Warhounds, of course, doing a good job chasing, keeping the Beastmen mobility in check there. But yeah, that was pretty nice there. Kazrak pulling back now. He is able to escape, but that was a beautiful final or Dreaded 13 spell there. And now the Raiders shooting into Gorich. Gorich, of course, has 70 armor. A little bit of missile resist, but still that damage does add up. And now we have the Grey Seer play being surrounded by the second Manticore summon. So the Skaven here really need to weather the storm on that Manticore summon. Manticore summon's really good against Skaven characters. And here you can see the Grey Seer is at 13 leadership. Gorich is fighting against these Centaurs, of course. We have Council Guard Stormvermin here. I think a bit of a misplay from Hadri's having the Council Guard chase over there. I think he needed them in this center mass engagement because now Kazrak One-Eye, baby, taking the victory. Once again, proving that he is the most overpowered lord in the game. Palpatine playing a very tight game there. Very good swarming. But yeah, the Council Guard overextending over here, and maybe Gorich, pretty suboptimal this game. GG, well played. Happy cow noises. There you have it. The Skaven magic doing its jam, but it was not quite enough. The dreaded 13th spell doing its magic. Kazrak the One-Eye claiming victory. Loopy, looks like you got your prediction wrong there, huh? I can see the despair in chat. Kazrak with a new record of 1,000 value. Obviously, it was a classic Beastmen swarm. Chariots were full health, too. The Chariots were actually pretty good. Yeah, Gorich is a tricky one. I always find when I bring Gorich, I can't defend the rest of my shit. So, I don't know, maybe cutting Gorich and getting a little bit more mass. I have no idea. Hadri's is a much better Skaven player than I am, so it is tricky to say. Palpatine is no longer too weak. That is correct. So, we have the Beastmen advancing to the round of 4. Could we get a dreaded Beastmen finale? Now, it's funny because neither Dark Elves or High Elves want to face Beastmen, which is hilarious. I wonder if he's going to bring Kazrak, though, even against these guys. So next up, we have the Elvish Civil War. So let's go to the holding screen here. We can load into the old Civil War. GG, well played to Hadri's. Hey, Hadri's, no stress, man. I know it's a hard matchup for Skaven. It's a tricky one ever since the nerfs. You're always going to be the Skaven champion in our hearts. So next up, we have Ice Power versus Biblington. Let's get in there, get this next game going. Thank you all again for joining. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the faction war, guys and girls. Release the Musk of Sorrow. You know, if you're going to lose to someone, though, I think losing to Beastmen feels good, because at least you know you're like letting the Beastmen have a chance at glory. All right. Palpatine says that Gorich pick, though. Yeah, talking about that. So we got Biblington versus Ice Power Total War. High Elves versus Dark Elves. The Elvish Civil War is upon us. We are in the Black Forests, I think is the map. I can't quite remember. I think it was. Krotikin, that Chaos Cow got cardio. Dude, I know. Man, if Kazrak wins a faction war, I think like the world will implode. I think like the fabric of reality and space and time will just fold in on itself, and whatever you perceive as real will become a Lovecraftian monstrosity. Yeah, the Dreaded 13 spell was beautiful by Hadri's. That was really good. But yeah, Palpatine's swarming was just solid. His chariot play was solid. Hadri says, the map is super good for Beastmen. It looks easy to you when you can see everything, but on the map, Beast came from any direction. Yeah, for sure. No, Hadri's 100%, man. It's a tricky one. You can never know who you're going to be facing in the later rounds and on what map you're going to play them. All right, so I'm quite curious, though, Hadri's, about the Gorich pick. What do you think about Gorich? What is the application? Is just kind of another like terror character, things like that? All right, so loading into the game here, we have to update the nameplates. Let me see who is who here. So we have the High Elves, Biblington. Biblington facing off against Ice Power. Ice Power Total War, who I believe is still streaming, which is pretty cool. All right, so loading into the brackets here. Let's go ahead and get this game started. Looks like everything fits, and we are good to go. All right, so what are your predictions here? Are you rooting for Ice Power Total War and his Dark Elves, or Biblington, the newcomer, the challenger, coming in with his High Elves? Should be quite a bit of fun. Yeah, this is like very similar to the build that when I played against Xiphos in the Legendary Lord Tournament, he used the double Canid Assassin. It was very good. Hadri says, oh, it's just pure meme. Yeah, for sure. Gorch tried his best. He tried his best. These games are all live right now, Cipe. So for the forces here of the High Elves, it's going to be a white line battle line with Rangers, double Phoenix Guard, and a Larry Air Force with Tempest. So if Ice Power were to go with an Air Force, he would probably lose this game very quickly. But I would imagine he's going to go for a ground-based army, knowing that Tempest and Larry is a real threat. So for the Dark Elves, we have Cold Moon Knights backed up by Dark Riders, double Canid Assassin, triple Scourge Runner, Marathi on foot as well. And the rest of the battle line here for the Dark Elves is going to be Bleak Swords and Dread Spears. And that looks like it is going to be everything. So what are your predictions, Dark Elves or High Elves? Another huge grudge match. We've had a couple today. We had the Dwarves versus Greenskins, and now we have had High Elves versus Dark Elves. So many of these grudge matches are going strong. Jeff says he believes in Biblington. Why is Gorge bad? He's just a little bit. I guess he's expensive and like he's not terribly impactful, to be honest. Like for Skaven, there's better choices like Packmasters, Brood Horrors, like even a Hell Pit Abomination is probably better. Just because it's more durable, it causes terror, which of course Gorge does too. But and also if you're going with missiles like globes and mortars, and then you get Gorge, you have less to protect your missiles in your formation, so that's kind of painful for sure. Yeah, it's very elite High Elf army for sure, but I mean it's functional. The White Lions will dominate most of the frontline engagements. Also, will be good against cavalry. So too will the Phoenix Guard. The one weakness, of course, is that Scourge Runner chariots can really nuke down the Arcane Phoenix. So this is a map I've been kind of experimenting with. I feel like it's relatively even. Both players start on a hill. There's pretty good flanking options in the forest. It does have some issues, of course, with forest camping, but the rules are pretty explicit about that nowadays. So this is a new map I've been trying to mix in, which I actually think is pretty good. It makes for a very neat engagement scenario. Bilbington? Am I saying his name wrong? I'm pretty sure I was saying it right. Yeah. It is Bilbington, or I'm not sure. I'll actually have to check. Hold on. Let's look at his name here. It's Biblington. It's B-I-B-L-I... Yeah. Biblington. Yeah. So I was saying it right. I think. Who knows? I can barely speak English. Arcane Phoenix is moving across. There are no nets. Larry, of course, has Tempest and Earthblood. Some pretty good gooning potential. But yeah, the High Elves basically just want to push up on the Dark Elves here. Let's see what they're saying right now. They're saying good luck, have fun on both sides. Good sportsmanship all around. Very, very important stuff. Soul Stealers will be pretty good against this army. Definitely want to make sure you're not too bunched up. So just getting a white line on each of the Bleak Swords is going to be pretty cost effective. And it looks like the Arcane Phoenix is maybe thinking about going after the Scourge Runners here on the ground. Not a bad idea. Might get some damage. We'll see. So the bird does land. The other Arcane Phoenix taking a little bit of a circuitous route. He does drop the bombardment here, but does miss, unfortunately. So going after the Bleak Swords are a little bit of a disaster, but it's okay. They have a couple charges, and any damage that the Arcane Phoenix takes is not a big deal, considering that Larry can heal them. So Scourge Runners are expending their ammo at a very rapid rate, which of course is fine. The High Elf Elite Army just kind of waiting on the low ground. Got to watch out for the Web of Shadows, plus the... oh, here comes another attempt. Drops on top of the Bleak Sword. See, that was good. That was definitely solid. Now, Scourge Runners moving in. What we need to see here is the Arcane Phoenixes pull back and actually go after the Scourge Runners and pin them in. If the Scourge Runners get to escape for free, then obviously it's going to be a little bit of a tough situation. So, heal going down, Earthblood on top of the double Arcane Phoenixes. And the White Lions have now engaged with Bleak Swords, but a little bit of unfortunate blobbing here. Obviously, when you're in a tournament like this, there can be a lot of nerves, and that can lead to mistakes here. And right now, I think we are seeing some mistakes from the High Elves. Firstly, this blob is a little bit tricky. And also, diving after Marathi is a very tough play, considering she lowers melee attack by so much. Despite the healing, I mean, if there was some sort of AoE follow-up here, that'd be quite nice. We'll see if the Arcane Phoenixes can get away. I think that certainly was a mistake there moving in. Though the Star of Avalorn is keeping that bird healthy. We'll see if it can be kept from breaking. And it looks like one bird does get away. Larry is more or less safe. Marathi didn't take too much damage. And the Scourge Runners actually did overstay their welcome. We haven't seen a Soul Stealer yet. Got to be wary, too. The Arcane Phoenix could get its rebirth here. They, of course, have the rebirth that the Fire Phoenixes do. I think Biblington needs to grab his bird and maybe have a go Terror Route over here, or even get the two Arcane Phoenixes and go after the Cold Moon Knights. You can actually swarm and overwhelm them with two Phoenixes plus Larry. You can do quite a bit of work. So the Phoenix Guard moving up, as are the White Lions. Balance power is still pretty even. I mean, until the Arcane Phoenix croaks, it's really not a terrible situation. It has gotten partially back to its formation. And if it does get the rebirth, you know, that's huge value, right? But I don't know if it's going to. It looks like it's broken now. The two flyers need to get more active. There's a number of targets they could go after here. And now that they're fighting with their infantry support, charging in isn't a bad idea. So right now you do see the bird charge in, gets caught in a web of shadows, which hits the entire High Elf army. And Larry could drop a really nice Earthblood right here too, maybe save that Phoenix. But I think that Phoenix probably will get its rebirth, although the Earthblood might temporarily kind of stave that off. Phoenix Guard chasing down the chariots. This bird is broken. There's not going to be any way for the Druki to kind of chase that down right here. And now we got a glorious blob fight, which only plays even more into the strengths of the Dark Elves here, as they get a beautiful Soul Stealer on top of both of the White Lions here. Looks like the bird is trying to find some engagements, but I think going for the character blob. Ooh, nice dive right there. Hits the Bleak Swords right in their center mass. Should lead to them breaking, but did the other Arcane Phoenix come back? It looks like it did. Bounce of Power a little bit Dark Elf favored, but still there's multiple Phoenix Guards still here on the battlefield, grinding pretty efficiently. But I think a big misplay from Biblington so far is that he's trying to kill the Dark Elf characters in their blob. He should just be going for freebies, like going for stuff on the outskirts, hitting the Scourge Runner chariots when they overextend. There's a lot of good angles, and I think the dives on the Dark Elf characters is a big mistake. But, you know, the army here from Biblington, I actually like it, and I think it's very capable of winning, assuming that the Arcane Phoenix play is really, really on point. White Lions here broken with Dark Riders and just kind of a weight of infantry. Of course, we have the Phoenix Guard still holding here, and now Biblington is going to be bouncing after the Scourge Runners and or the Cold One Knights. I think, honestly, going for the Cold One Knights, you would win. With Larry plus 2 Phoenixes against the Cold One Knights, you would kill them very quickly. It would be a one-sided affair. So, but you need to get the charge too. So, yeah, they'll turn and fight here. Looks like Cold One Knights are moving in. Phoenix Guard piling into support as well. Another Star of Avalorn, pretty good timing for sure. Granted, the Arcane Phoenix might have gotten its rebirth anyway, so maybe should have waited to see if that went down. It's hard to say. But now, casualties on the Dark Riders, and as well as the Cold One Knights starting to take a little bit of damage. And the Phoenix Guard and White Lions are actually grinding down a fair amount of units. Now, the Dark Elf character blob, if you can go to the late game, for example, so let's say you kill the Dark Elf army, and you have 2 Phoenixes and Larry versus 2 Canates and Wrathy, the Phoenixes should win with Cycle Charging and Terror. Canate Assassins, are they immune to Psychology? It looks like they are, actually, which is interesting. Is it because of the Murderous Prowess? I can't quite remember, but yeah, the Phoenix does get its rebirth, but doesn't really matter at this point because it's pretty much on death's bed. That's kind of the whole thing. Had the healing not been used there, it could have been a different picture. Cyber Pansy, thank you for becoming a new member. Welcome to the Dukes of Haggard. Really appreciate that. So the other Arcane Phoenix still in line. Bounce Power actually kind of creeping back in the favor of the High Elves, which is really interesting. I think it's largely due to the efficiency of the High Elf Infantry. The High Elf Infantry has been doing an excellent job. It looks like the other Arcane Phoenix came back, which is quite strong. A really nice dive right there. Does nuke the Dread Spear, so Biblington coming into his own here in the later stages of the game as Larry and the Birds dive in, and the Dark Elves looking pretty bare bones on the infantry department. I mean, they have a couple Dread Spears here, I guess, but those could perhaps be broken. We will see. Terror Route's coming down. Morathi running on foot, and I think Biblington is getting the message now that fighting the Dark Elf characters is the wrong play, and going after the rest of the Dark Elf army and then isolating the characters in the endgame with Cycle Charging is hands down the correct way to play this. So Morathi does come in on her own, which is a bit of a bold strategy, but it looks like in the end she's not really going to be punished too badly for it. Here we have White Lions fighting Dark Riders. The other Arcane Phoenix just decided to croak over there for no reason. I'm not really sure why. I could have sworn it had like 300 HP left. And now the Bird's going after Morathi, who is away from her Canate Assassins for a moment. And Morathi takes a little bit of damage, but nothing that a little Soul Stealer can't patch up here. White Lions of Crace moving in, attacked by the Cold One Knights, and it looks like the Bird as well as Larry probably going to want to escape this situation. Looking like it's getting a little bit better here for the forces of the Druki. The Arcane Phoenix, of course, fighting a good fight, but needs to escape. Morathi does have a nice anti-large, and the Canate Assassins do pretty good damage against light armor. Both of them have the nice crossbow attacks as well as decent melee attacks. So here comes the Bird trying to get away. Ice Power coming for the pin. Might be able to get it. The Bird may still escape. We have White Lions of Crace making their way back in. Larry still very much alive. The Assassin's Trophy on her wearing off right now, so probably looking to get back into combat here. And what do the Dark Elves have for mobility? It looks like we have Scourge Runners here. Definitely need to kill those Scourge Runners. Nice Earthblood right there. Does heal up the Phoenix Guard. And the 2 Canate Assassins pretty healthy on ammo. Canate Assassins have like 1 million ammo. Like 1 million. They have so much. Do we have the Keepers of the Flame here? I'm not sure if we do. I think they're up here. No, I think they're a basic Phoenix Guard. Anyways, this is good. The Bird's fighting shoulder to shoulder with infantry, something that could have been done a little bit earlier. Bounce Power is not point of no return for sure. Some good terror routes and good pressure in the right angles could get them back in the game, but this is going to be a nasty swarm. Larry needs to get in there and support these characters and try and get terror routes of their own using the Arcane Phoenix. Eagles, of course, don't cause terror, but we could maybe see a bombardment from Biblington? Man, his name trips me out a little bit. But here comes the Bird charging in, supporting the Phoenix Guard. Larry coming in with the rear charge might be able to trigger some sort of a terror route on the Dark Elf side of things, but now Morathi coming in. I think the Soul Stealer probably will close out the game. It's going to hit all the infantry and the characters, and you can see the bounce power ebbing really, really into the favor here of the Dark Elves as we do proceed. Look at that, bounce of power creeping away. Going back to the middle for a second as the High Elves appear to get some terror routes. You can see a couple spear units do break off. And the Arcane Phoenix holding on, it's shaken. Phoenix Guard really, really resilient here, and the Dark Elf army is in a bit of an exodus, but I think their characters will be enough to carry this. The Arcane Phoenix, the other one taking that damage earlier, was probably too much for them to come back from. We will see, though. Hilariel the Radiant, not looking so radiant now as army losses kicks in, and the Dark Elves advance on to face the Beastmen. Hell yeah, baby. Hell yeah. A very good attempt by Biblington. Very good attempt. A couple micro mistakes. I actually think Biblington's army was quite good. I think it could have won the game 100%. But some huge misplays early with the Arcane Phoenixes cost him the game. Like going after the Dark Elf characters and losing all that HP for free when you could have been gooning the mobility, and the Cold Moon Knights would have been way better. It still was a good game, though. He played a great match, and I hope we get to see Biblington back in Faction Wars in the future. Well played. Ice Power Total War and Marathi will be advancing on. So we go to the bracket. We have the Dark Elves versus the Beastmen. The Beastmen. Kazrak versus Marathi is on the horizon, it would seem. GG, well played. Was a fun one. Hey, very well played, man. Awesome match. Marathi had about 2,000 value, I think. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. It was around that. All right. So we got Vicious Satsuma versus Call Harmon. I believe Vicious Satsuma is he an RTK? Yeah, we got a clan war between ODM and RTK here. Should be quite a bit of fun. We get Call Harmon. A matchup that I think is Greenskin favored. But we have yet to see what tricks the bald man has up his sleeve, coming off some very strong wins. And yeah, let's do it to it. Start when ready. We are on Angui for the map. Call Harmon says I should name myself. He's like, yeah, that's funny. I don't know what that means though. I don't know what that means. Harmon, you just got the notification. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, YouTube's great. Love it. Just not sending out notifications for the streams. Awesome. Yeah, the Canadian Assassins are really good. That combo is very, very... If you guys want to go see a crazy game, go back and watch the replay of me versus Sifos in the Legendary Lore Tournament. And like, you can truly see the power of Canadian Assassins, man. Now we're going to see a contest between Wood Elves and the best archers in Warhammer 2. Yeah. Perhaps so. Perhaps so. So just setting up the lobby here. Looks like we're going to be in just a moment. If the Beastmen win, CA has to make the Cow DLC. They just have to release it today. So if Beastmen win, we'll call Creative Assembly and tell them they have to release the DLC for Beastmen today. We're going to be like, we don't care if you don't have a Beastmen DLC. If it's another faction, you have to cancel it and just throw the Beastmen in there. Yeah. It's time, man. It is time. Greenskins versus Beastmen would be a pretty crazy finals too. We actually did have that before. I think we had Void Laws defeat Beastmen in a single faction qualifier. I can't quite remember. Yeah. The cow gods are mooing once again in the deep. Yes, they are. They're stomping their hooves with anger. All right, 1 sec here. That looks good to me. Looks fine. And we're all set. Yeah, Beastmen certainly do pretty well against Dark Elves, I think. But I'm sure... I mean, I've seen Falcon and Ice Power do well against Beastmen before. And I mean, look, if Papa Palpatine decides to bring like Haggard Kazrak again, that changes everything. Because that gives the Dark Elves such an advantage, in my opinion. So we'll see. I like Beastmen versus Greenskins from the Beastmen side. Yeah, Beastmen can do some work there, for sure. They can. I still think it's Greenskin favored just because they're so strong, but, you know, certainly winnable. So for the forces of Call Harmon, it's got the Dryad front line backed up here by the Deepwood Scouts with the Shivering Shards to try and put some hard DPS on that light greenskin armor. Wild Riders, Great Stag Knights. Very interesting choice here from Call Harmon. I'm trying to think about the applications here. I guess against, the Great Stag Knights as opposed to Wild Riders. Interesting. I'm not quite sure. I mean, of course, they hit like trucks, but the armor piercing, yeah, we'll see. I'm really going to be keeping an eye on them this game. Wild Riders with shields, and in the backfield we do have Great Stag Knights, double Great Stag Knight actually, with more Wild Riders. And we got Dryka in the battle line to help the Greenskins, or excuse me, I saw the green flag and I got confused, to help the Wood Elves win the front line. So let us know your predictions. Let us know your predictions. Who do you think is going to win this one? Is it going to be the Wood Elves or the Greenskins? First, Satsuma coming in with the foot zag. Oh, he's got Wurzag, even though Grom the Paunch is the best pick. Satsuma did say something in the Discord today about not wanting to bring certain things. So I think Satsuma is making an active effort to not bring Grom the Paunch. Just try something a little bit different. Granted, Wurzag isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. Actually, if they do go Lost Sylvan Knights, he can kill them really quickly with Effigy of the Git and some sniping and things like that. But it's basically Orc Biggins and Orc Boys backed up by Spider Riders and Spiders, one Stone Troll for some mass, and more Spider Riders in the trees. So yeah, fairly standard. Aside from, so we got Biggin spam and Spider Rider spam, which is very standard. The one thing that's missing is obviously Grom the Paunch and like that whole kind of combo. But Footzag here is ready to party, so should be fun. Let us know your predictions. It is an RTK versus ODM miniature clan war here. Good luck, have fun being said on both sides. And we will see how this all unfolds. The dreaded Stag Rush. I know, I'm quite curious about the Great Stag Knights. I think we saw 2 of them, or maybe he just was like, yeah, no, we got 2 Great Stag Knights here. So a very aggressive rush right out of the gates here for the Wood Elves, actually. Going to be putting the pressure on the Greenskins, which is pretty uncommon. Look at this, the Greenskin front line's like running. That is something you don't see very often. But the Great Stag Knights should be able to do okay against Biggins with some support. But if they go in alone, they're probably just going to get crumbs. Orc Biggins do have anti-large and really can chop through. Oh, those are actually Wild Riders. Okay. Now, in the meantime, Swift Shiver Shards shooting into Orc Boys. And on the other side, we have a huge engagement in the trees. We have the Wild Riders and Glade Riders and Great Stag Knights. But, you know, what would be really devastating right now for Satsuma is if he dropped an effigy on the Great Stag Knights. Right as I was about to say it, he does that. And, of course, there's a delay in chat, for any of you guys wondering. But, yeah, the Great Stag Knights, that's going to be like 1,500 gold pretty much put in the trash can very, very quickly. Nice little brain buster going down to the Dryads. The Great Stag Knights caught. And the rest of the Wood Elf skirmishers are also flanked. So Call Harmon with a bit of a disastrous engagement over here. Loses a lot of his skirmishers. So about 500 gold. Yeah, about 2,500 gold. Close to 3,000 gold lost there in that particular engagement. Now on the other side of the battlefield, pretty good for Call Harmon. He does get the Glade Riders to collapse here. But it seems like the Great Stag Knights and the Wild Riders are really just not winning too many engagements. Orc Boys and Biggins in the front line are being hammered down by the Dryads. But the Orc Biggins here are now rallying, and the Greenskins, coming off a massive victory in this forest engagement, are going to be moving the rest of their army over here to do some work. Nice little brain buster going down on top of the Dryads. Does tickle their pickles, not doing too much damage. Obviously, the Wood Elves have kind of won this side of the battlefield, but there wasn't as many resources they accrued over there, so I think forming a new battle line here would be neat for sure. So Deepwood Scouts still going, shooting their Swift Shiver Shards into what appear to be Orc Boys and or Orc Biggins that are advancing. Now being chased down by the AP Loonies, one of the best units in the entire game. Poison, Unbreakable, Fanatic ability. What more could you ask for? Call Harmon pulling in his Great Stags, charging into the back of the Loonies, certainly getting some kills. And Footzag might be someone that Call Harmon maybe tries to snipe here. Dryka could just start hunting down Wurzag, summoning Malevolent Dryads on top of Wurzag, and, you know, doing that kind of business. We will see. So the Wah sounds in the valley once more. In the backfield, we do see some Forest Goblin Spider Riders being finished off by the Dryads back here. And the Great Stag Knights pulling back once again. Okay, that makes sense. Great Stag Knights to kill Stone Trolls. They do have great armor piercing and can certainly kill a Stone Troll on the charge pretty effectively. So okay, it's all kind of coming together now. Balance of Power is pretty Greenskin favored. That fight in the beginning was super heavily favored. So Call did get about, 1,000 gold worth of value on the other side from cleaning up some of the Greenskin skirmishers, but, he lost close to 3,000 gold worth of his cavalry units in that forest engagement and did very little damage in return. So I think that was a big factor. Really nice Malevolent Dryad summon, though, right on top of the Orc Biggins, and on the Stone Trolls as well. Could cause some leadership issues. Swift Shiver Shards are running and kiting back against these Orc Biggins here, which is a very strong play. We do have a couple Deepwood Scouts on their way back in. This game's not over yet, that's for sure. Though the Greenskins are up with a little bit of an advantage, we still do have some substantial stopping power here for the Wood Elves. Granted, it looks like they're about to lose some of those Swift Shiver Shards. I don't think there's anything back here to kind of protect them, so... But the Orc Biggins here do get picked apart. These Swift Shiver Shards should be back online. Now the Great Stag Knights with a very nice charge into the flank here of the Stone Trolls, getting a square one. And how are the Malevolent Dryads doing? It looks like they actually broke off. They routed, which is pretty unfortunate. And, ooh, man, the Wurzag effigy of the Gits have been so good this game, man. Dropping it right on top of those Great Stag Knights, basically just karate chopping them 1-2 punch, man. Steven Seagal neck breaking, whatever you want to call it. It's happening here, man. So Deepwood Scouts moving in, going to be unleashing some fire into the Stone Trolls, trying to break them. Dryka making a pretty good stand here with some Dryads rear charging in, and the Stone Trolls might break. I mean, is there a slim chance here? Looking around, there's so many Greenskins on the battlefield still. And I think they were able to chase down the Deepwood Scouts here. Look at that, some Wild Riders actually came back in, able to salvage those Deepwood Scouts that we were talking about earlier. Dryka holding her own. It looks like the last of the AP Loonies being kind of worn down. Dryads still fighting the good fight, but the Biggins and Spider Riders and Skirmishers all over the battlefield going to be pretty devastating. And though the Stone Trolls do break, which is very nice for the hardwood, there's not going to be anything to follow up and chase them off the battlefield. So it is what it is. Dryka and the Dryads fighting. Here comes another wave of Dryads to rear surround the Biggins. Might actually be able to break their leadership. It looks like an Edbutt going down here trying to hit the Dryads, but it does kind of miss, which is unfortunate. But it does trigger the Bonewood Staff, so the entire Greenskin army is going to be getting a nice melee attack buff for the immediate future. But looking like army losses is going to kick in. The Wood Elves are just losing too much around the battlefield. And that is going to be GG. And with that, the Vicious Satsuma and the Greenskins No surprises there. He's a very, very strong player and also is a very strong greenskin player and always has been, you know, even before they were as popular as they were. He's able to advance on with Wurzag on foot. Wurzag was actually probably better than Grom the Paunch that game, honestly. Like those Grom would have been cool and all, but like those Stag Knights got hard countered by Wurzag's effigy so hard. Like that was a really, really cool build by Satsuma. So GG, well played. See the value on the old Wurzag. Yeah, pretty good. Stag Knights really struggled. 400 and 1200 on one of them, which isn't bad. The ones that kind of fought longer. Satsuma played a very, very strong game. All right, so next up, we will go. Satsuma's in the grand finals with the Greenskins. Either the Beastmen or the Dark Elves will be there to meet him soon. So we'll be getting into this next game here. B Master 11 of 13, very nice. 12 of 13 for Loopy. How is that possible with all the upsets today? Man. GG, well played. All right. So let's go ahead and get this party started. Move on over. Footzag was pretty cool. Footzag was pretty cool. All right, so if we go here, let's go ahead and go to Papa Palpatine versus Ice Power Total War. It's going to be the Beastmen versus the Dark Elves. I'm quite excited for this. He brought Dancing Wurzag, yes. He did indeed. All right, looks like we're loading in. So it's going to be Palpatine on the left-hand side. So let's update the names here. Versus Ice Power Total War. Very cool. Well, guys, prepare the mooing sounds. Let us do it. Yeah, Wurzag is like the OG good Greenskin Lord. He's always been good, but Wurzag is like pretty balanced because he's very squishy and very easy to snipe. But if you don't snipe him, he generates massive value with Bonewood Staff and his snares. I think Wurzag is a really, really like well-balanced, awesome Lord. TS, hey Turin, love your content. Would you consider finishing a roster prediction video series? Yeah, I might do one for Slaanesh, but like after having seen Khorne, it would be I kind of like already know how it's going to be. So yeah, it's a little bit tricky. All right, let's load in, my friends. Adjust the names and let's get this party started. So it is going to be Beastmen versus Dark Elves. Dude, do you guys think this madman is going to bring Papa Palpatine again? Is it going to happen? Not Papa Palpatine, Khazrak. Holy shit, he brings Khazrak against double Manticore Marathi. This guy is a madman. Especially if he gets to the finals with Khazrak every single game. That is some next level alpha energy. Or what is the thing above the alpha? Isn't there something? Yeah, I have no idea. But whatever that is, he is. All right, guys. For the forces of the Beastmen, it's going to be a chaff front line, no surprises. Backed up by Razor Gores. We do also have Chaos Warhounds, Centaurs into the sunset. And that appears to be it. So yeah, pretty balanced army. Centaurs are quite good. They can chase down Dark Elf skirmishers, fight Dark Riders, hold their own against a number of Dark Elf mobile units. And the Baconators are just good and durable. So we got Khazrak. We do also have a Brave Shaman of Death with Spirit Legion, actually bringing Buna. Buna, you don't see it that often these days, but in case of like a Blackguard defensive box or something like that, having Buna can be quite nice. And yeah, that appears to be it for the Beastmen army. Now for the Dark Elves, double Manticore Marathi, no surprises. Ice Power's here in a tough matchup, looking to win. And he's got Bleak Swords and Dread Spears in the front. Cold One Knights backed up by Slaanesh's Harvesters and a bunch of Dark Riders and double Scourge Runner Chariots. So I honestly feel like Ice Power's used more or less the same build every single game or something very close with minor variants. Seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. Khazrak is here, baby. What are your predictions? The One Eye or the Druki? They're both kind of underdog factions, so it's kind of tricky to choose, isn't it? Yeah. Absolute bacon, Chad. Yeah, it's pretty good. Well, let's see how this goes. Good luck, have fun. Yeah, these guys both very excited. Chad Rack. That's so good, dude. I can't believe Khazrak's making an appearance here. Mike Amarillo says $5 donation if the Beastmen get this. Anyone want to match me? And we will see. Is every army the same? They're pretty damn similar. So the Beastmen onslaught is here. I mean, the Beastmen typically run over Dark Elf front lines very quickly. But the Manticores and Marathi are, the potential game winners, right? Khazrak just has to be careful. Like, if Khazrak gets caught and gooned and, like, that's just going to be a quick GG. What a stressful situation to be in, though, having to, like, protect Khazrak against this squad up here in the sky. But it's also very stressful for the Dark Elves, because Beastmen typically overwhelm the front line very quickly without Blackguard and can also dominate you in the cavalry fight. Oh my god, what was that? There was like some weird like siren sound or like something right outside. Kind of startled me a little bit. Anyways, Destroyers and Razor Gores moving in. Front line's about to take some big pressure. You can see Papa Palpatine's being very conservative, keeping Khazrak back and keeping the Sons of Goros nearby. But yep, I knew it was going to happen very quickly. Oh my god, the Goon Squad coming in. Khazrak's going to be trying to retreat. Oh, can he get away? Soul Stealer going down as well. Khazrak's in trouble already. We've seen this happen so many games. Now the Sons of Goros are going to countercharge and protect Khazrak, but you know, the Beastmen definitely need to get some victories in other engagements because Khazrak is just going to get dunked on by so many of these different characters here. Manticores kind of get trapped in there. Beastmen commit very heavily. On the flanks, we have a big flank of Centaurs and Hounds moving in, but the Soul Stealer quite punishing. And I think that was a double Soul Stealer because we saw the Slaanesha's Harvesters, and we also did see the Marathi Soul Stealer. So that's some big damage for sure. Sons of Goros pulling back with only 24 models could turn around and surround Marathi, maybe get some good damage. Khazrak appears to be fighting the Scourge Runners, doing some okay work as Centaurs on the flanks fight Cold One Knights, and now we get more Centaurs pressuring in. Big collapses on all the flanks. Khazrak's at about half health, certainly holding his own. But yeah, Fate of Buna on the Harvester is not a bad idea. Gets him down pretty low. Centaurs collapsing here, buckling down the Dark Riders as well as the Dread Spears. And Khazrak's still alive, which is certainly a rare sign here. And the Bray Shaman of Death just getting hunted down by the Manticore Goon Squad. Going to be trying to pull through the Razor Gores, which is a very smart play. How are the backfield engagements going? Centaurs here actually getting broken, but this whole position here for the Druchii also getting hammered. I feel like Dark Elves are in a little bit of a state of advantage here in this game. Now you can see the Bray Shaman of Death attacking the Feral Manticore, and we do have a second win from the Beastmen as some Centaurs and Sons of Goros in these various units do make their way back in, but that Bray Shaman's got to be careful. Fighting a Manticore on his own is no small feat. Khazrak, in the meantime, moves up here, helps to secure the high ground victory here for the Beastmen, and now it looks like they're going to be moving out to engage the Dark Elf onslaught of Slaanesha's Harvesters and Dark Riders. And yeah, the Manticore's rampaging in spears. The caster for the Beastmen is indeed broken. Looks like he's going to be running for the hills. -1 to leadership. Maybe he'll come back, but yeah, I think Khazrak just is really struggling to do much. He's helping to, I guess, win some of these fights over here, but Marathi and the Manticores are just so much more impactful that I feel like that's really a big deciding factor here. Like, Morker would have been dropping spawn and not getting sniped, right? So then you don't have to worry so much, and Khazrak, characters like Khazrak just can't do that, right? Like, they're just going to be constantly a liability for you, basically. And, you know, the Dark Elves look to be winning this engagement, too. The Beastmen actually lost this big blob fight at the very end. Spirit Leech going down to the Manticore. Khazrak, the One-Eye, going to be getting attacked. Do the Beastmen have any reinforcements that can come back in? It looks like some Centaurs have rallied. Khazrak does get away here, and the Centaurs should be able to potentially hold that Manticore back. We'll see if it gets back up in the sky here. Looks like the Bray Shaman does charge it, and Papa Palpatine also hammers in with the Centaurs here. And Khazrak, the One-Eye, here he comes, charging into the back of the Feral Manticore. Pretty nice little pick there, and the Beastmen seem to be kind of rallying a little bit. I mean, if they could get some good engagements like pin down Marathi and this Manticore, that could be a way back into this game here. Up in the hills, we do have Centaurs fighting Scourge Runners. We have Ungors coming back in pretty much every direction. That Feral Manticore over in the distance probably going to be dying to the spear units that it's rampaged in. And Khazrak now being targeted by a Wand of Koraidon, but with some juking, he should be able to maybe get away from this. It's hard to say. Centaurs have rallied here. The Deathcaster appears to officially be broken. And Khazrak does get popped in the face pretty bad, which I think will trigger army losses. And the Beastmen, they tried. But, you know, now it's time for the sad moves. You guys can let out your depressed mooing sounds, because I think Khazrak has paid the final price. Really good play, though. You know, playing a top-tier opponent. And of course, Palpatine's an amazing top-tier player as well. But, you know, trying to pull Khazrak against Marathi Double Manticore, oof, man, that's rough. And, you know, Chariots also aren't that good against Dark Elves in general. So, like, there's so many factors. I honestly think maybe Foot Khazrak might have been better here, although he might have just gotten gooned. So, Ice Power Total War will be going on to the Grand Finals to face Vicious Satsuma and the Greenskins. Dark Elves certainly do have a bit of a tricky matchup versus the Greenskins, but we shall see some glorious fights indeed. The dream is over. The sad mooing sounds may now commence, and we will continue on. GG, well played. Khazrak got 1,300 value. You know, he's upping the ante every single game, man. Yeah. It was really just the Manticores and Marathi. Like, everything else was okay for the Beastmen. It's just like the hero squad, like the Beastmen characters had like no way of fighting back. They just got the business end of things. So Dark Elves advance on. I'm sure Ice Power is super excited to face off against ye old Greenskins in the Grand Finals. Let's go ahead and do it to it. No, Nick, I can't read that now. Sorry. All right. GG, well played. So now I will host the Grand Finals. And we will get this going here. This game of Spectator. Action, War, Grand Finals. All right. So We'll get the players in the lobby. I know. Let this. Hey, the Beastmen had a pretty respectable performance today, though. Let's be honest here. They had a very good run, making it to the top 4 here, and falling very valiantly. And also, we got to see Kazrak. Kazrak came in multiple times, and he did his piece. He did his piece. So Satsuma is in the lobby. Ice Power Total War will be joining in just a moment, and then we can hang tight and do our thing. So Ice Power. Yep, looks like it's already up to date, which is great. Boom. Make the name a little bit bigger so it's all fair. And we're all set. Cool. So the first map of the day is going to be, we're going to do, where is that? Prague. Map set. Good luck, have fun. All right. So this is best of 3. Just so you guys are aware, the grand finals of Faction War is always best of 3. Jay Cassidy, Rip Kazrak, the people's hero, Moo. I know. Kazrak tried his best. He did. He had a very good run in today's event. Thank you all again for joining. We are here in the grand finals. The tournament's been going for exactly 3 hours. Pretty good amount of time. Not too long, right in that sweet spot of streaming. Greenskins are going to get crushed. Well, Greenskins, I think, do have the advantage against Dark Elves, but Ice Power is such a specialist with them. I think he has a chance. Dylan Lockwood, thanks for becoming a member. Appreciate that. This is best of 3. Best of 3 indeed. It is possible for sure. It is very, very possible. Dark Elves have never won a faction war. This would actually be a first for them, which would be pretty impressive. Dylan says, joining the Dukes in honor of that glorious run. I know. I think old Kazrak tried his heart out. I think there was only, it's really funny in the qualifier for this faction war. There was only 3 greenskin players. No, 2. We only had 2. Wait, 2? Yeah, we had 2. We had Iron General and we had Vicious Satsuma. Those were like, and there was a Crooked Moon player too. So there was only like 3 greenskins out of 124 players in the qualifier. So like if you played as greenskins, your odds of like qualifying are so much higher than other factions. It was pretty crazy. All right, so let me go ahead. I was about to say top of bracket starts with the picks and bans, but in this format, we don't have to worry about that. So I predict we're going to see 6 greenskin skirmish units in all 3 games. Yeah. Palpatine. I think Palpatine definitely won the hearts and minds of the people today. Yeah. Not only with his name, but also with the glorious Beastmen play. Ice Power's been doing great too. Everyone who played today did great. It's been a lot of fun. What do you call it when a unit gets a really good charge? You know what I call it. You're just trying to get the bingo card, aren't you? It has to be natural, man. That's like cheating if I just give it to you. Yeah, come on now. This is the grand finals, yeah. So Greenskins versus Dark Elves here in Ye Old Grand Finals. How's everyone doing on predictions? I know there was a couple individuals who had some very, very good predictions so far. I'm looking here to see. Yeah. There's a couple people in the predictions chat saying, he says, Ice Power, why didn't you let Papa Palpatine win? Poor Kazrak, he was so young. Chadrak finally fell. Oh man, that's so funny. Yeah, he did. He had a good run though. So it's pretty cool that it's best of 3 with the same faction, because basically you can like adjust your build, right? You can come in. If it doesn't work the first time, you get another run at it. Are we doing a people's champ vote? Yeah, sure, we could do one. We'll do it after the event's over. But if one of the mods could prepare a people's champion vote with all the players, that'd be really helpful. I mean, if nobody's free to do it, you could just use the what's it called? You could use the strawpoll.com. YouTube doesn't have built-in ones, so unfortunately it's a little bit tricky. And then we can do that after the game's over, after the best of 3 is over. Yes, yes. Let us do it, my friends. Satsuma is ready to go. I wonder what sort of memes he'll bring here, or vicious citrus tactics, as his logo has always just been an orange, which is quite funny. We will see. What if we saw like just an all-out rush? Wouldn't that be crazy if we just saw like, a Dark Elf rush? Like Harganeth Executioners or Blackguard or something. I feel like they don't work too well against like AP Gloonies and just the amount of greenskin poke and things like that. Yeah. We will see. So somebody in chat saying, I hope the Greenskins win because the Dark Elves killed your boy Kazarak. But in a way, the Dark Elves are carrying on the legacy of Kazarak. I'm sure one of the Dark Elf characters took Kazarak and just like, or took some Beastmen and, was dragging them along for the fun. Who beat the Dwarfs? The Greenskins did, yeah. All right. Here we are. It is going to be the Greenskins facing off against the Druchii. And typically, Dark Elves do go full kite in this matchup. So you just kind of run away and use your repeater crossbows and Scourge Runners and go for big Soul Stealer alpha strikes. This is very common. We actually saw a very contested series between Ice Power Total War and Void Lulls, in which this was the case. I think that was in one of the qualifiers, or the previous Faction War, actually. I think Ice Power did have to face the Greenskins. But, we'll see what he can do this time. Dark Riders, Quad Scourge Runner, double Repeater Crossbow, Harvesters, Morathi for double Soul Stealer, as well as the Manticores up in the sky. That looks like it's it. And if we take a look at the Greenskin army, it's going to be Wurzag on his pig. Very risky. Grom is usually the go-to here. But we got Pig Zag, so, Satsuma's giving you guys a treat. Definitely awesome, because, he's playing like old school Greenskins. Got Orc Boys with some big ins. We do also have a Goblin Rock Lobber, backed up by some Spider Riders and just a bunch of Skirmish Cavalry, which you need, because Dark Elves will kite you, so you need something to fight back against that. All right, good luck, have fun. Let's go ahead and do it. GG here. It's going to be a good one. Maxter, thank you. Welcome to the Dukes of Haggard. Hey, Chuck Norris, bless you. And thank you. Really do appreciate that. Yes. Yes, man. Let the hate flow. What are your predictions? Morathi double Manticore? Or are the Greenskins going to pull out the victory? Once again, Greenskins did win the last faction war with Void Lulls. Void Lulls tried to qualify this time, but I don't think he quite made it. I can't remember who knocked him out. But this time around, Satsuma will be the glorious Greenskin representative. We got Pig Zag. Yeah. Bacon Zag. Pig Zag he's pretty slow. You got to be careful. Morathi double Manticore can kill him in a matter of seconds. So that's the one stressful thing, but usually Greenskins can protect him okay with all their skirmishers and different things like that. So we'll see how this unfolds. So here's the battle. He did say no Grom today, yeah. In the Discord, Satsuma, before it started, he did say something like he wasn't going to bring Grom today. So we get a big shout out to our boy Vicious Satsuma for treating us to some alternative lord choices here, including a Night Goblin Warboss earlier. But the battle is underway. Scourge Runner Chariot's just going to play the skirmish game, obviously, and this is very standard. I'm trying to think if any alternative builds could work for Dark Elves. Like, I'm theory crafting. What if, like, the Greenskins expect this skirmish so much that the Dark Elves just kind of have some sort of a rush? I feel like Dark Elf rushes always really just struggle against, like, all the poke and things like that, especially with, like, Sisters of Slaughter being so lightly armored. But, I mean, a Sister rush with, like, some Bleak Sword support and cavalry could potentially overwhelm this front line. Something to consider. So Mither has been used on the Scourge Runners. It's down to 9 speed right now. Holy shit, between the poison. I'm surprised that the Greenskins aren't swarming it, although they're probably respecting the Soul Stealer. Granted, I think Morathi is very out of position for that. Look at the jacket here, man. Those giant River Troll hags getting poked quite a bit. Hold on, guys. My phone's going off. Oh. I'll be back. All right, we didn't miss too much. God damn, I hate getting phone calls. So annoying. I always forget to turn off my phone for these morning streams. All right, it's officially off. We're all good. No drama. So up in the sky, Vindictive Glares going down into the Feral Manticore. Who calls? Well, it was Franz. Yes, the nation was calling. Pretty good initial little gooning attempt on the Scourge Runner Chariot. I feel like there could have been at least one Spider Rider who dove on top of it to keep it from escaping. I think that could have been pretty good. So the Death Creepers here, getting blasted with what appears to be a Wand of Koraidon from Morathi. We've seen that Ice Power has been able to use that pretty effectively today. And it does take out a handful of models. Certainly not bad. So Greenskin Skirmishers moving up once again, shooting back into the Scourge Runners. We do also, of course, have the Goblin Rock Lobber in the back, which is, I think, shooting at Scourge Runners as well, and or Repeater Crossbows. A little bit hard to tell. A little bit hard to tell for sure. Stone Trolls look like they thought about moving up there, but as soon as you see the Repeater Crossbows and all that armor-piercing Daka move up, always break your phone before streams. I know, I hate having a phone. I don't know if that's like an old-fashioned thing, but it's just like, oh god, when I get phone calls, I'm just like, why are you calling me? Why are you calling me? Yeah, I don't know. Just call him. Just message me on Discord. Yeah, who knows, man. So Greenskin Skirmishers still shooting into the Scourge Runners. Scourge Runners do have 80 armor, so they're pretty resilient against much of the poke here. Some Forest Goblins actually committing to the cause here. Now going to get countercharged by Slaanesh Harvesters there. A nice brain buster going down there from Vicious Satsuma. He drops that on top of the Dark Riders and is able to break them. Though, you know, there's a bit of a trade. Though the damage does go down there. A unit of Forest Goblin Spider Riders is massively destroyed here by the Slaanesha's Harvesters. Far superior combat stats, poison, physical resist, pretty well equipped to deal with the Goblin Spider Riders. So the Dark Elves still just continuing their skirmish, using the Scourge Runners. Are they shooting at Wurzag? No, they're not. They're still just shooting at the skirmish cavalry. So yeah, and this is very normal for this matchup. Usually you see a very long skirmish phase where the Dark Elves expend all of their ammunition, and the Greenskins just kind of weather the storm and use their counter skirmishing elements to absorb it. And then there's like late game blob fights with, you know, Soul Stealers and all that kind of good stuff like that. So Vindictive Glare going down on Marathi once again. Slaanesha's Harvesters dropping in what appears to be a Soul Stealer. I think that was the minor one. It does hit a couple units there. Not the best one in the world, not the worst. Rusty Airs are also here. It looks like they're moving up to start poking at the army. Ammunition for Ice Power Total War is yeah, it looks like they got three. Pretty good model count. They haven't lost any models. Ammunition's getting a little bit sparse, but what's cool about Scourge Runners is they're kind of like a WD-40, right? They're the fix-all. They can play the skirmish game, and against Greenskins, who typically bring low-tier, low-armor infantry, they can actually be really good as chariots, right? So Marathi and the Manticore squad looking like they want to go in. Oh, it looks like Effigy of the Git going in, and the Rusty Airs and all the Greenskin Daka going to be unleashing a salvo of fire in Marathi. Will there be a Vindictive Glare follow-up? Oh, Marathi's getting nuked into the Shadow Realm. Nobody expects the Wurzag Inquisition and the Vindictive Glare and the Spirit Leech. Oh man, Marathi getting trash canned. Oh my goodness, she might actually die here. Is she gonna get the Soul Stealer? No, she doesn't. Marathi's at like 600 HP if there's any sort of magic follow-up. Oh, and a Brain Buster going down to the back as well. Man, Marathi, you see, Wurzag is not like a common pick these days. So I feel like Ice Power maybe wasn't expecting the Effigy of the Git. Because now the Dark Elf army's like kind of panicking a little bit, sending in Manticores in the melee against Spider Riders. The Scourge Hunters are pretty much in full retreat here, and you can see the Dark Riders are going to be pushing back there. But that Wurzag snipe was very, very good. Granted, Marathi's back. Now the Dark Elves can kind of regain their composure. They can get some Soul Stealers to get back in the game. And Ice Power is now pressing the back line and doing a good job of it. Here, the Dark Riders do jump on top of the Rusty Airs, it looks like, yeah. And maybe going to be able to get back after the Stone Trolls. I don't think so. Looks like all the Greenskin skirmishers are rushing in to kind of shut them down. Pigzag is kind of chilling right here and just getting ready to party. We'll see. He's just kind of sitting on that hog. And now Marathi, is she back? She is being very careful. One Manticore is rampaging on the ground, which is pretty unfortunate for Ice Power. In the backfield, though, Dark Riders do get on top of the Rock Lobber, shut that down. Stone Trolls have come back, though. That's pretty unfortunate. Now that the Stone Trolls are back, they're going to keep healing. Of course, they heal when they're running, too, but it's only going to get worse over time. And the Giant River Troll Hag also healing back up to full health. While Pigzag looks like he's thinking about doing it. Release the hog, baby! Pigzag going in. I love the charge animation of the pigs. It's so funny. But yeah, it looks like he decides to get into the melee fight. A little bit risky with that rampaging Manticore nearby. If it decides to attack him, yeah, look at that. Wurzag actually takes a surprising amount of damage. And one thing I foresee being a bit of a scary situation for the Greenskins is that they're blobbing again. And Marathi is going to be able to get a Soul Stealer, which will heal her up and also nuke the Greenskin army. Probably could see a bounce of power fluctuation here. So what do we have? We have Forest Goblin Spider Riders, Wolf Riders, a fair amount of infantry, Biggins. Marathi does partially matrix that shot from Wurzag, from the Gaze and Mork, but she still also takes a little bit of damage there, so we'll see how that unfolds. Yeah, and the Rampaging Manticore definitely has a little bit of a hard-on for Wurzag moving through the ranks, but the Greenskins, again, still appear to be in a relative state of advantage. That doesn't make sense. They have an advantage. I don't know, state of advantage, is that a thing? I guess it is. But the Manticore stopped rampaging. Marathi did not use a Soul Stealer there. I think she's really, really waiting for that blob fight. Ice Power playing he's got ice in his veins, playing a pretty calm game here. Despite the fact that he took some big blows early on, still scrapping pretty hard. Using his Scourge Runners and his Repeater Crossbows and all those different tools to do their business here. Marathi does charge in and now is going to be dropping a good Soul Stealer. It will hit the Hag, it'll hit the Shaman, it'll hit the Night Goblin, and really will be healing her up quite a bit. Will it be enough to pull the Bounce Bar back? You can actually see the Bounce Bar creeping back to the middle. Little sliver at a time there, but I just think the Manticore is broken here. The other one's healthy, but I mean, sniping Pigzag and the Hag would be a really strong way back into the game. Pigzag he actually hits pretty hard. He's got like a nice little charge bonus and has good armor piercing and things like that, but yeah, the Manticore is going to have to hard carry this game. The rest of the Dark Elf army, let's see what they got. They got some cavalry still going, some Dark Riders still fighting, a couple Scourge Runners, cycle charging pretty effectively. Marathi might be able to save up for another Soul Stealer, but this balance of power is pretty rough. And it's pretty much just because Marathi got nuked. That nuke was very, very devastating. But again, nobody expects the Wurzag Inquisition. He's very, very uncommon these days, right? And Ice Power knows it's over and withdraws from the game. Might as well reset, go back to the drawing board, and live long and prosper. Mike Emerio, GG's to everyone. Fantastic play today. Kudos in particular to the newbies for stepping up. Yeah, a lot of new challengers today doing a great job. Mike, thank you so much for that donation. And yeah, that's going to be game 1 going to Wurzag. And really, the game was close. It was even until Wurzag snared Marathi and just Shadow Realmed her. That was pretty much it. She was getting shot with the Rusty Errors, 3 skirmish units, like 2 casters. Like, it was a lot of focus fire catching her out of position. So, score will go up 1 for the Satsuma. Let's do it to it. Release the Wa. And now we will go back to the next game. Nobody expected it, man. Was scared after that snipe didn't quite go off. Yeah, he was talking about it when she got away. So we will do the Iron Sand Desert next. Map set. Good luck, have fun. All right, so let's see what the players pick here. We are on the Iron Sand Desert. Yeah, Satsuma definitely played against the kiting pretty well. He didn't overextend. He was pretty calm. He didn't let Wurzag get sniped, which is really big. Okay, I broke my position to chase Marathi, but that was a mistake. Okay, they're just talking about the game. They're talking about the game. It's Iron Sand. Fear not. All right, cool. So let's see what the players adjust here in the second game. I would love to see something out of left field from Ice Power. I think that'd be really cool. Something different than Marathi Double Manticore to just try and catch his opponent off guard with a super wild tactic. Something that is a big gamble but could pay off. I think that would be really nice. When you're down like that, you might as well just take a risk. Yeah. Greenskins, as far as their counters go, I would say some of their trickier matchups. If you put the best Greenskin player in the world against the best Vampire Count player in the world, I think the Vampire Count player would win like 60 to 70% of those games. So like on a really high level, if you go back and watch my most recent ECL, we have several top Greenskin players playing against, really good Vampire Count players like Evenstar. And the Greenskins got crushed pretty bad. I think they lost every single game against Vampire Coast and Vampire Counts. So Greenskins against really good Coast players, really good Count players can struggle for sure. Also, some Greenskin players don't like Lizardmen, but I still feel like they're totally fine there. So yeah, the Undead typically do pretty well against them at the highest level. But I think if you take like, mid-level players, still probably Greenskins can do fine. But at the highest level, yeah. Like, Greenskins went 0-4 on my last ECL stream, and it was like good players playing. It was like world champion caliber players. Yeah. And honestly, guys, in regards to like, I would like to see with the Beastmen DLC a little bit of a nerf to Grom. But the meta is going to shift so crazy when Game 3 comes out. Not only is multiplayer potentially going to be changed from domination mode if we all decide like that's like the better multiplayer mode for tournaments and things like that, but there's also going to be 7 new factions. So it's going to be apeshit. The meta is going to just be so different. Like the Greenskins could be terrible against some of those factions. Who knows? Like everything's going to change. Everything is going to change. You're right. Rakarth Hydra build is dude. Rakarth Hydra would be so epic from Ice Power. Holy shit. Real human being. Oh my god. That's funny. Wounds is going to be huge. I know that's another thing too. The wounds thing. So single entities having wounds, I think is a excellent change. It's not like a huge nerf. It lowers their speed by 10% and like their weapon strength by a little bit. But like that little bit can make the difference between a single entity like dominating and like getting dragged down, right? I don't know, R2. I'm gonna have to calculate it after the event's over because some people donated like partial prize pool donations and things like that. So I'm gonna have to calculate it all. Yeah. Domination mode is going to be awesome. I mean, there could be 2 separate tournament circuits too. There could be one for standard battles and one for domination, which would be totally fine. I think it'd be cool to have like a couple refreshing game types. Although I much prefer the theory behind domination mode. I hope that becomes like, I hope it's well done and that becomes the main way to play, so that we don't have to police bullshit as much, like draw guiding and like not attacking and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. It's going to be wild. All right, my friends, let's take a look at ye old forces of the Dark Elves. And it looks like it's a bit of a switch up here. Yeah, I love this change. I think it's cool. I mean, if he loses the game, whatever. You got to take a chance. You're down. He's got Bleak Swords backed up by 4 Dark Shards, which I really think is cool. Could kill stone trolls, could be good against infantry. Dark Shards, of course, can return fire to the skirmishers. He's got a shit ton of Dark Riders, backed up by Coldwood Knights as well, Manticore, and Supreme Sorceress of Fire. Really cool change-up, honestly. I think that's quite neat. I think that is quite neat for sure. Now for the forces of the Satsuma, let's see what his lord choice was. He does have Wurzag once again, but Wurzag is going to be on foot this time. And here you guys, for all you Greenskin fans out there, check out the Dancing Man. Oh, so freaking cool. Wurzag is such a badass character. If I were to play tabletop fantasy Greenskins, for sure, you got to go with Wurzag. Look at that guy. Definitely would kit bash him to be like dancing. So for the forces here, we got Orc Biggins into the Sunset, Orc Boys, as well as the Skirmisher Corps. Pretty much the identical build. I think it's the exact same as last game. And you know, if it ain't, what's the saying? Like, if it ain't broke, you don't need to fix it or whatever. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah. So yeah, it should be fun. Yeah, I'm excited to see this. Dark Shard's a little bit weak against Brainbuster from Wurzag, but aside from that, you know, could pack some punch. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows, my friends? The Supreme Sorceress of Fire, a very good choice. Burning Head on top of Biggins and or Night Goblin Archers or Rusty Errors is very strong. Fireball also good, and it's still a Manticore character, right? So it can like terror out things, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah, Lokir is pretty terrible, unfortunately. Kislev will be strong, Jeff, but one of the issues, I think Kislev will be a good faction. I don't think they'll be easy to play. Kislev has a lot of dual purpose units, like Kossars with spears, Kossar standard, Ice Glaive Guard with dual weapons, Ice Glaive Guard with halberds, like, and when you get a lot of dual purpose units like that, it becomes a little bit trickier to like, it's still it can be strong, but you know, it can be tricky for sure. But again, they have basic units too, like Zargard, and we haven't even seen the full roster yet, so who knows. They have the bear wagons, which I'm super excited for. See what the players are saying. Good luck, have fun. Good sportsmanship all around. What I'd like to see. And now we get the Night Goblin Archers and the Rusty Arrows advancing up very, very quickly. Fireball going in. Who's it going to be going after? Probably the Hag. I would probably go after Wurzag, though, with Fireball. Although the Hag really isn't a bad choice. Okay, he's actually going after the Rock Lobber. Which, yeah, he kills one of the Rock Lobber pieces there. So the Rock Lobber will be a little bit more, or less effective over the course of this battle. Bleak Swords, of course, more than happy to take that firepower. And, of course, the Dark Shards are returning the favor here into the Greenskin Skirmishers. A nice little volley of fire there. A Burning Head attempt going in, but Satsuma is a little bit too quick on the draw. Is able to dodge that. And it looks like the Loonies did go in. Didn't do that much damage, honestly. And the Supreme Sorceress really needs to be careful that she doesn't suffer the same fate as the Lord did in the previous game. Oh my god, look at the Fanatics still going. Might get into the Archers too a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of damage to the Dark Shards. So Vindictive Glares and various sniping attempts going in. Dark Shard line is going to be moving up, but so far, Ice Power needs to move up his cavalry too to be a little bit more in position to strike here and swarm, because he actually does have the advantage. Ice Power with Coldwood Knights and Dark Riders can drift around the formation and really, really do some nice work. So another fireball in the back. It looks like it hit the hill, so the angle wasn't quite perfect. Brainbuster going down on the overlapped Dread Spears and Dark Shards. Very, very good usage there. Now the Biggins need to be focused. I'm not sure what Ice Baby is doing here with his Dark Shards, and he's going to suffer the same fate. Yeah, he overextends a little bit here with the Supreme Sorceress. Granted, not going to be as bad this time because the Goblin Archers were not in range. So the Supreme Sorceress should be able to get back. Ice really needs to get his cavalry activated. They're so passive back here. They could be charging in the front, swarming around the back. Like, there is no cavalry for the Greenskins. By keeping all the cavalry idle like this, yeah, Ice Power withdraws from the game. Like, that was definitely a winnable one. I mean, his cavalry needed to kind of Tokyo drift around, but yeah, unfortunately, that is going to be a bit of an anticlimactic ending there, but he felt as if he didn't have a chance, although he didn't even activate his cavalry there. Like, the cavalry could have potentially done a lot, I mean, right? And he took some damage on his lord, got caught there again, but that's going to be that. All right. So, my friends, Vicious Satsuma will be taking the strap. Sorry for the anticlimactic final. Well, at the very least, we do have, that last game was quite good. We had a good scrap there between the two players, so just pretend that was the last one. Yeah, I mean, he still could have won it. That was extremely preemptive, extremely preemptive. Yeah. Hey, guys, and Contende in chat is dropping the People's Champion straw poll. So let me go ahead and copy the link address, and we can link that as well. Thank you so much to Contende. Oh, wow, okay, that didn't work. Contende, if you could keep dropping the People's Champion straw poll. I think this is it. All right. There you go. So this is for the People's Champion. The People's Champion will earn pretty much the third place prize or whatever. So if you guys want to vote for whoever you can do it. There is going to be a qualifier for the next faction war pretty soon. We might even do it sometime in the next week. and then that will be for the June qualifier. Correct. Although the faction war will be later in June because I'm getting surgery on my left hand on June 3rd. So I'm going to be recovering for like a week and a half, 2 weeks before I can really get back. Yeah. So let's go to the bracket. Congratulations to the Vicious Satsuma. He has played in many faction wars, but guys, you got to give some big props to the Satsuma. He won today's event without using Grom the Paunch. Very, very epic indeed. He used Wurzag or, Great Shaman. Great Shaman's a little bit more meta, but he also used the Night Goblin War Boss. So Greenskins are very strong, but that doesn't take away from the fact that Satsuma is an amazing player. Played some very great games today. Didn't make too many mistakes and did an excellent job. So let's give a big shout out to Satsuma for the Greenskin victory. So back-to-back victories for them. GG, well played there. The Beastmen ran away with it, did they? Let's see what the vote looks like. I'm going to take a look here. So what are your predictions, guys in chat? Guys and gals? Okay. So looking at the People's Champion vote. Holy shit. Yeah, okay. Papa Palpatine won that by a landslide. Okay, that's not even close. That's not even close. When will there be another late night Warcraft stream? Probably tomorrow night. Well, we have to have the vote. So if you guys did participate in the faction madness, please go to the Discord and go to the final score entry and enter your score in that section. I will then review your your charts to kind of verify that, and I will be sending the winner their prize there. So here for final scores, please. So tabulate your score and enter it there. All right. Perfect. Just did a tag there. And for anyone who wants to join the Discord and participate in future events, let me go ahead and get you guys an invite. All right, looks good. So here is a link to the Discord. Looks good to me. If any of you guys want to join, it's open for anyone. We're going to have another qualifier soon-ish. But that faction war might be delayed until the end of June, maybe even early July. I'm not sure. It depends on my hand and everything, because these streams are pretty long. So I need to have my hand working before we do that. So thank you so much for joining. If you guys enjoyed the stream, do drop a like on the way out. Big shout out to Kazrak One Eye and Papa Palpatine for winning the People's Champion vote. And we'll be back with another faction war either late June or early July. I'm not sure. But regardless, we'll do something like that. I don't know when the next patch is going to be, but we could do the qualifier now and then basically just, play it after, the next patch or whatever. We'll see. We'll play it by ear, because I'm sure over the course of the summer we'll be getting, announcements and all sorts of crazy stuff like that. So we'll play it by ear. Thanks again. That is it for today. Special thanks to everyone who donated to myself as well as the prize pool. We got Mike Amarillo. We got Maxter as a new member. We got Dylan Lockwood, Jay Cassidy, Cyber Pansy, Krodikin, Ricardo Godrington. We got Mr. Rib Spreader here. Pretty intense name. Thank you. M. Taylor, Melody Wallace. We have the Monkey as well. Hail Hydra. A Russian name, which unfortunately I don't know how to read. So my apologies, bud, but thank you so much. Seth and Captain Grimwillock, Daniel, Nermi, Elrica with a huge $100 Canadian donation. Dylan, Henry, Tobias, Kaiser with a 50. Thank you so much. Brad for becoming a new member. Jorgen. And Ben Stanley, man, crazy today. Samuel Christensen, Claire Farron, Wesley Chartrand, and Melody Wallace kicking things off. Thank you guys so much. It was a super fun stream. Vicious Satsuma getting his win finally. He's been in so many faction wars, has done so well, and now he is here claiming victory. A satisfactory move. I think the Beastmen fans can raise their heads or their horned heads in pride today, as they did very well. That's it, my friends. Thank you for watching. Take care. And we'll be back with more tournaments and all sorts of fun content over the course of the week. We'll be having an ECL sometime midweek. And it's going to be great. It is going to be great for sure. So thank you guys for joining. Take care of yourselves. Avoid Nurgle's Plague. And we'll see you guys soon. Take care.